The young lady of the Gu family and I fell down the stairs together. I was in a coma for 3 days and 3 nights, but during the time I was in a coma, her parents never even glanced at her. Instead, they stayed by my bedside without leaving for a moment. They took great care of me, and they even completely forgot that Gu Qinghan is their own flesh and blood, while I am just an adopted son with no blood relation. Gu Qinghan questioned them with tears in her eyes, who their real child was, but her parents showed no shame on their faces. Instead, they cursed her out. It was at that moment I realized I had transmigrated into the villainous fake young master of a novel. In the original plot, the Gu family's favoritism towards boys over girls eventually forced Gu Qinghan to turn to the dark side. She teamed up with the protagonist to bring the Gu family to ruin, to continue living the luxurious life of a rich second-generation heir. I immediately made a decision. Since you guys won't dote on my little sister, then I will. At this moment, my gaze shifted towards the door. Gu Qinghan's frail body was trembling uncontrollably. My predecessor, because he was afraid of his identity as an adopted son being exposed, developed a grudge and tormented her in every way possible. Before the coma, he forced Gu Qinghan to scrub the 108 steps of the villa's staircase. Then, as he passed by her, he deliberately pulled her down with him. He originally intended to use a self-pity trick to get her kicked out of the house, but he unexpectedly overdid it, allowing me to transmigrate into his body. Sensing my gaze, my father, Gu Yuan, and my mother, Jiang Zhu Yue, also turned their heads to look at the door. The moment they saw Gu Qinghan, their expressions instantly turned ice cold. Is this the habit you learned in our Gu family? Hiding at the door to eavesdrop, listening in on conversations? Jiang Zhuyu frowned and glared. You've caused your brother so much trouble. Get in here and kneel down to apologize now. Gu Qinghan timidly entered the room and softly called out, Dad, Mom. Jiang Zhuyu cut her off with a cold laugh. Don't call us Dad and Mom, you jinx. If it weren't for you, would Xiaobei have fallen down the stairs? I think you have malicious intentions and deliberately harmed him. Gu Yuan also chimed in with a low voice. Although you are our biological daughter, you're still just a brat who grew up in the countryside. After you've received your punishment, have old Liu take you back to the countryside. Gu Qinghan stared at them, her eyes red with resentment. Dad, Mom, am I really your biological daughter? I fell down that day too. Jiang Zhuyu snorted coldly. You brought that upon yourself. I don't know how your adoptive parents raised you to have such a vicious heart at such a young age. If it weren't for the fact that you're our biological daughter, daring to harm Xiaobei like this, you wouldn't have a peaceful day for the rest of your life. After hearing this, Gu Qinghan sniffled. She suddenly turned her head and glared at me, gritting her teeth. Are you satisfied now? I am being kicked out of the house. Are you finally satisfied now? Shut up, Jiang Zhuyu shouted. You're clearly the one who caused trouble. How dare you play the victim and slander Xiaobei? She raised her hand, about to slap Gu Qinghan's face. The original plot quickly flashed through my mind. If this slap lands, it will directly sever the relationship between her and the Go family. And this is also the beginning of her turn to the dark side. Gu Qinghan's adoptive parents had passed away. The house they left behind was taken over by relatives. As soon as she returned to the countryside, she was kicked out. Those people even declared that, if she didn't leave, they would marry her off to the village chief's idiot son. So, for a very long time after that, Gu Qinghan always slept under a dark bridge and was occasionally bullied by other beggars. From then on, she secretly vowed to definitely bring the Go family to ruin, along with a crisp slapping sound that tore through the air. Gu Qinghan squeezed her eyes shut in fear, but the expected pain didn't come. She only felt herself being pulled into a warm embrace. Jiang Zhuyo hurriedly shouted, Xiaobei, are you okay? Mom didn't mean it. Jiang Zhuwei was flustered and panicked. She really didn't expect me to rush over and shield Gu Qinghan with my body. She quickly waved her hand. It's all my fault. I know you love your sister, but she's the one who made you fall like this. Why are you still protecting her like this? I was in so much pain. I grimaced, but I still forced a pain expression, turning my head to pretend to be angry and called Gu Yuan, Dad. How do you usually take care of Mom? Why is her slap so weak? It doesn't hurt at all. Gu Yuan was stunned. He thought to himself, how did I get dragged into this? I took the opportunity to explain, Dad, Mom. Actually, that day, I was the one who complained the stairs were dirty and suddenly wanted to scrub them myself. Qinghan was just kind enough to help me. Don't be angry anymore, Mom and Dad. It was so hard for my sister to come home. How can you send her back to the countryside? Besides, if anyone should leave, it should be me. I've taken her life for over 10 years. Mom and Dad's love should have been hers. After hearing this, Jiang Zhuyue slammed the table angrily. No, you're not going anywhere. You are my real son, regardless of blood ties. In this life, I only acknowledge you. However, Xiaobei has really grown up, even cleaning the house on his own, so well-behaved. Go Yuan sighed and nodded. Xiaobei, no matter what, you will always be my real son. Since you've said so, let her stay for now. He turned his head and gave Gu Qinghan a cold glance. Don't forget who you have to thank for being able to stay in the Gu family. If Xiaobei gets hurt because of you again, then get back to the countryside immediately. After seeing my parents off, I realized Gu Qinghan was still huddled in my arms. I quickly let go of her. I sized up this future female villain from head to toe. She's 17 this year, with a petite figure. So thin, she looks like she could be blown away by the wind. Her hair was a mess. Her bangs covered half of her face. A tattered, thin school uniform clung to her body. She exuded a gloomy aura. Looking back at me, even a random pair of pajamas on me was soft and breathable, smelling of money. I couldn't help but lift her bangs. Her forehead was fair. Her skin so delicate it looked like it could be broken with a flick. Truly a top-tier beauty. Yu Qinghan noticed my gaze and quickly took 2 steps back. A flash of disgust appeared in her eyes. Don't think that just because you helped me today, that I have to be grateful to you. That day, you were clearly the one who forced me to scrub the stairs. You even deliberately bumped into me, which made me fall. I raised an eyebrow and grinned. In any case, I saved you today. You have to repay me, or else I'll tell mom and dad. What does my predecessor bullying her have to do with me? I haven't even enjoyed the life of a rich heir for more than a few days, and I already got slapped. I'll just use this favor to my advantage, to smooth things over with the future female villain. In the original plot, she suffered a lot of abuse at her adoptive parents' home. She had to do farm work since she was 3, and was even almost sold twice. If it weren't for her good grades, which earned her the protection of her teachers and principal, plus her frail and sickly body, then just based on this face alone, she would have been bought as a child bride long ago. Gu Qinghan clenched her fists, then released them helplessly. Now that her adoptive parents were gone, she had no home to return to. Coming to the Gu family, although she was treated coldly, at least she had a place to stay, which allowed her to study in peace, to repay the principal and teachers who took care of her. She gritted her teeth and asked with a frown, "What do you want me to do?" I grinned widely. "Then today, you'll be my little servant for a day. Obediently listen to my arrangements." Gu Qinghan frowned, silently guessing in her heart what evil scheme I was plotting to humiliate her, but she had no room to bargain, so she could only suppress her anger, and stiffly nodded her head. Seeing this, I clapped my hands. "Then you go get ready first. I am going to change my clothes." After saying that, I got up and went into the dressing room. The moment I pushed the door open, I was stunned. This wasn't a dressing room. It was clearly a luxury apartment of over 200 square meters. Rows of the latest seasonal clothes were hung on racks, sorted by color. Necklaces and men's watches were neatly displayed in cabinets. The clothes felt incredibly smooth to the touch. I thought to myself, for the sake of these treasures, I have to raise Gu Qinghan into a well-behaved little sister who is well-rounded in morals, intelligence, and physique. I chose the most handsome outfit to wear, and from the pile of famous watches, I grabbed a 24K diamond-encrusted one to wear. Only then did I walk out of the room, satisfied. Gu Qinghan was leaning against the wall, sitting on the floor. I was a bit confused. "Aren't you changing your clothes?" She pursed her lips tightly and glared at me. Seeing this, I awkwardly scratched my head. I remembered when she first came home. Our parents bought her a few sets of clothes, but my predecessor felt that the attention on him was being divided. So he sulked for a long time. He took back all the things given to Gu Qinghan, and even burned them all in the yard right in front of our parents. Thinking about these things, I didn't say another word. I grabbed her by the wrist and left. "First, I'll take you to buy a couple of outfits." When we reached the underground parking garage, a row of supercars was neatly parked. I walked up to the familiar Lamborghini and tried to say calmly, "Get in." In the car, Gu Qinghan was tense, daring only to sit on the edge of the seat. She still remembered the last time she rode in my car. I had glanced at her with disgust and said she had dirtied the car. After that car never appeared in the garage again. I frowned slightly, gently pushed Gu Qinghan to sit properly in the seat, and helped her fasten her seatbelt. Gu Qinghan was about to struggle, but realized I wasn't doing anything else, so she obediently sat still. I have to admit, the air conditioning in supercars is really terrible, especially in traffic. I put on my sunglasses and rolled down the window to let the outside breeze in. Mixed with the wind were the admiring glances of passers-by. Someone exclaimed, "What car is this? So damn cool." Another girl blew a kiss towards the car window and slipped a piece of paper with her phone number through the glass. Under my sunglasses, the corners of my mouth couldn't help but curve up. Gu Qinghan secretly glanced at me, and seeing that I wasn't paying attention, she stealthily touched the seatbelt and the seat, and then curiously touched the car door. This was the first time she had been in this type of car. Her eyes were full of novelty. Her movement was a little too forceful. She turned her head to look at me, and saw that I was still looking ahead, but she still felt uneasy. As if possessed, she reached out and pushed up my sunglasses. The next second, she met my staring gaze. With a faint smile on my lips, she blushed, and quickly pulled her hand back. "Sorry, I'll definitely wash the car when we get home." I smiled and ruffled her hair, making it even messier. "No need. We're even now." Even? Gu Qinghan's heart was in turmoil. She felt that after I woke up, I seemed to have become a different person. Otherwise, why would I help her, take a slap for her, and even let her ride in my car? But thinking of the evil things I did before, being nice to her now, I am afraid, means plotting something even more sinister. She patted her face, silently warning herself to stay highly focused. The day is still long. I absolutely cannot let him succeed in his scheme. I followed the memories in my head and took her to a hair salon. My predecessor often got his hair cut here. This shop has styled many celebrities. Their skills are absolutely top-notch. Pushing the door open, a service staff member greeted us. Hello. Do you two have a reservation? I was taken aback. I had absolutely no concept of making a reservation. My predecessor was always personally served by the store manager. I frowned at the staff. You need a reservation at your shop. How come I didn't know that? Get your store manager out here. After saying that, I pulled Gu Qinghan and walked straight in. But the staff member blocked our way again. He scanned me from head to toe and sneered, scoffing. Look at your nouveau riche appearance. What do you know about rules? Look at that fake gold watch. If you throw it in water, it'll probably float. Let me tell you. Our store manager is the one who serves the Go family of Jiangcheng. Just one word from him, and your whole family will be begging on the streets. After hearing that, I was a bit embarrassed. After all, it was my first time being rich, so I lacked experience. I had put on all the gold rings, gold necklaces, and gold watches from the room. I was also wearing a black bag. I looked exactly like a newly rich upstart. The staff member then glanced at Gu Qinghan, his eyes full of contempt. As a young girl, you don't know how to conduct yourself, only how to bring shame to your school. This punk obviously has no money. You might as well come with me instead. As soon as these words were spoken, passers-by turned to look and started chattering. Someone whispered, this girl is doing this sort of thing at such a young age, and she's wearing the uniform of no one high school. How can a top school have this kind of person? The voices weren't concealed at all and went straight into my ears. Gu Qinghan lowered her head, her long hair obscuring her face. Her body shrank into a ball. Her eyes were so red they looked like they were about to bleed. She glared at me with hatred, thinking to herself, no wonder he dressed so ridiculously today and was so gentle with me. It turns out he was digging a pit for me here, deliberately trying to embarrass me in public. If this blows up, the school's reputation will be affected. I am afraid she won't be able to go to school anymore. She couldn't hold it in any longer. She broke down and screamed, are you satisfied now? I am begging you. Let me go. From now on, I absolutely won't fight with you for our parents' affection. Just leave. Okay? Pack my bags when I get home. You all can just pretend you never found me. Her heart felt as sour as if it had been soaked in vinegar. Whether it was at her adoptive parents' home or her biological parents' home, no one had ever truly loved her. She just wanted a little bit of warmth. Hearing these words, my heart felt as if it were being pricked by thousands of needles. I turned and glared at that snobbish staff member and roared, such a foul mouth, making things up. Who gave you the guts to do that? Blood rushed to my head. I kicked him in the stomach and swung my fist hard into his face. Gu Qinghan stared at this scene in a daze, stunned. She didn't expect that not only did I not kick her when she was down, but I also stood up for her. Could it really be a misunderstanding? As her mind was racing, the commotion outside alarmed those inside the shop. A group of hairstylists rushed out, shouting, who dares to cause trouble in front of our shop? The crowd immediately surrounded us, and the scene became chaotic. I ignored everything. My fists just kept raining down on that staff member, but in the end, I was outnumbered. Several stylists pinned my arms. The waiter spat on the ground and said smugly, this brat has some nerve, daring to hit me. He punched me in the stomach. I felt a sharp pain, and my throat tightened. I forced myself to hawk up phlegm and spit it right in his face. He wiped his face and cursed loudly. You dare to fight back? Drag him into the bathroom and deal with him. Before he could finish his sentence, the store manager came tumbling out and slapped the lead staff member across the face. Who gave you dogs the guts to touch him? Hurry up and let go of the Gu family's young master. The waiter held his swollen face, utterly astonished. Brother-in-law, you must be mistaken. This guy is dressed like a nouveau riche. How could he be the young master of the Gu Corporation? I sneered. What I like to wear. Do I need your hair salon's permission for that? The store manager quickly smiled appeasingly. Of course not, young master. It's my staff who are blind and have offended you. The moment the store manager spoke, the surrounding stylists' faces turned pale. They bowed in unison. We're sorry, young master. We didn't know anything. It was all his instigation. If we knew your identity, we wouldn't dare to lay a hand on you even if it killed us. I snorted. So what you're saying is, if you meet an ordinary person, you can bully them as you please. Is that right? As soon as these words were out, the stylist broke out in a cold sweat and looked towards the store manager for help. The store manager followed my gaze towards the shop and sighed. He had been in Jiangcheng for over 10 years and had painstakingly built a reputation. Today, it was all ruined by this bunch of idiots. Young Master Gu, this is a small token of my sincerity. Today, it's my fault for not managing them properly, letting them offend you. Please be lenient. The store manager obsequiously handed over a card and gestured with his other hand. I was stunned and thought to myself, I got 1 million yuan from getting punched. Without much thought, I hastily stuffed the card into my pocket, afraid he would change his mind. If I converted all this money into gold and hid it, then even if the Gu family goes bankrupt, I wouldn't have to worry about not having money to spend. But in the next second, I suddenly realized Gu Qinghan was gone. I quickly looked up, my gaze piercing through the crowd, searching for her everywhere. It turned out she was hiding behind the shop door. Just now, when the stylist rushed out, she was afraid I would be at a disadvantage, so she ran in to call the store manager. Now that the storm has passed, she was cowering by the door again. I ran over and scratched my head awkwardly. If I said this wasn't intentional, would you believe me? Gu Qinghan looked deep into my eyes. Although today's incident was unintentional, the video and rumors have already spread. It's beyond saving. She tiredly said one sentence. I am tired. Can you take me home? I shook my head and refused. No, today isn't over yet. I even got you misunderstood. I have to make it up to you properly. After saying that, I glared at those staff members again. If it weren't for these bastards, I would have already established a good relationship with Gu Qinghan without giving her a chance to object. I pulled her by the hand to another hair salon. As we walked in, a receptionist in a white shirt and a tight short skirt warmly greeted us. Hello, handsome man and beautiful lady. Do you have a regular stylist? Gu Qinghan glanced at me and mumbled quietly, is it expensive to get a haircut here? The receptionist smiled and handed over a price list. Beautiful lady, please take a look first. Gu Qinghan took it and blushed beet red. The cheapest, the chief supervisor, is 119 yuan. The store manager costs 499 yuan. That's just for a haircut. With treatments and styling added, it won't be less than 1,000 yuan. She stood on her tiptoes and whispered in my ear. How about we go to a different shop? I usually get my hair cut on the sidewalk for just 15 yuan. I scanned the price list. I didn't expect a haircut to be so expensive. But then again, I am the top rich heir of Zhongcheng. I just got 5 million yuan from being beaten up. Note, text correction from context earlier said 100 yuan equals 1 million, but input says 500 yuan here, translated strictly as input. I grinned. Getting a cut here is no problem. Just call me Big Brother. How about I get you a membership card? After hearing these words, Gu Qinghan's cheeks burned. She gritted her teeth and turned to leave. This bastard keeps bullying her. And he wants her to call him Big Brother. But just at this moment, a sweet and gentle Big Brother rang out in the hair salon. Gu Qinghan's cheeks burned. She gritted her teeth and turned to leave. This bastard keeps bullying her. And he wants her to call him Big Brother. But just at this moment, a sweet and gentle Big Brother rang out in the hair salon. The receptionist bit her lip and leaned closer. Big Brother, you just agreed yourself that you wanted to get a membership card for your little sister. You can't go back on your word. First, I was stunned. Then I raised an eyebrow and smiled at her. Arrange the most premium service package for her, and do a hairstyling too. Do everything according to the highest standards. Before long, Gu Qinghan had gotten a neat short haircut. The thick, blunt bangs no longer concealed her stunning face. She looked both dazzlingly beautiful and cool. I nodded with satisfaction. I stuffed the preloaded membership card into her hand. From now on, just come here for your haircuts. You can also call me to take you. Gu Qinghan pursed her lips. She looked down and stared at the black and gold card. A strange and ticklish feeling welled up in her heart. She thought to herself, if he doesn't bully me in the future, calling this bad guy Big Brother seems to be acceptable. After leaving the hair salon, I pulled Gu Qinghan straight to a clothing store. She was already in the 11th grade, but she was still wearing her old middle school uniform. Just then, a young girl walked over. Qinghan, is that you? Gu Qinghan turned her head and exclaimed happily, Yu Yuan. Sis, why are you here? She turned to look at me and introduced, her name is Yu Yuan. She was my senior in middle school. She's also at our school now. The moment she mentioned Jiangcheng High School, she paused for a moment, as if wondering why she was introducing her friend to me. I smiled lightly and observed Yu Yuan. Her beauty was no less than Gu Qinghan's. She wore a white shirt, but the fabric was thin, faintly revealing the old-fashioned underwear inside. Noticing my gaze, Gu Qinghan stepped in front of Yu Yuan. She glared at me warningly. Don't get any ideas about her. Yu Yuan nodded at me and pulled Gu Qinghan's hand. She asked curiously, is this handsome guy your boyfriend? I can't believe this little girl is at the age for romance already. Gu Qinghan's face turned beet red. He's not my boyfriend, but she didn't know how to explain their relationship. Seeing Yu Yuan's disbelieving expression, she quickly changed the subject. Sis, aren't you working part-time at school? Why did you come here? Yu Yuan sighed. Isn't it to save up for living expenses and college tuition? She couldn't help but sigh. You don't know. The clothes here are ridiculously expensive. You two aren't really planning to buy something, are you? Gu Qinghan secretly glanced at me and nodded slightly. Just one set. Yu Yuan raised an eyebrow. Then let me show you two around the shop. She looked around and saw no one. She whispered to me, it's okay if you don't buy anything. The price of one outfit here can buy several outfits outside. After saying that, she walked up to me and chuckled. Can I borrow your girlfriend for a moment? I scratched my head in embarrassment. I said she's my sister. Do you believe me? Yu Yuan nodded and gave a meaningful smile. Got it. Got it. You two are sworn siblings. I sighed softly. I couldn't be bothered to explain. Under her recommendation, Gu Qinghan changed into a short, black, strapless dress. Cool, aloof, and arrogant. Her aura matched this outfit. She looked just like a noble black swan. I couldn't help but stare, captivated. Yu Yuan teased, I told you this outfit would definitely suit you. It's even got your boyfriend mesmerized. Gu Qinghan noticed my gaze, and her face flushed with embarrassment. After teasing her, Yu Yuan turned to choose another outfit. After she had walked away, I looked at Gu Qinghan curiously. Are you two close friends? Go Qinghan nodded quickly. Back at my adoptive parents' house, I often went hungry. Sister Yu Yuan often brought me delicious food. She also frequently helped me review my lessons. She paused, hesitated for a moment, but still spoke. But I heard the boss here often withholds her salary. Can we help her? Can you call me big brother? I raised an eyebrow and smiled. She didn't even think about it, and immediately called out a crisp big brother. I pondered for a moment. Her grades are so good. I can have her tutor me in the future. After Gu Qinghan heard this, her expression was strange, looking me up and down a few times. You're not planning on bullying Sister Wan, are you? I raised my hand and flicked her forehead lightly. You silly girl. Why do you keep thinking such nonsense all day? Looking at her reaction, Chun Yuan means a lot to her. If she turns evil in the future, maybe she'll remember our old friendship and leave me a few tens of millions for my retirement. Thinking this, I already had a plan in mind. Qinghan, go explain the situation to her first. Stop working here. Gu Qinghan just said. Chun Yuan nodded in agreement immediately without a second thought. Looking at the time, it was already noon. I took the two of them to a Western restaurant. The waiter brought the menu. It was all in English, making one's head spin. I was a bit dizzy looking at it too. What do you two want to eat? Well, follow your lead. Gu Qinghan and Chun Yuan held the menu, flipping it back and forth. Occasionally, they would sneak a peek at me. The price of every dish on the menu was intimidating. Any random dish cost up to 1,000 yuan. The two of them had never eaten anything this expensive. Suddenly, they saw the number 50 written under the steak dish. They quickly told the waiter, well, have 2 portions of this steak. The waiter nodded and turned to me. Sir, have you decided? I grinned. It'll have the same. Just give me what they ordered. Before long, the waiter pushed a food cart over. Gu Qinghan and Chun Yuan were stunned again. They didn't expect a 50 yuan dish to be this grand. The waiter enthusiastically introduced it. This is the highest grade Japanese Wagyu beef. How much would you all like to cut? Seeing that we didn't react, he thoughtfully asked again. 1 finger joint for the 2 young ladies, and 2 finger joints for the gentlemen. Is that okay? This is the common way to cut it. Gu Qinghan and Chun Yuan looked at me in unison. Is that okay? I waved my hand. Let's do that. The waiter was quick and nimble, cutting 3 pieces of beef. He placed them on an electronic scale. The 3 pieces totaled 600 grams, 50 yuan per gram, a total of 30,000 yuan. Hearing this number, Gu Qinghan and Chun Yuan were instantly dumbfounded. The shock was evident on their faces. The waiter asked, Sir, how would you like it cooked? I came to my senses and coughed twice. Medium well is fine. In my past life, I had never eaten beef that cost 50 yuan per gram, but I had eaten a 50 yuan street-side meal before, so I knew a little about how well done meat should be. Gu Qinghan whispered to Chun Yuan in a tiny voice. Can I order it well done? I like it well done. Chun Yuan quickly chimed in. I want it well done too. That suits my taste. The waiter nodded. Yes, sir. 2 well done, 1 medium well. After saying that, he pushed the cart towards the back kitchen. But the people around who heard the request for well done steak, immediately, scornful laughter echoed through the restaurant. Such nouveau riche, they don't even know how to order a steak. So embarrassing. What a waste of top-grade Wagyu beef. Hearing the chatter, Chun Yuan and Gu Qinghan looked at each other, feeling guilty. Did we order it wrong? We've embarrassed you. After I heard that, I said calmly, taste is a personal preference. I've never tried a well-done steak before. This is a good chance to try it later. Then I turned my head towards the direction of the laughter and said loudly, this beef is so good. Why would you eat it well done? In the late afternoon, when the sun has just shone on the cow, it'd just grab the cow's butt and start chewing. That's how you don't waste it. As soon as these words came out, Chun Yuan and Gu Qinghan burst out laughing. The embarrassment from before, in an instant, vanished into thin air. Chun Yuan looked at Gu Qinghan, her eyes filled with admiration. Your boyfriend is really good to you. Gu Qinghan quickly waved her hands. He's not my boyfriend. Chun Yuan shrugged helplessly. Okay. Not your boyfriend. He's my boyfriend then. All right? She spread her hands, with a look of bewilderment. Your relationship is obviously bubbling over with affection. Why won't you admit it? Without much thought, she changed the subject. But this beef is so expensive. Just a tiny piece costs more than my entire year's salary. Gu Qinghan nodded vigorously. Seeing Chun Yuan's expectant look, she leaned close to me and pleaded in a tiny voice. Can you not leave first today? I am begging you, otherwise I really don't know where I'd hide my face. I frowned, stunned, then immediately reacted. The original owner had taken her out to eat before, but halfway through the meal, he found an excuse to slip away, leaving her all alone in the restaurant. The manager even thought she was dining and dashing. He almost called the police. When she got home, her parents scolded her harshly. Now, she just wanted to save some face in front of her friend. That's why she pleaded with me. I thought for a moment and sighed. I pushed a bank card in front of her. This card should be enough for you to use. Stop worrying about money all the time. Gu Qinghan stared at me. Her eyes were filled with disbelief. Why are you giving me money? I don't spend much. I smiled faintly. A hint of affection appeared in my eyes. I see you lack a sense of security. This is my allowance. There's at least over 2 million in the card. It'll be enough for you for a long time. She hesitated for a while, but still pushed the card back. It's too much. I can't accept it, I chuckled. A moment ago, you said you'd listen to everything I say. Rebelling already? Don't worry. Just consider it helping me keep it safe. If anything urgent comes up, you can use it first and pay me back later. Yu Yuan looked at the card being pushed back and forth, and asked curiously, how much is in there? It's not some shady money, is it? I replied casually. It's just over 200. After hearing this, she advised, Han, take it. Just treat him well later. At most, consider it a brokerage fee for you introducing me to the job. For the first tutoring session, I won't charge him. Han looked at me. I had a wicked smile on my face. She helplessly pulled on Yu Yuan's sleeve and whispered in a tiny voice, it's not 200 yuan, it's 2 million. Don't just say anything. Yu Yuan swallowed, her mind racing. She asked, this isn't his mother disapproving of you two being together and giving you a breakup fee, is it? Han's face turned beet red. She quickly explained, he's really my brother. Don't get the wrong idea. Yu Yuan was still full of doubt. Then why would a brother give you so much money? Her eyes were glued on me. Looking at the straightforward Yu Yuan, I said seriously, I did a lot of terrible things to Han before. I want to make it up to her. That's why I gave her the money. After saying that, I turned to Yu Yuan. A hopeful glint appeared in my eyes. You're her best friend. You'll help me, right? Han glanced at me, pouting as a reminder. Sister Wan, don't let him fool you. This guy only likes pretty girls, with a great figure like yours. Her eyes showed a hint of caution, afraid that Yu Yuan would be taken advantage of when you tutor him. Remember to be a little careful. After hearing this, Yu Yuan pondered for a moment. She tilted her head and asked, so how much breakup fee do you normally give your ex-girlfriends? Is it as much as you gave Han? As soon as these words came out, a few plot points suddenly popped into my head. Han's company developed so quickly. It was all based on her monstrous ability to control costs, and the one who executed it was Yu Yuan. When I heard she had her salary deducted before, I didn't think much of it at all. Now it all connects. In her senior year of high school, her mother was diagnosed with cancer, so as not to affect her college entrance exams, she always kept it a secret. After the exams, she went home. She found her mother fainted on the bed and only then learned the truth. To gather money for medical expenses, she sold 3 years of her time to a boss. But her mother, not wanting to be a burden, committed suicide by jumping off a building. Thinking about how Yu Yuan would become Han's right-hand woman, I secretly resolved to poach her first. I cleared my throat twice. I tentatively asked, are you very short on money right now? Yu Yuan sighed, my mother's health hasn't been good lately. She can't work, and the money at home is probably running out. I nodded and teased. So, you're planning to deceive the pure heart of a young man like me, and force my mom to pay 5 million for you to break up with me? After hearing this, she also laughed. If your aunt really gave me 5 million, I'd say I was pregnant with your child, and demand another 5 million for child support. While the two of them were joking, a monster rose in Han's heart. She tugged on Yuan's arm, and warned me, if you dare bully Sister Wan, I'll tell Mom and Dad. I raised an eyebrow and smiled. When two people are in love, how can you call that bullying? The meal ended amidst laughter and jokes. Han looked at me. Brother, are we leaving yet? Even this address of brother, she no longer resisted it. I nodded. I'll take you and Sister Wan home first. The car drove to an old residential area. Seeing that she wasn't far from home, Yu Yuan quickly called out, Gubei, you can let me out here. My house is just nearby. It's just a short walk. I glanced at her. I guess she was afraid I would see her poor home. In the story, although she had a liberal personality, the insecurity about her family background was always hidden deep inside. At the same time, Han clenched her fists. She still remembered when she was found. My predecessor had gone to the countryside to see that house. As soon as he got out of the car, he brazenly criticized it. Wow, what a pile of garbage. Although this place was better than the countryside, it was a far cry from the Gu family's mansion. She was also worried I would show disdain and hurt Yu Yuan. I thought for a moment. After stopping the car, I went into the convenience store next to it. When I came out, I was carrying 2 cartons of milk and a bag of fruit. Han, help me check. Bringing these things for the first time, meeting the parents. Is it enough? Han looked at Yu Yuan pleadingly. She never expected me to be so thick-skinned. Yu Yuan couldn't help but laugh. It's not like you're proposing. Why are you making such a big deal about this? I scratched my head. Without a word, I thought to myself that he'd have to face this sooner or later. We walked into the small alley and made 2 right turns. Finally, we arrived at Yu Yuan's house. In front of the house was a flat cement yard. Next to it was a small vegetable patch. At this moment, Yu Yuan and Han were staring at me, trying to find some emotion on my face, but looking at the house in front of me, a sense of nostalgia welled up in my eyes. On summer nights in my childhood, Grandma would hold me and sit in the yard in front of the door. The palm leaf fan would sway gently, a cool breeze blowing past. I wiped away the tear that was about to fall from the corner of my eye. I realized the two of them were staring at me. Why are you two looking at me? There was a hint of embarrassment on my face, Seeing that I didn't show any disdain, Chun Yuan let out a sigh of relief. Gu Qinghan also tugged at the hem of my shirt and whispered in a tiny voice, "Thank you." I patted her head. A guilty look appeared in my eyes. "I am sorry." This belated apology made Gu Qinghan's tears well up. She sniffled and pleaded chokingly, "Brother, can you not go back to how you were before? Even if mom and dad don't like me, it's okay if my sisters don't like me either. As long as you're good to me, that's enough." I reached out to wipe her tears, then thought of something. "Don't worry, I'll take you to meet our third sister later. She'll definitely like you. If anyone bullies you in the future, just go and tell our third sister." "So I can't come to you anymore in the future?" she asked in a tiny voice. I was stunned. This girl was just too pitiful. I really don't understand what the original owner's brain was thinking to give her such a hard time. Gu Qinghan's cheeks flushed. She lowered her head. The deep-seated grievances in her heart seemed to vanish in an instant. I patted her head again. "Good girl. Don't overthink it. Let's go visit your aunt first." Gu Qinghan composed herself and put a smile on her face. "Let's go in together." As they were walking, her eyes kept glancing at me, hesitating for a long time. Finally, she mustered up the courage to hold my arm and walked into Chun Yuan's house. The house was decorated as simply as possible. There was no division between the living room and the kitchen. There was only a table placed next to a stove. As soon as we entered, Chun Yuan's mother, Liu Shang, greeted us warmly. "Are you Yuan's classmates? We don't have anything good at home. Let me fry some eggs for you." I observed the middle-aged woman in front of me. She must have already been diagnosed with cancer by now, enduring pain every single day. I placed the milk and fruit on the floor. "Hello, Auntie. I am Gobei." Gu Qinghan peeked out from behind me. "Auntie, I am Gu Qinghan." Liu Xiang playfully scolded. "You can just come visit. You're all classmates. Why bring gifts? Remember to take them back when you leave." I smiled and shook my head. "Auntie, it's because I have something to ask of you, so I brought a small gift. Please don't mind." Liu Xiang looked at Chun Yuan with suspicion. Then she looked at me and asked cautiously, "What do you want me to do? Let me see if I can help." Hearing me say this, Chun Yuan immediately became tense. "Isn't it just about tutoring? Why is this like a meeting with the parents?" I pulled Gu Qinghan out from behind me. "Auntie, my little sister is in the 11th grade, and her grades are terrible. Sister Wan is one of the top 3 inches her grade. I'd like to ask her to tutor my little sister." Gu Qinghan looked at me blankly. She had been firmly seated on the throne as the top student in her grade since starting high school. On the contrary, I was the one who turned in blank test papers every time, firmly holding the last place position. Chun Yuan tilted her head in confusion for a second. Then she immediately understood. Tutoring sessions at night would go on late. If she were tutoring a boy, her mother would definitely not be at ease. Hearing that it was tutoring, Liu Shang's tightly furrowed brows relaxed a bit, but she still waved her hand. "My Yuan is in the 12th grade. It's a critical time. The college entrance exam is in half a year. She really can't spare the time." In the original plot, Liu Xiang, not wanting to disturb Chun Yuan's studies, didn't say a word even when she was sick. I had long expected to be rejected, so I immediately followed up. "Auntie, it's quite far from school here. I have an apartment opposite Jiangcheng High School. I'd like to invite Senior to move there to save travel time, and she can tutor my little sister at the same time." Gu Qinghan came back to her senses. She quickly nodded in agreement. "Auntie, it definitely won't interfere with Sister Yuan's studies. Besides, tutoring me will also help her review the material from the 10th and 11th grades." After hearing this, Liu Xiang was a bit moved, but she looked at me. Her eyes still showed a hint of vigilance. I glanced at her expression and quickly added another sentence. "Actually, what I want to ask of you, Auntie, is if you could move there to live with Senior. When my sister is being tutored, I also hope that you can keep an eye on her." As soon as these words were out, Chun Yuan's jaw dropped in astonishment. All along the way, I hadn't mentioned the rent for the area opposite Jiangcheng School at all. It would be at least 5,000 yuan a month. Although she also wanted to live in a new place with her mother, she owed me too big a favor. So she felt a little embarrassed. She tentatively refused. "Xiao Bei, I can't keep taking advantage of you like this." After hearing this, I replied righteously, "What's there to take advantage of? Just deduct the rent from the tutoring fees. I heard Auntie is resting at home these days. There's a hospital I know that's looking for an office clerk to handle mail. Auntie, you could go and give it a try. Whenever you're not feeling well, it's more convenient to be at the hospital." Liu Xiang looked at me deeply. The defenses in her heart gradually came down. This is a critical period for Chun Yuan. With her mother around, I definitely wouldn't dare to do anything improper. She smiled. "Since you've put it that way, if I refuse again, I'd be letting down your kindness." I grinned widely. "That's great then. Auntie and sister, you can start packing first. I'll call someone to help you move tomorrow. I still have things to do, so I'll be leaving first." I turned and walked out the door. Only then did Chun Yuan come to her senses. She jogged after me, walking me through the small alley. She occasionally stole glances at me, and couldn't help asking, "Why didn't you tell me about this beforehand?" I shrugged helplessly. "If I had told you, would you have let me meet your aunt?" We reached the end of the alley. She mustered up her courage and suddenly took a step forward. "Repeat." I turned to the door. Only then did Yu Yuan come to her senses and jogged after me. Walking me through the small alley, she occasionally stole glances at me. She couldn't help asking, "Why didn't you mention this beforehand?" I shrugged helplessly. "If I had told you, would you have let me meet your aunt?" At the end of the alley, she mustered all her courage and suddenly took a step forward and hugged me tightly. She buried her head in my chest and said softly, "Thank you." I wrapped my arms tightly around Yu Yuan. A captivating, fresh scent of peach blossoms wafted over. "Senior, my heart aches so much right now," I said. "Why? Did I hug you too tightly?" Yu Yuan immediately wanted to break free from my embrace. "I just keep thinking about all the beautiful clothes I bought for you, and Gu Qinghan gets to enjoy the view. It just makes my heart ache so much." Hearing this, Yu Yuan immediately blushed, stood on her tiptoes, and whispered in my ear, "Then when we have time, I'll wear them just for you." On the drive to the hospital, I recalled the hug from earlier, a soft sensation from her chest. The corner of my mouth was harder to suppress than an AK-47. Next, I just need to maintain a good relationship with Yu Yuan and cure her mother's illness. After she graduates, I'll directly recruit her to the Gu Corporation. I secretly glanced at Gu Qinghan. This girl doesn't even know yet that I've already broken her left and right arms. He. Noticing my gaze, Gu Qinghan glared back. For some reason, she suddenly felt a little annoyed. Half an hour later, we finally arrived at the gate of Jiangcheng Traditional Chinese Medicine Hospital. The Jiangcheng TCM Hospital consists of a main area and the Hua Tuo Pavilion. It's not open to the general public. Not just anyone can come here for treatment. Although the Hua Tuo Pavilion is also open to the public, the registration fee alone costs at least 100,000. Ordinary people simply can't afford it. The doctors at Hua Tuo Pavilion are mostly elite, retired traditional Chinese medicine doctors who have been invited back. The reason it's not all of them is because of my third sister, Gu Yuan. With her astonishing talent and solid foundation, she was recognized by all the old doctors in the pavilion. After submitting an application to the board of directors, she was given special entry straight into the Hua Tuo Pavilion. Getting out of the car, I directly pulled Gu Qinghan's wrist and led her towards the Hua Tuo Pavilion. With top-tier medical skills, I already knew what illness Gu Qinghan had. We just needed to go to the clinic and get some conditioning medicine. It was also a convenient time to remind Gu Yuan, when performing acupuncture on the patient, to be careful and check if the patient's internal organs are damaged. Gu Yuan's skills were undeniable. It's just that this patient's condition was very complicated. There was a foreign object in the body, which caused her needling to go awry. Just then, as Gu Qinghan and I walked towards the Hua Tuo Pavilion, beside us, two medical staff members rushed past, carrying a stretcher. On the stretcher was an elderly man wearing a gray Zongshan suit. "Make way. Make way. The patient is in critical condition. This is an emergency. Please move aside." Looking at the unconscious man on the stretcher, I immediately knew this was the big shot from Haicheng. The man's name was Xi Zhan. He was one of the founding heroes of the Great Shan nation. He had made illustrious contributions to the founding of the nation. Although he had retreated from the front lines now, his influence in the military was still immense. I took Gu Qinghan's hand and sped up towards the Hua Tuo Pavilion. On one side, the medical staff carried the stretcher into the pavilion. A sturdy, middle-aged man shouted into the hall, "Get the best doctor here out here now." The middle-aged man's name was Xi Yuhu. He was Xi Zhan's son. He was also currently serving in the military. From the corridors on both sides, the old traditional doctors walked out of their clinics, yawning. Just as they stepped out, among the old master physicians, a young woman wearing rimless glasses, wearing a white coat, stood out conspicuously. This person was my third sister, Gu Yuan. "Who's the best doctor here?" "My father is unconscious. Treat my father quickly." The old doctors looked at each other. They only needed to look at the attire of Xi Zhan and Xi Hu to guess that their background was not insignificant. "Yuan, take a look at this patient first and see if you can treat him." An old doctor spoke up. Hearing this, Gu Yuan nodded. "Move him to the bed over here. She's so young. Can she even read an X-ray film?" The old man's old illness has relapsed many times. "We've seen many doctors, but they were all helpless," Sihu said with a frown. In her life, Gu Yuan hated it most when people brought up gender and age. She glared at Xi Hu and said coldly, "I am taking the patient's pulse. Please be quiet." After taking the pulse, she said to Xi Hu with a cold face, "A few needles can wake him up from this illness, but for a full recovery, he'll need to come a few more times." The other old doctors also came forward one by one to take the patient's pulse and nodded in agreement with Gu Yuan. "I am sorry, young lady. I underestimated you just now. Please perform acupuncture on my old man," Sihu said apologetically. Just as Gu Yuan was sterilizing the acupuncture needles, a middle-aged woman ran over. "Eldest brother, where's father? How is he now?" The woman's name was Xiu Yixing. She was Xi Zhan's daughter. "Father is already unconscious. The situation is very critical. The doctor is preparing to perform acupuncture on him." Xi Hu pointed at Gu Yuan who was sterilizing the needles. After speaking, seeing such a young doctor, Xiu Yixing couldn't help but frown. "She's so young. Is she reliable?" She immediately stepped back halfway, revealing a young man standing behind her eldest brother. I just came from the First People's Hospital. I met this young man. I saw him use just 3 needles to cure a patient the hospital couldn't help for years, a complete cure. Hearing that father's illness had relapsed, I hurriedly invited him over. Since the acupuncture hasn't started anyway, why not let this young man handle it? The young man had sharp brows and bright eyes. His posture was straight, exuding a masculine aura. He cupped his fists and greeted Xihu. Hello, my name is Long Aotian. Sister Yuxing was too kind just now. That patient's body, under the doctor's care, had already recovered more than half. I merely activated the medicinal properties accumulated in the patient's body. Even without me, the patient would have recovered sooner or later. Xiu nodded, very satisfied with Long Aotian's modesty. His gaze turned to Gu Wan'er with a hint of hesitation. However, before he could speak, the old doctors clamored to criticize. You people, what do you mean by this? Are you here to cause trouble? We all said it can be treated, and now you're changing doctors. Are you doubting our TCM hospital? That kid? Who's your master? How many years have you studied medicine? I see you haven't even fully grown your hair yet. What the hell do you know about traditional Chinese medicine? Gu Wan'er also looked cold. Since you don't trust us, then forget it. You can borrow this examination room, but I won't be treating him anymore. Looking at Gu Wan'er's ice-cold face, Long Aotian's eyes immediately lit up. Today, Gu Wan'er was wearing a light pink knitted sweater, with a white lab coat over it, but her chest was still full. Even so, the waist is still slender, just right for an armful. Noticing Long Zhao Tian's gaze, Gu Wan'er glared at him in disgust. She pulled her lab coat tighter. Hurry up and decide. The patient's condition can't be delayed any longer, she said in a cold voice. Shi Hai Hu looked at Gu Wan'er, then at Long Zhao Tian. For a moment, he didn't know who to choose. Just let them treat him first. After all, we've already brought him to their clinic. If by any chance they can't cure him, I can take the patient's pulse again, Long Zhao Tian said humbly. Hearing Long Zhao Tian say this, Gu Wan'er snorted coldly. You won't get that chance, she said, looking at Xi Hu. Take off the patient's shirt. The shirt was removed. The countless knife slashes and gunshot wounds on Xi Zhejian's body were exposed before everyone's eyes. These scars were all testaments to his past. They were also his medals of honor. Although she was a bit dissatisfied with Xi Hu, Gu Wan'er still felt a deep sense of respect for Xi Zhan. Just as she was focusing her mind, preparing for the acupuncture, I rushed in, panting, into the clinic. Interrupted once again, Gu Wan'er glared at the door. Unexpectedly, she saw me standing there. She immediately frowned in annoyance. What are you doing here? In the original novel, Gu Wan'er never liked her ignorant younger brother, who, as the original owner, caused trouble all day long, especially when their parents favored sons over daughters, even though they knew I wasn't their biological child. They still favored me for no reason. This made her resent this younger brother even more. Can't you see I am treating a patient? You bursting in like this. What if you make me hit the wrong acupuncture point? Do you know how dangerous that is? The patients who come to our Hua Tuo clinic are either rich or noble. It's not like someone will clean up your mess every time you cause trouble. Don't forget your place. Gu Wan'er scolded. Seeing this, I pouted. I thought to myself, in the 10+ years the original owner has lived, the amount of money he squandered is nothing compared to the compensation you'll pay for this single needle. But on the surface, I still looked apologetic, apologizing profusely. I am sorry, third sister. I didn't mean to bother you. I just saw that the old man has too many wounds on his body. I suspect his internal organs might be damaged. There might still be shrapnel or something inside him. How about we take the old man for an X-ray first? The old traditional Chinese medicine doctors around naturally recognized me. But hearing me ask to use Western medical examination equipment, they all frowned. Young master, our traditional Chinese medicine focuses on observation, listening, questioning, and pulse taking. That's enough to grasp the patient's condition. Relying on those machines will instead interfere with our judgment. That's right. Young master, this is a treasure left by our ancestors. You haven't studied medical theory, so don't interfere with our diagnosis. I glared at this group of people. Actually, if they just spent a little more time taking the pulse, they would naturally discover the clues. But the old man's condition was critical, and with a Long Zhao Tian watching, they naturally wanted to cure the patient as quickly as possible. All right, shut your mouth and stand aside. Don't make a single sound. The patient can't wait any longer. If anything happens because of you, they'll tell mom and dad and kick you out of the house, Gu Wan'er said coldly. I gave Gu Wan'er 2 thumbs up. Then I turned and walked out of the clinic. Even a worm will turn when stepped on. Besides, I am not made of clay. Anyway, Gu Wan'er and that group of stubborn old men wouldn't listen no matter what I said. They needed to taste a bit of suffering. This is called respecting other people's fate. Stepping out of the clinic, I gritted my teeth in anger. If she hadn't almost killed Xi Zhan with her needle this time, leading to a compensation of tens of billions to settle the matter, I would have hated not being able to go straight home. Moreover, the compensation money was drawn from Zhu Jiyuan's card, and his supplementary card is in my hands. All things considered, it's no different from me paying tens of billions to clear Gu Wan'er's debt. Beside me, Gu Qinghan noticed I was in a bad mood. She timidly tugged at the hem of my shirt. She was worried that I was only being nice to her on a whim today. Now that I was in a bad mood, I would revert to my old self. Looking at Gu Qinghan's timid appearance, I reached out and ruffled her hair. The short hair she just got was now messy like a chicken's nest. Then I guiltily smoothed her hair back down. Brother, if you're unhappy, you can take it out on me. I am already very happy that you're taking care of Sister Yu Yuan. She looked up, offering a timid smile. I scratched my head in embarrassment. I ruffled your hair just now because I thought you were too cute. I couldn't help myself. If you don't like it, then I won't do it again. I like it. Gu Qinghan lowered her head, her cheeks blushing. I gently pinched her cheek. After third sister is done, I'll borrow her comb and comb your hair for you. Gu Qinghan excitedly clenched her hands into small fists. She felt something that was missing inside her was gradually being filled. Then I pulled Gu Qinghan to the crack in the door. We observed Gu Waner's acupuncture process in the room. Xi Zhan's body was covered in wounds. Some of the skin around the wounds had already hardened. It required great force to insert the needle. Waner's acupuncture technique was becoming more and more skillful. Her speed was also much faster. The new generation surpasses the old. I am afraid in just a few more years, once her experience becomes a bit richer, she will be able to surpass me. Miss Gu is indeed the most talented person I've ever met. The traditional Chinese medicine doctors watching all marveled in admiration. Seeing Gu Waner's professional acupuncture technique, Sei Hu and Xi Yu Jing also breathed a sigh of relief. Long Yao Tian's eyes were burning. He stared at Gu Waner without hiding it at all, especially when she bent over slightly. I could even see him tiptoeing a little. I curiously rubbed my chin on Gu Qinghan's head and asked, "What do you think of that guy?" Gu Qinghan covered her head, pouted in dissatisfaction, looked in the direction I pointed, and shook her head. She said with disgust, "He's peeping at third sister, and he keeps staring at her chest and butt. Should we warn third sister, brother?" In the original story, Gu Qinghan, due to her heaven-defying beauty, attracted Long Nao Tian's attention. Long Nao Tian both coveted her beauty and despised her past. He only maintained a physical relationship with her. Gu Qinghan was never truly loved. She mistook Long Nao Tian's superficial concern for the love she had always longed for. When the lie was exposed, she took revenge crazily and became the biggest villain in one step. Third sister is performing acupuncture. We can't disturb her, I said. Gu Qinghan nodded, then looked worried. Seeing her expression, I said helplessly, "Don't make a sound." I pulled her by the wrist into the middle of the clinic, standing right between Long Zhao Tian and Go Wan Ear. Long Zhao Tian frowned, a flash of anger on his face. But seeing that Gu Qinghan's beauty seemed to be a level higher, his eyes began to scan her back. Is he a reincarnated lecher? Seeing his gaze, I couldn't help but think. I pulled Gu Qinghan in front of me, one hand holding her wrist, the other on her shoulder. She froze for a moment, then quietly took a step back, leaning her head against my chest. I was busy watching the needle in Gu Waner's hand, so I didn't notice her small action. At this point, the acupuncture was in its final stage. Xi Zhan's limbs twitched a few times. His eyes struggled to open a small slit. Waner wiped the sweat from her forehead and pulled out the last needle. The last acupuncture point was right in the middle of the chest. As long as she inserted the needle, the patient would fully awaken. She aimed for the acupuncture point and slowly inserted the needle. Suddenly, she felt something unusual as the needle went in. It seemed to be blocked by something hard. She doubtfully checked the acupuncture point again. She hadn't missed it. Before she could think further, Xi Zhan's eyes suddenly flew open. He spat out a mouthful of fresh blood. The needle in his chest was also slowly pushed back out. Blood gushed from the needle wound. What's happening? How could this be? You said you could cure him, Si Hu said in terror. Gu Waner stammered in reply. I don't know. The acupuncture point I hit couldn't have been wrong. Gu Waner's face immediately turned pale. She wanted to check the patient's pulse again, but Xi Yu Jing slapped the back of her hand hard. You snot-nosed little brat. Do you even know what acupuncture is? Are you using my father as a guinea pig to practice your skills? Is this how your Gu family treats patients? Xi Hu pressed his hand firmly on the wound on Xi Zhan's chest. He glared angrily at the old traditional Chinese medicine doctors in front of him and roared. If my father dies today, I want your entire Gu family to be buried with him. Someone, get over here and treat him. Now, the traditional Chinese medicine doctors exchanged glances. No one dared to take a step forward. He roared. If my father dies today, I want your entire Gu family to be buried with him. Someone, get over here and treat him. Now, the traditional Chinese medicine doctors exchanged glances. No one dared to take a step forward. If Xi Zhan died now, this medical accident would become Gu Waner's sole responsibility. But once they took over, they would also have to bear half the responsibility. They had all taken Xi Zhan's pulse just now. And regarding Gu Waner's treatment method, they all thought there was no problem. It could only be said that the patient's constitution was special, and she was just the unlucky one. Gu Waner bit her lip hard. Her eyes pleaded for help from the other old doctors, but they all lowered their heads, not daring to look her in the eye. You bunch of quacks. Are you just going to stand by and watch my father die here? The old man performed meritorious deeds in the founding of Daxia, and now he's about to be killed by you, bunch of quacks. If my father dies here, not only your hospital, but all of you, prepare to be buried with him. Xiu threatened. Can you let me take the old gentleman's pulse again? Gu Waner said hastily, her eyes welling with tears. The Gu Corporation was the lifeblood of 3 generations of her family. If it was destroyed in an instant because she killed a patient, she wouldn't have the face to live on. Get lost? It's all your fault. You bitch. You're the one who put my father in this state. You damn prestigious families only like to use professions to gild your daughters so they can climb up to richer men. If you want to gild yourself, fine. But why did you have to kill my father? What are your intentions? Yu Jing roared. No. I didn't. I beg you, please give me one more chance. Gu Waner pleaded. Yu Jing snorted coldly. Give you another chance? So you can kill my father? You vicious woman. Get out of my sight. According to the original plot, Long Zhaotian would step up to save the day next and save Xi Zhan's life, but he held back, not completely curing Xi Zhan. Instead, he caused the old man's legs to become crippled. After that, he used the excuse of treatment to frequently visit the XIZ family and build a connection with them. Gu Waner, because Long Zhaotian saved her, developed a good impression of him. She used the excuse of discussing medical skills to constantly get closer to him. Although she almost killed someone this time and caused serious after effects, she fundamentally didn't dare to treat anyone anymore. This was truly a medical accident. I beg you to give me a chance to atone. Gu Waner gritted her teeth, making a move as if to kneel. At this moment, Long Zhaotian took a step forward. He said, actually, her acupuncture method just now was fine. It might be due to the patient's special constitution. Let me take his pulse and see. Gu Waner looked at Long Zhaotian gratefully. She never expected that after the incident, the old doctors at Huatuo Clinic would avoid her like the plague. Only Long Zhaotian was willing to speak up for her. Long Zhaotian took Xi Zhan's pulse. He frowned and said, because of the incident just now. Although the old gentleman can wake up, I am afraid he'll be left with crippled legs as a consequence. Hearing that he could still be saved, Xiu Jing and Xiu turned their gazes to Long Zhaotian. They hurriedly pleaded. I beg you, please save my father. As long as you can save the old man's life, it's okay if his legs are crippled. Long Zhaotian nodded. His gaze swept over the old doctors of Jiangcheng Traditional Chinese Medicine Hospital. He sneered contemptuously. Do you old geezers still need a chance to diagnose? You've practiced medicine your whole lives. Surely you can easily resolve this situation, right? The old doctors exchanged glances and lowered their heads. Now, even if they were 80% sure they could cure Xi Zhan, they wouldn't dare step forward to take his pulse. They were afraid of ruining their reputations and having to bear the responsibility for the medical accident. A kid who has never studied under a famous master, only fumbled on his own for a few years. Having studied medicine for many years, inheriting from a famous medical school, this is all you amount to. Truly. Living for so long, you've wasted it all as if a dog ate your brain. Long Zhaotian said contemptuously. Gu Waner bit her lip lightly. She gave Long Zhaotian a look of admiration. At this moment, towards this group of old doctors hiding like turtles in their shells, she also felt a bit dissatisfied. Noticing Gu Waner's gaze, Long Zhaotian glanced over. He raised an eyebrow and gave a charmingly wicked smile. Suddenly, a sudden sneer broke the silence of the clinic. You're going to cripple someone with your treatment, and you still have the gall to mock others. If that thick skin of yours isn't used as a trash bag, it's a real waste. It can hold anything. I yawned and walked up to Xi Zhan. Gubei, what on earth do you want to do? Get back here from me? Now, don't delay the patient's treatment. It's one thing for you to cause trouble normally. Mom and Dad have spoiled you rotten. The Gu family is our 3-generation legacy. If it goes bankrupt because of you, I won't let you off even in death. Gu Waner scolded angrily. That's right, young master. We already couldn't treat this patient. Now we should hand him over to someone else to see. This is a matter of life and death. We can't delay the patient's treatment. The old doctors also chimed in to persuade me. They knew I was usually uneducated and unemployed. I didn't do any proper work. But isn't this not the time to be fooling around? Just hand him over to Long Zhaotian for treatment. As long as the old man is saved, the Gu family can compensate with some money, and this matter will be over. If the old man dies, then even the Gu family might not be able to withstand the wrath of these people. Long Zhaotian looked at my youthful appearance with even more disdain. If you're not convinced, then I'll let you treat him. But let me remind you, the old man's pulse is already very weak. He can't handle you dragging this out any longer. You knew the old man was about to die, yet you kept rambling on just now. Were you waiting for him to die so you could turn around and blame us, saying we delayed your treatment? Turns out you're just a fame-hungry, profit-seeking fraud. I rolled my eyes in contempt. As I spoke, I reached out and took the old man's wrist. Just as Long Zhaotian said, the old man had lost too much blood. His pulse was extremely weak. If he wasn't treated in time, he could die at any moment. You're the fraud. I saw him treat and save people with my own eyes. Could that be fake? What does a brat like you know? Get out of my way. Make room for divine Dr. Long. Yu Jing ordered. Is this a black den? You can't cure him yourselves, and you won't let others do it either. Do you have to let a perfectly fine patient just waste away and die? Xie Hu said with a hostile tone. Gu Waner took a step forward. intending to pull me away directly. A good-for-nothing loser like you, who has never studied medicine. How could you possibly know how to treat someone? After all, you're not even mom and dad's biological child. On what basis are you in our Yu family's hospital? Now, get out of here from me. I stopped the movement in my hand. I looked deep into Gu Yuan-er's eyes. Suddenly, I grinned and said, "Third sister, the money I've squandered over the years is nothing compared to what you've wasted this time." My gaze shifted to Xia Zhan's chest, and I raised my fist. I tapped lightly on his heart. Seeing my action, everyone present was terrified, their mouths agape. "You little brat, are you looking to die?" Xia shot up from the bed and grabbed my neck. He wanted to slam me against the wall. I pressed a pressure point on Xia's hand. I escaped from the hand choking me. However, under Xia's immense strength, I was still slammed hard against the wall. I spat. If I hadn't hit the pressure point, that blow would have almost taken half my life. Xia rubbed his numb hand and continued to charge forward. But what surprised everyone was that Gu Qinghan spread her arms wide, shielding me. "You are not allowed to hit my brother." Although she was trembling with fear, her voice was incredibly firm. "Get lost. I don't hit women. My father is about to die, and that bastard just dared to hit him," Xia said angrily. Seeing Gu Qinghan shielding me, Yu Yuan also took a step forward. "Qinghan, this bastard. He has to bear the consequences of his own actions. Have you forgotten? How many bad things has he done to you in the past?" Gu Qinghan shook her head. "I don't care. He's changed now. Silly girl, he just wants our family's money. That's why he's deliberately trying to win you over. All of us sisters know his character. Only mom and dad still defend him. Otherwise, he would have been kicked out of the house long ago. Do you know what his action just now is called? It's called intentional homicide. The patient's body is so weak. A punch like that from him could very well kill him on the spot." Long Jiao took the opportunity to add fuel to the fire. "I knew it. Such a beautiful girl. How could she have such a vicious-hearted younger brother? Turns out he's a mutt adopted from the outside. It seems he knows he can't get the money, so he wants to destroy you." Hearing this, the Jew family members, Gu Yuan seemed to have a sudden realization and looked at me. She sighed and said, "I originally thought you were just unbearably rebellious. I never thought you'd even dare to kill someone. Wait till I get back. I'll tell mom and dad to kick you out of the Gu family." Gu Qinghan shook her head. She said stubbornly, "Don't call me your sister. You've never cared about me. If he leaves, then I'll go with him." Gu Yuan laughed coldly. "A mutt," looking at the scene of sibling affection before her. "A wild girl. It's good that you two are leaving the Gu family." I patted the head of Gu Qinghan, who was bristling like a lion cub. I folded her outstretched arms. I thought to myself, this girl's affection wasn't wasted on me. In the situation just now, the people around wouldn't let me treat him slowly. For Xia Zhan, the only way was to take a risky move, to directly use strong medicine. Only by showing them the effective treatment would they shut up. With a cold gaze, I glared at Gu Yuan. I said mockingly, "Stop your rambling. Your mouth is as if it's coated in poison. Trying to use hysteria to cover up your mistake. Don't even dream of it. Even if my punch killed this old man, don't forget that you were the one who put the needle in him first. If the Gu Corporation goes under, it's all your fault." I glanced again at the murderous-looking Sai Hu. "Are you sure you don't need me to treat the old man, right?" Xie Hu snorted coldly. "What the hell do you know about treatment? If the old man dies, I'll make you be buried with him today." I had no choice but to shrug and say nonchalantly, "Well, it seems I am not needed then." My gaze shifted to the old doctor beside me. "Find me a comb." The old doctors exchanged glances. Their eyes couldn't help but glance at the face of Gu Yuan, which was darkening just now. During the argument, Gu Yuan had revealed that I wasn't a biological child of the Gu family. They couldn't risk offending her. To get me a comb. I sighed softly. A tiger in the plains is bullied by dogs. A featherless phoenix is no better than a chicken. I tugged Gu Qinghan's wrist and pouted towards him. Gu Qinghan understood and nodded. She said to the old doctor, "Find me a comb." The old doctors looked at each other. Both were young misses of the Gu family. They didn't dare offend either one. Just as the atmosphere started to become tense, Xiu Jing suddenly shouted, "Big brother, look. Isn't father out of danger anymore?" A moment ago, everyone's eyes were on me. Only now did they realize in astonishment that not only had Xian stopped spitting blood, but his complexion had also become a little rosier. Could it be that the young master was treating him just now? Have any of you heard that the young master studied medicine? Isn't it said that the young master is a good-for-nothing, who causes trouble all day long? Then how could he cure an illness that the third miss couldn't? It's not a case of the patient's final burst of energy before death, is it? The old doctors speculated one after another. Gu Yuan looked at Xie in astonishment. She wanted to take his pulse again, but before she could step forward, Xiu Jing's glare shot over. "Little divine doctor, please take a look. Has the old gentleman's condition improved?" She looked towards Long Jiaotian and asked. Long Jiaotian placed his hand to take the pulse. He found that Xie Zhan's pulse was indeed a bit stronger than before. He looked at me in astonishment, hesitated for a long time, and finally gave a slight nod. I looked at Gu Yuan and said with a smile, "Now, Can you find me a comb? Gu Wanner's face was grim. If you have a way to cure that patient, then hurry up and cure him now. Don't forget, everything you have was given to you by the Gu family. If the Gu family goes bankrupt, don't expect to live in peace either. I shrugged helplessly and replied, didn't Dr. Gu say it herself? You have to bear the consequences of your own mistakes. The young master clearly just wanted to help the third miss. He was just pointed at and scolded. Who would feel good about that now? Didn't the third miss also say the young master isn't part of the Gu family and even wanted to kick him out? The young master is really too pitiful. He was repaid with ingratitude for his kindness. The old doctors whispered among themselves. Gu Wan'er's face turned pale and then green. She glared fiercely at them, immediately silencing them. Hearing that the old man's condition had improved, Xiu walked up to me, scratching his head in embarrassment. Sorry, he apologized. Brother, I was too agitated just now. If you wanted to treat the old man, you could have just told me beforehand. We wouldn't have had such a big misunderstanding, right? I couldn't help but sneer. Am I crazy to want to treat him? Have you all forgotten how you treated me just now? I pointed to the camera in the corner. If you've forgotten, this thing can help you remember. Let me state it again. You didn't misunderstand me. Just now. I only wanted to see if the old man's body was sturdy. After all, the quack doctor you brought can also treat the old man. At worst, he'll just be bedridden, right? It's not like you can't afford to hire a caregiver. Hearing my words, Long Yao Tian glared fiercely at me. He could totally cure him. He just wanted to use Xia Zhan to climb up and get connected with the Xia family in Haicheng. That's why he didn't want to cure him completely in one go. Hearing the sarcasm, on the faces of Xia Hu and Xia Yujing, a look of immense joy appeared. Brother, you mean you can completely cure the old man, right? I snorted coldly. Without answering, I gently took Gu Qinghan's hand. I said with some guilt. I accidentally messed up your hair again just now. There's no comb here. So let's go home first. Seeing that we really wanted to leave, Xiu hurriedly stepped forward to stop us. Brother, it was all my fault just now. I beg you to save my father. As long as my father is cured, within my capabilities, I can agree to any of your conditions. Xi Yujing, also from her handbag, took out a jade comb. She placed it in Gu Qinghan's hand. Such a beautiful little sister. Consider this comb a meeting gift from me, your auntie. Gu Qinghan looked towards me. She wasn't unreasonable. If I didn't agree, she wouldn't accept the gift from the woman in front of her. You decide, I said gently. Gu Qinghan thought for a moment. Although they didn't treat us well just now, but they really love their father and brother. Can we help them, brother? And just like that, I took the jade comb that Xi Yujing handed over and casually placed it in Gu Qinghan's hand. After the acupuncture is done in a moment, I'll comb your hair. This bird's nest of a head. Gu Qinghan snorted softly. She complained in a low voice. Isn't it because you messed it up? At this moment, my gaze shifted to Gu Wanner. I said coldly, prepare a set of acupuncture needles for me. Get him a set of needles. Gu Wanner gritted her teeth. She ordered the old doctor beside her. In her impression, this younger brother was a good-for-nothing, always causing trouble. But only today did she discover. Not only did I understand medicine, but it seemed my skills might even be superior to hers. This made it completely difficult for her to accept for a moment. A set of needles was quickly sterilized and handed to me. I briefly inspected it. I began to accurately perform acupuncture on Xia Zhan. As I picked up the needle, I hesitated for a moment, then suddenly stopped my hand. What's wrong? Is there a problem? Brother, if you have any other requests, just say it. As long as I can do it, I'll definitely do my best to help you. Xiu said anxiously. I shook my head and looked at Gu Wanner. I said, so you can die with a clear understanding. Come here and take the patient's pulse. Gu Wanner had long wanted to take Xia Zhan's pulse, to see where exactly she went wrong with the acupuncture. It's just that Xiu and Xia Yujing suspected it was her, who had worsened the old man's condition, so they had always been wary of her. Her eyes looked hesitantly towards Xiu and Xia Yujing. Seeing that, although their faces were unhappy, they didn't stop her. My brother told you to come and take the pulse. What are you still standing there for? Xiu snorted coldly. Look at your brother's character. You insulted him like that just now, yet he's still thinking of passing on his medical knowledge to you, having such a younger brother, and you don't even cherish him. You even wanted to kick him out of the house. If your Gu family doesn't want him, our Xie family can adopt him. Xia Yujing shouted. I smiled slightly. Thank you for the kind offer. My parents are very good to me. As long as they don't kick me out, I won't leave the Gu family. Gu Wanner took Xia Zhan's pulse again. Other than being a little weaker than before, there wasn't a significant difference. But during the pulse-taking process, she suddenly recalled what I had said while leaning on the door. Seeing the many scars on the patient, I reminded you to pay attention to the patient's internal organs, whether there were any remaining shrapnel fragments or something. Suddenly, Gu Wanner's eyes lit up. She reached out and felt the old man's body. At the location of the last needle insertion, she felt a tiny hard object inside the old man's body. That hard object was extremely small, probably just a tiny bit larger than the tip of a silver needle. In an instant, she understood everything. No wonder when she was performing acupuncture earlier, the last silver needle entering the old man's body didn't feel right. Recalling how she had just yelled at me, her cheeks flushed hot. Just now. I am sorry. she said in a small voice. After knowing the reason, she was now completely confident she could cure this old man. I paid no attention to her apology. I just held the silver needle over the old man's body, pointing at a few acupoints. Then I looked towards Long Aotian and asked, should I insert the needles at these points? You quack. Do you have any better ideas? Long Aotian frowned, not understanding my intention. Shi Yujing thought I was with Long Aotian, discussing a better treatment plan. She looked anxiously at Long Aotian. Little divine doctor, is that right? Do you have a better treatment plan? Long Aotian shook his head. If it were me, I would also insert the needles like that. Xi Yujing breathed a sigh of relief. Since both of them agreed, it proved that this acupuncture method was definitely the best solution at present. Next, before inserting each needle, I would always ask for Long Aotian's opinion first, giving everyone the impression that he had some talent, but not a lot, until the final needle was inserted. The old man's eyes slowly opened. Xisu immediately knelt before Xian. His eyes were red with excitement. Dad, how are you feeling now? Are you better? Si Yujing squatted by the bed, her face full of worry. Dad, what exactly is wrong with you? When I heard from Big Brother that you were in a coma, I was almost scared to death. Although Shijan was weak, his eyes still held a dignified look as he scolded Xihu. What kind of man cries like that? It's disgraceful. When you get home, run 30 kilometers with weights for me. However, when talking to Xi Yujing, his tone became much gentler. It's just some old ailments. Just now, I even saw your mother. She asked me how you children are doing now. I told her. The son is still as useless as ever, but the daughter resembles her more and more as she grows up. His eyes were gentle, as if looking through Xi Yujing to see the image of another person. Suddenly, he felt something was wrong. His brows furrowed slightly as he looked down at his legs. What's wrong, Dad? The two of them noticed the old man's abnormality. My legs can't exert any strength. It feels like they're paralyzed. I'll probably regain strength after eating some meat at home, Xian said. Seeing this, Xihu looked at me and asked doubtfully, you said you could completely cure the old man. Then he shifted his gaze to Long Aotian. You quack. You could even cure his coma earlier. Just this one thing. Letting out the bruised blood in his leg, and clearing the meridians a bit. You can't cure that? Long Aotian clenched his teeth tightly, his hands balled into fists. Only now did he understand why I had repeatedly asked him how to perform acupuncture earlier. Long Aotian clenched his teeth tightly, his hands balled into fists. Only now did he understand why I had repeatedly asked him how to perform acupuncture earlier. The previous needling was also his plan. If he said he could cure it, wouldn't that mean he knew the entire treatment plan for the old man? Then, his previous statement that the old man would end up disabled. Wouldn't that expose his intention to leverage the favor for his own gain and profit from the Xi family? He took a deep breath. He shook his head slightly, saying shamefully, this humble one has no school or sect. I've only fumbled around on my own for a few years. There are some conditions I haven't researched yet. In that instant, Go Weiner's gaze towards Long Aotian did not hide her disgust at all. To people like Xi Ho and Xi Yujing, they might think it's a matter of specialized skills, but for a student of traditional Chinese medicine like her, the old man's current condition could only be considered basic knowledge. As the young lady of a wealthy family, she immediately understood the hidden implications. As long as the old man wasn't cured, Long Aotian could continuously demand benefits from the Xi family. The Gu family would also be helpless, letting Long Aotian leech off them forever. She really wanted to expose this villain on the spot, but she knew that her words now had no persuasive power at all, just as Gu Wanner predicted. Xi Hu and Xi Yujing didn't feel anything was amiss. They looked at me and said, Brother, we have to trouble you again. I shrugged. Looking at Xi Yujing and Xi Ho, I said, it's no trouble. The rest are just minor ailments. They are all basic skills in traditional Chinese medicine. Everyone here can treat the old man. Auntie. In the future, don't just randomly trust those street corner divine doctors. Being scammed out of money is one thing, but delaying treatment can be fatal. Zi Yujing glanced at Long Aotian. At this point, a little suspicion also arose. She began to suspect whether Long Aotian had just gotten lucky by encountering a textbook case and was only able to cure the patient because of that, or perhaps he was actually holding back his skills, wanting to use this opportunity to latch onto the Xi family. Seeing that Xi Yujing had become suspicious of Long Aotian, I added more fuel to the fire. I took Gu Weiner's hand and pushed her forward. Let her make up for the mistake she just made herself. Go Weiner looked at me in surprise, not expecting that I would be willing to give her a chance to prove herself. Shi Yujing and Xi Hu frowned. They clearly didn't have much faith in Gu Wanner. Looking at Xi Zhan, I asked, Old sir, the matter of the shrapnel fragments still in your chest. Do your children know about it? Xi Hu was stunned. He asked in confusion, Dad, you still have shrapnel in your chest? Xi Zhan snorted coldly. What's the use of telling you? So many famous doctors have seen it and said it can't be removed. Even if you knew, could you take it out? Xi Hu shrank back. Dad, I was just concerned about you. I don't need your concern. My body is still very strong. Just focus on your training and serve the motherland soon. Don't bring shame to our Xi family. Xi Zhan shouted. As for me, I looked at XIZ Jean and complained with dissatisfaction. Even your own son doesn't know about your physical condition. As a result, you fell into a coma, and there was no one to even tell us. Do you know how many medical accidents happen each year because patients hide their medical history? If you die, so be it. You're old anyway. But do you know that killing a patient during treatment causes immense psychological trauma for the doctor just because of you? The future hope of Great Sai's medical field was almost cut short. After hearing my explanation, Si Yujing and Xie Hu finally understood. It turned out it wasn't that Gu Weiner's medical skills were poor, but that their old father's body had a special condition. Gu Weiner lowered her head and bit her lip gently. She didn't expect that not only did I help her explain, but my words also showed concern for whether this incident would leave her with psychological trauma. A deep sense of guilt welled up in her heart. I didn't think that much. I just wanted to clear Gu Weiner of responsibility. In the old man's medical incident, after all, the compensation money would be my money. My money? I paused for a moment. I continued to wail and accuse. You clearly hid the medical records yourselves, which led to the medical incident, and your son even threatened to make our entire Gu family be buried with you. Our Gu family, for better or worse, provides 1 million jobs for Jiangcheng if our Gu family falls. Are those 1 million people supposed to go drink the northwest wind? Xi Zhan's face turned red from the scolding. He turned to look at Xi Ho and roared angrily. You've got some nerve, you little brat. If I don't beat you for 3 days, you'll climb onto the roof and tear off the tiles. You even dare to threaten others. His head looked left and right, as if looking for something. Xi Ho shrank back embarrassedly. He pleaded, Dad, there are outsiders here. I stood beside them and gave a timely reminder. Old sir. He said to use his belt. Spare the rod, spoil the child. If your son is disobedient, a good beating or 2 will make him behave. Xie Zhan seemed to understand, holding out his hand towards Xie Hu. Xie Yu shot me a resentful look. He didn't expect this kid to hold such a grudge, so he silently took off his belt and handed it to Xie Zhan. This belt was made of genuine cowhide. It was very tough. When swung, it whistled through the air. Old sir, let me apply some iodine to the belt for you. It wouldn't be good if you beat your son and he gets an infection. But your family is a military family. You absolutely cannot spoil your children, letting them develop the habit of bullying others with their power. We are in a hospital. The best doctors in Jiangcheng are here. You just need to leave him with one breath, and we can save him. Enjoying the show? I gloated. Xie Zhan nodded. The belt swung, creating a whistling sound. It lashed down on Xie Hu's back with sharp cracks. Xie Yu gritted his teeth, refusing to make a sound. At this moment, his gratitude towards me had vanished into thin air. Only a belly full of resentment remained. This kid is truly black-hearted. Dad, you haven't fully recovered. Don't overexert yourself. Big brother just made a mistake out of worry. Si Yujing tried to persuade him. Seeing that the lesson was mostly taught, I chimed in. Old sir, calm down. It's hard to exert force while sitting. Wait until your leg is treated. It'll be more convenient for you to hit him then. Look. Big brother didn't make a sound just now. He's clearly not convinced and still hasn't admitted his mistake. This child will be spoiled if you don't hit him more. Hearing my words, Xi Hu's jaw dropped in astonishment. He had undergone professional training to endure beatings, even if he were captured as a prisoner of war. He would absolutely not reveal a single word. This iron will was slandered by me as a sign of defiance. Xi Zhan threw the belt aside, clutching his chest and panting. He turned to me and asked, You said that girl can cure my leg? I nodded. Let me introduce you. This is my third sister, Gu Weiner. This kid's meager medical skills were all picked up from her. All right, that girl. Could you please come over and take a look for me? Xi Zhan said. Gu Weiner stepped forward and cautiously took the old man's pulse again. Her initial confidence had been eroded by the recent accident. Each time before inserting a needle, she would glance at me as if for confirmation. After 2 glances, I decisively pulled over a chair and began to comb Gu Qinghan's hair myself. Gu Qinghan seemed to be in a very good mood, sitting on the chair. Her slender legs dangled and swung gently in the air. Her head would occasionally sway along. Gu Weiner saw that I was ignoring her. She sighed softly. She knew I was still angry now. It was only out of consideration for our shared face that I didn't embarrass her in front of outsiders. And yet, earlier, she had thrown my face and self-respect to the ground and trampled on it. I must find a way to make it up to him later. When I go home in a few days, I'll ask Mom and Dad when Xiao Bei started learning medicine, and also find out what Xiao Bei likes. As each silver needle was inserted, Xi Zhan felt a tingling sensation in his legs, and soon regained feeling. Seeing Gu Weiner remove the last silver needle and nod at him, Sai Zizhan held the edge of the bed and slowly stood up. Seeing his father recover, Sai Ho was moved to tears. He hurried forward to support him. Xi Zhan trembled. He picked up the belt that had been thrown aside and shouted, You little brat. The older you get, the thicker your skin becomes, huh? I am teaching you a lesson, and you still dare to be defiant? After another long and loving educational session, Xi Hu had wised up now. Every time Xi Zhan whipped him, he would let out a low, muffled groan, as if he wanted to endure it but really couldn't. Xi Zhan whipped him twice and started to feel a bit of pity. so he tossed the belt aside. Sooner or later, this brat of yours is going to anger me to death, he snorted coldly. Yu changed his expression to a fawning smile. Dad, you have to live to be 100. Don't say such unlucky things. Yu Jing from her handbag, took out 2 checks and looked at Long Aocean. Thank you. Little divine doctor, it was troublesome for you to come with me from the One People's Hospital to the traditional Chinese medicine hospital. A small token of my appreciation. I hope you'll accept it. Looking at the check for a mere 100,000 yuan, Long Aocean's brows furrowed slightly, then immediately returned to normal. Sister Yu Jing, I didn't actually treat the old man. How could I dare accept your payment? Yu Jing had been observing Long Aocean's expression all along. Long Aocean's small movement naturally did not escape her notice. A bit of displeasure immediately arose in her heart, but on the surface, she still smiled and said, I can't let you follow me for nothing. Long Aocean wanted to say a few more words to get closer to the Xi family, but Yu Jing didn't give him this chance. She turned and walked up to me. I heard them say your name is Gu Bei. I'll take the liberty of calling you Xiao Bei. Okay, my older brother was indeed a bit hot-headed just now. I apologize to you on his behalf. Thank you for saving my father. This is 10 million. Please accept it, Yu Jing said sincerely. After speaking, she also observed my expression and demeanor. My face immediately broke into a smile, as if the unpleasantness from before had never happened. Oh, this is too much. Although my mouth said that, my hand was very honest and grabbed the 10 million check. After taking the check, I even waved it in front of Gu Qinghan and said proudly, I've earned 10 million. See? Am I cool or what? Gu Qinghan looked at me with a face full of admiration. A sweet smile also appeared on her face, as if remembering something. I walked up to Yu Jing and handed back the 10 million check. Yu Jing, can you change this into 25 to million checks for me? Yu Jing was stunned, but still took out her checkbook and wrote 25 to million checks. I took the checks and stuffed one into Gu Qinghan's hand. I ruffled her little head. Now you're a little rich lady too. Looking at my appearance, Yu Jing couldn't help but chuckle. It's better for children to act like children. She glanced at Long Aocean. He was clearly around Xiao Bei's age, yet he called her sister. Compared to my unpretentious way of addressing her, Long Aocean seemed too worldly and mature. As for Long Aocean, he was grinding his teeth in hatred. Originally, that 10 million and the relationship with the Xi family were all his. He didn't expect a spoiler to jump out halfway and steal everything from him. I paid no mind to these things. Looking at the check in my hand, I then looked at Xi Zhan. I said hesitantly, Old sir, how about I take the shrapnel out of your chest for you? Otherwise, I won't feel at ease taking this money. When Hu and Yu Jing heard this, their faces changed. Can you really help my father take the shrapnel out of his chest? They asked in unison. They knew, with their father's status, if it was said, it couldn't be removed. It meant that all the famous doctors in the country had seen it and unanimously concluded it couldn't be removed. As for Xi Zhan, he was also surprised and said, Kid, removing this shrapnel requires surgery. The old TCM doctors of Huatuo Hall also tried to dissuade me in unison. They even winked at me, signaling, Young master, surgery is different from acupuncture. A small mistake can easily be fatal. It's one thing to say you're a self-taught genius in TCM, but surgery requires a lot of practical experience. Du Wanner pulled my shoulder, stood on her toes, and leaned into my ear, whispering, waking the old man from his coma, has already made them owe our Ju family a great debt. If anything happens to the old man during the surgery, not only will we lose the favor, we might even create an enemy. Is it worth it? I only felt a soft sensation pressing against me, and a warm, tingling breeze blew past my ear. I have to say, Gu Weiner's beauty and figure are both top-notch, even a few notches more beautiful than the current Gu Qinghan. I took 2 steps back, putting some distance between me and Gu Wanner. I looked at Xiu and said, take the old man for an x-ray first. In the end, it's up to the old man to decide anyway. There's a first time for everything. Don't worry, I won't get nervous. A hesitant look appeared on Xi's face. He asked, if we don't take it out, how long can my father live? I took Xi Zhan's pulse again and said, about 3 years. His body probably won't be able to hold on anymore. In the original plot, Xi Zhan also passed away after 3 years. Then in 3 years, I'll bring my father to have the shrapnel removed. Shi Hu said honestly. I sighed softly and looked at Xi Zhan. Xi Zhan's face flushed red. He snorted coldly. Take me for an x-ray. It's rare to meet someone bold enough to operate on me. Other doctors see my condition and all run away. Even if I die, I'll be content. None of you are to give them a hard time. Hearing Xi Zhan's words, I praised. The old sir is truly magnanimous. I looked at the group of old TCM doctors, then looked at Gu Weiner and shook my head. I said, a cowardly soldier is one man. A cowardly general makes the whole army cowards. The director should resign. Replace him with someone who dares to act. I know you want to protect yourselves, but whether to treat or not, and how to treat, should be decided by the patient. After speaking, I went to the medicine cabinet and grabbed a few doses of Chinese medicine. I handed them to an old TCM doctor, Brew these medicines. Add a lot of honey and cane sugar. XIZ, Jean frowned. This old man has been eating for half a lifetime. I don't need honey and cane sugar. This is for my little sister to drink. I explained with a smile. As if remembering something, I instructed the doctor who had just taken the medicine. Also prescribe a few doses of qi and blood tonifying medicine for the old man. The old man isn't afraid of bitterness. Give him a bit more coptis to clear heat and detoxify. XIZ Jean gritted his teeth. Although I am not afraid of bitterness, there's no need to deliberately seek it out. I took XI Jean. Half an hour later, we got his X-ray film. On the film, it could be seen, there were 3 shrapnel fragments left in his body, all located in his heart and lungs, and in extremely dangerous positions. If injuries like these were on someone else, even one would be fatal enough. Yet the old man endured it 3 times, and still survived. It's truly a miracle. Seeing the X-ray, Gu Wanner couldn't help but frown. The doctors of Huachuo Hall also shook their heads and sighed. These 3 locations are indeed very difficult to handle. The surgical risk is extremely high. Actually, the patient just needs to maintain a calm state of mind and avoid strenuous exercise. He can probably live for another 2 years. XEU asked anxiously. So can you take them out or not? What's the probability of a cure? No one spoke. They just looked at each other and then shook their heads in unison. This wasn't about playing it safe, but that their own medical skills were not up to par. Considering the location of the shrapnel, to remove even one piece would be nothing short of a miracle. And such a miracle would need to happen 3 times in a row. Seeing everyone's frowning faces, XI Jean also smiled wryly and shook his head. Forget it. Forget it. This old man accepts his fate. Beside him, Si Yujing clenched her fists tightly. She looked unwillingly towards me. Can Xiaobei take the shrapnel out? I frowned deeply. I opened my mouth to ask, old sir, right now when you breathe and your heart beats, it must hurt a lot, right? Hearing these words, everyone's eyes turned to him. When it's a matter of life and death, who cares about whether it hurts or not? When Xi Xian heard my words, he laughed instead. Before, anyone who saw the shrapnel in his body, their eyes would be filled with sorrow and sympathy. He didn't expect only this kid to be concerned about him. I heard you're not the Gu family's biological son, he asked. Hearing Xi Xian's words, Gu Qinghan and Gu Weiner approached cautiously. Gu Qinghan even gently took my arm. In the house. Now, I was the only one willing to treat her well. If I leave, she'll have to go back to those dark days. I raised an eyebrow and said with a smile, this old man, don't you think about sowing discord among us. Mom and Dad treat me very well. Even though I skip school every day to go to bars and flirt with girls, they still believe I am a good kid. I grabbed Gu Qinghan's wrist, raised it, and shook it a couple of times. You see, my family can't bear to part with me. Hearing me call her family, Gu Qinghan blushed slightly. She also nodded gently. A trace of warmth rose in her heart. Is this what it feels like to have a family? Xi Zhan pouted. If the family relationship wasn't good, I could still interject. But if the relationship is harmonious, one shouldn't do things that break up a family. Seeing this, I rolled my eyes and suddenly said with a smile, Grandpa Xi, I have another idea. After all, my grandfather has already passed away. Why don't you adopt my father? Adopt 1. Get 7 free. Each one is as adorable as me. What do you think? Hearing me call her family, Gu Qinghan blushed slightly. She also nodded gently. A trace of warmth rose in her heart. Is this what it feels like to have a family? Xi Zhan pouted. If the family relationship wasn't good, I could still interject. But if the relationship is harmonious, one shouldn't do things that break up a family. Seeing this, I rolled my eyes and suddenly said with a smile, Grandpa Xie, I have another idea. After all, my grandfather has already passed away. Why not adopt my father? Adopt 1. Get 7 free. Each one is as adorable as me. What do you think? The Xi family's upbringing is strict. I went through so much trouble to transmigrate here. I absolutely cannot enter the Xi household. If every day's activities have to follow rules, balanced nutrition, diligent studies, daily progress, then what's the point of revenge? Xi Zhan heard me call him Grandpa. He was a little pleased in his heart. But when he heard what followed, his face immediately fell. This move of helping your dad find a dad. Truly one of a kind. Grandpa Xi, my grandfather was also a soldier back in the day. My father respects military men the most in this life. Moreover, it's a legend with illustrious achievements like you, Xiaobei. Stop making things difficult for the old man. But Xiaobei isn't wrong. My father respects military men the most in this life. If we have this honor, we hope to invite everyone to our house for a visit. Gu Wanner chimed in. Xi Zhan thought for a moment. Then once this old man recovers, he'll come and trouble you. I let out a soft sigh. I couldn't help but feel it was a bit of a pity. In the original novel, one of the important reasons why the Gu group went bankrupt was the lack of a strong backer. After Long Aotian connected with the Xi family, he used the Xi family's connections to invest in the Gu family's company and frantically destroyed the Gu group. But the Gu group couldn't fight back strongly. They could only watch as the company's business was stolen step by step, ultimately leading to bankruptcy. All right, old man, you go prepare for surgery, then go sign 3 life and death waivers, 1 copy for the hospital, to file. one spare copy, and one copy for you all to keep and film another video, to avoid you not owning up to it and causing me trouble later. Hearing this, the corner of Xi Zhan's mouth twitched. I didn't expect this kid to change his tune faster than flipping a book. Just a moment ago, he was calling me Grandpa Xi. The next second, I became that old man. He angrily gritted his teeth. He glared at me fiercely. Although this grandson was very much to his liking, he was also really good at pissing people off. I didn't think it was a big deal. I passed over the 3 surgical risk consent forms and even took out the latest pineapple phone. I filmed a short video. After confirming that the video and handwriting were both clear, I waved my hand. All right, prepare for anesthesia. Time for surgery. As Xie Zhan left, Yu Yuan approached again. Xiao Bei, have you ever performed surgery before? I frowned and said in a distant tone, Dr. Gu, I am just a bastard. I am not worthy of standing in the same place as a great miss like you. After saying that, I told Gu Qinghan not to wander off, and also began pre-operative preparations. Gu Wan pursed her lips. She watched my retreating back. Waves of bitterness rose in her heart. She took a deep breath and silently vowed in her heart, I must earn Xiao Bei's forgiveness. On the other side, Xi Zhan's status was astounding. The traditional medicine hospital had summoned all its most professional medical staff to serve him. When they saw the chief surgeon was actually a young man, they couldn't help but frown. I quickly used my professional technique to win over everyone present. Gu Wan'er, as the assistant nurse in the operating room, watched my entire surgical process in amazement. My thinking was extremely clear, my technique steady, as if I had performed tens of thousands of surgeries. Outside the operating room, Si Hu paced back and forth anxiously, unable to stop for even a moment. Sister, do you think Dad's injury can be cured? Si Yujing's eyes were red-rimmed. She said with a choked voice, I just sent Dad's x-rays to a doctor friend of mine abroad. He said that, looking at the position of these 3 shrapnel fragments, not touching them is the best option. With current medical technology, it's fundamentally impossible to remove the shrapnel, but if he continues to live, the patient will have to endure unimaginable pain every day. Yu stood there, dazed. He couldn't bear to see his father die, yet he didn't want to see his father continue to suffer. His eyes immediately turned red. He knew that when his father decided on the surgery, he had already made his choice. Go, Qing Han sat with her back straight on the chair in front of the operating room. Seeing the sad expressions on Xi Yu Jing and Xi Yu, hesitated for a moment, then took out 2 candies from her pocket. Here, this is for you, uncle. My brother bought this for me. My brother said the grandpa's illness can definitely be cured. Ji Yu Jing took the candy. The tears in her eyes streamed down. Big brother, Xiao Bei can definitely cure Dad. Yeah. Xi Yu sighed and said, the position of the shrapnel in Xi Zhan's body was very special. When removing the shrapnel, even a 1 millimeter injury could cause the patient's death. I was extremely careful with every incision, along with 3 clinking sounds. 3 pieces of shrapnel the size of a child's fingernail were removed and placed on the tray. The most difficult part of the shrapnel removal was over. Next was just suturing the wound. I never thought that performing a surgery could be so exhausting. The suturing speed was extremely fast, as if I had done it tens of thousands of times. I quickly finished the surgery to everyone's astonishment. The operating room light finally went out. I was panting. I sat slumped on the floor. Xi Hu and Xi Yu Jing were outside. Seeing the operating room door open, they rushed in. Xi Hu's eyes were bloodshot. He knelt down beside his father and sobbed softly. Jiu Qinghan, meanwhile, was searching for me in the operating room. She saw me sitting on the floor, drenched in sweat. She took a tissue to wipe my sweat. Brother, are you okay? She asked with a bit of heartache. I shook my head and said with a wicked grin, quick, help me up. I have to film this scene of a filial son and loving father. Xi Ho was collapsed by Xi Zhan's operating table, initially holding back. Then he began to sob quietly. I held up my phone and filmed everything from wide shots to medium shots to close-ups, capturing all of Xi Hu's movements and expressions. Xi Yu Jing was also very sad at first, but seeing my actions, she glanced doubtfully at the machine next to the operating table and saw that the patient's heartbeat had not stopped at all. A look of excitement gradually appeared on her face. Xiao Bei, was my father's surgery a success? Shh. I nodded gently, seeing my reaction. Si Yu Jing's jaw dropped in astonishment. At this moment, Gu Wan brought over the tray with the shrapnel. Si Yu Jing stared blankly at the tray. 3 pieces of shrapnel the size of a thumb. Tears streamed down her face uncontrollably. She didn't dare to imagine these shrapnel fragments inside the body. What kind of torment he must have endured every moment. This is a miracle in medical history. Gu Wan praised. She gave me a look full of admiration. After collecting enough video material, I finally remembered to give Xi Hu a heads up. I patted his shoulder. Big bro. In about 2 hours, my grandpa will be able to see with his own eyes. The scene of you mourning him. Should I buy you 2 belts in advance to have ready? Xi Hu wiped his tears and looked up at me in confusion. He thought to himself, how come I know every word he's saying? But when put together, I don't quite understand it. He looked at Xi Yu Jing again and saw that although her eyes were teary, she had a triumphant smile. Big brother, Dad is fine. According to Xiao Bei, he should wake up in about 2 hours. Xiu Jing said with a smile. Hearing these words, Xi Hao excitedly gave me a bear hug. Thank you, thank you. The old man has suffered too much in his life. He's finally lived to see the day our nation is strong and prosperous. I was in so much pain, I grimaced. I yelled, I just finished surgery. This old body of mine is about to be dismantled by you. Men and women shouldn't be so close. Don't you know? Xihu let go of me, scratching his head in embarrassment. I was too excited just now. The old man still needs to be hospitalized for observation for a few days. He'll be back in the next few days. I looked up at the sky. It was getting late. Everyone should go eat soon. After saying that, I changed out of my surgical gown and went to Gu Qinghan, asking, Are you hungry? Gu Qinghan shook her head. She took a milk candy from her pocket and placed it in my hand. I tossed the milk candy into my mouth and casually flicked her forehead. I reminded her, from now on, don't eat too many snacks before meals. If you don't eat properly, you won't grow tall. Gu Qinghan was currently a bit malnourished. Her figure was a bit too thin. Her cold and fragile appearance was heart-wrenching. She held her forehead and nodded, smiling lightly. I'll listen to you. Let's go. I'll take you to eat. Goodbye. I was just lecturing Gu Qinghan about eating properly, but Jiangcheng at night is not a place for eating properly. The roadside barbecue stall was bustling with people, charcoal grilling beef and lamb. The fragrant aroma was intoxicating to me. My gaze wavered. I hesitated. In the end, I stopped the car and cleared my throat. I said, Today, I'll take you to splurge on a meal first, eating properly. Well, start that tomorrow. I paused, then added, starting with you. After saying that, I pulled Gu Qinghan's wrist and went to the roadside barbecue stall. I have to say, the grilled beef here, although not as good as steak, and the environment isn't as good as a restaurant's, but for barbecue, you have to sit on the sidewalk, enjoying the night breeze, occasionally inhaling a few whiffs of car exhaust to get the full experience. Add a glass of 82 ice-cold soda. All the days, troubles, and frustrations immediately disappeared. Ding changed the original plot of the book. Cured Xi Zhan's illness. Reward. Musical talent. Top tier. I was chewing on a secret recipe chicken leg when such a message suddenly appeared in my mind. I checked the time. I guess the old man had probably woken up. Could it be that changing someone else's plot can also earn a reward? Whatever. I shook my head. Anyway, being rich is my biggest selling point. As for everything else, it's all just a bonus. As the top second-generation rich kid of Jiangcheng, a famous playboy, I don't need to learn any skills to please others. It's always been others pleasing me. By the time we got home, it was almost 10 p.m. Xiao Bei, you're back? Hearing the door open, Jiang Zuyue looked up at the door. Sneaking in failed. I embarrassedly ducked my head. I walked into the living room like a child who had done something wrong. Dad, Mom, you're still awake? I greeted them. Gu Qinghan tugged at the corner of my shirt and also mumbled a greeting. Jiang Zuyue saw her expression and couldn't help but frown. All day long, you don't study. All you know is how to fool around outside, just like a wild child. You don't even know how to greet people when you come home. You have no manners at all. She immediately looked at me and said gently, Xiao Bei, are you tired from playing outside today? I'll have Auntie Wang heat up a glass of milk for you, so you can sleep well tonight. Oh, heat up a glass for Qinghan too. I turned and patted Gu Qinghan's head. Go to bed early tonight. I'll take you to school tomorrow. If I am not up yet, remember to wake me up. Hearing that I was willing to take her to school, Gu Qinghan immediately nodded excitedly, a radiant smile on her face. She went to her room to wash up. As for me, I thought about the original novel. Gu Yuan and Jiang Zuyue always favored the original host. Even when the Gu group collapsed, they were worried about how the original host would live afterwards. But I am not as heartless as the original host, who could comfortably enjoy their sacrifices without even giving them a pleasant expression in return. At least when Mom and Dad are home, I want to do what a full-time son should do. I went behind my dad, intending to give him a little Chinese-style massage. Dad, your shoulders are so stiff. Work must have been tiring lately. Gu Yuan sighed softly. I am used to the company's affairs. Xiao Bei is so understanding today. Just tell Dad what you want. I can get you anything except the stars in the sky. I shook my head. Sigh, it's really nothing. It's just that having Dad in charge of the house feels really great. Xiao Bei has finally grown up. Gu Yuan sniffled, his eyes a little misty. He sighed softly. It's a pity Grandpa is gone. I don't have a father. There's no way for me to feel what you're feeling. If Grandpa's spirit in heaven sees you being so sensible, he will surely feel very comforted. Gu Yuan sighed. Being told this, he also began to reminisce about his father, and I nodded. So, to let you feel a father's love again, I specially found an adoptive father for you. To let you feel a father's love again, I specially found an adoptive father for you. Ow. Ouch. 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 Mom, why didn't you stop Dad just now? I cried out resentfully. Right after I said I wanted to find an adoptive father for Dad, Gu Yuan immediately grabbed my leg. Couldn't escape. Absolutely couldn't escape. I recalled that in the past when the original host caused trouble, Yu Yuan was just like this. He would grab the original host's leg in one go, but even if he hit me, Yu Yuan's hits didn't hurt. Besides, he always helped the original host handle everything proper. Who told you to be so naughty? Daring to reverse the natural order. Trying to find a father for your father, Jiang Zhu Yue said with a laugh. I shook my head and said seriously, this prospective grandpa of mine was carefully considered. I guarantee Dad will like him. Moreover, he can also help our Gu group take another step forward. Hmash. I only have one father. How could I accept someone else as my adoptive father? Gu Yuan shouted from outside the door. Dad, you said it, don't regret it. When you meet him, tell him that you don't think much of him, I said loudly. Do you think your father has no backbone? How could I shamelessly ask someone to be my father? You can call him right now. Gu Yuan said firmly. Then don't beg me to put in a good word for you later, I said with a snort. Gu Yuan mumbled a few words under his breath and stormed back to the bedroom. Although I didn't cause any trouble for the family this time, but bringing a father home is still not okay. Jiang Zhu Yu's interest was piqued by me. She gently patted my butt. Xiao Bei, what does that adoptive grandpa of yours do for a living? I gently pushed Jiang Zhu Yu's shoulder. Mom, you should go back to your room and sleep too. In 3 days, after the old man is discharged from the hospital, I'll bring him home for a visit. If I tell you and Dad now, how could Dad still see the old man as a joke then? Jiang Zhu Yue nodded. Then you have to know your limits. If the person is too bad, I won't be able to stop you. I waved my hand, seeing Jiang Zhu Yue to the door. I wished her good night. Just as I lay down on the bed, there was a light knock on the door again. I sat up, puzzled. I opened the door, only to see Gu Qinghan. She had changed into a pair of pink bunny pajamas. Standing nervously at the door, her face flushed red. She suddenly reached out and hugged me. Thank you. Good night. After saying that, she fled back to her room. I scratched my head, but the corners of my mouth couldn't help but curve up. This girl is so cute. I really don't know what the original host was thinking. Lying on the big, soft bed, I took out my phone. I quickly edited the song I had recorded earlier and posted it on my Douyin social media account. Then I hugged my pillow and went to sleep. What I didn't know was that on Douyin tonight, the popularity was already quietly rising. At the same time, in the Daxia Medical Research Institute, a dozen or so doctors were watching a video over and over again. It was the entire process of me operating on Xi Zhan, extracted from the operating room security camera. A miracle. Truly a medical miracle. His technique is too exquisite. Even if you gave me another 10 years, I couldn't master it. If he could remove the shrapnel from General Xi's body, can the illnesses of the other generals be cured? You think he's a god or something? The other old generals are all relying on traditional Chinese medicine to stay alive. Every profession has its own specialty. Without a dozen or so years of practice, it's impossible to have such a masterful technique. Where would he find the time to study traditional Chinese medicine? Those are all generals who have achieved illustrious military feats, who contributed to the building of our Daxia. How can we let a half-baked amateur treat them? But I heard. This chief surgeon is only 17 years old this year. He has a sister who works at the traditional medicine hospital, who happens to know his situation well. 17 years old. Early the next morning, I was woken by a soft knock on the door. I grabbed my phone, ruffling my bird's nest of hair, and opened the door with my eyes half closed. Today, Gu Qinghan was wearing a light pink shirt. On her lower half was a school-style pleated skirt. Her long, slender legs were like a pair of chopsticks, fair and flawless, right before my eyes. The bangs on her forehead were neatly pinned to the side with a small flower-shaped hair clip, revealing her fair forehead. Good morning, brother. Her face was blushing as she spoke shyly. The girl was afraid that after one night's sleep, I would revert to my old self. I raised my hand to pat Gu Qinghan's head, but then I remembered she had to go to school today. She had clearly spent a lot of effort on her appearance, so I pulled my hand back. However, Gu Qinghan lowered her head and took a small step forward. I patted the little head that was leaning in. Let's have breakfast together. And after we eat, well, go to school together. I stepped aside and told Gu Qinghan to go into my dressing room to help me pick out an outfit. After yesterday's incident, I knew I shouldn't choose my own clothes. I am a top second-generation rich kid of Jiangcheng, but I keep dressing myself like some nouveau riche. Gu Qinghan blushed as she entered my dressing room. She chose a white shirt with a tie and black trousers in a school style. After changing and standing next to Gu Qinghan, it looked quite like a couple's outfit. Arriving at the dining room, the nanny didn't expect Gu Qinghan to come for breakfast too, so she hadn't prepared a portion for her. I scratched my head, quite embarrassed. Previously, it was the original host who said he didn't want to eat at the same table as Gu Qinghan, which led to the fact that after Gu Qinghan returned to the Gu household, she always had to eat their leftovers. Sometimes the original host would even throw away all the leftovers, forcing Gu Qinghan to starve in her room. Gu Qinghan lowered her head, lightly pursing her lips, standing timidly and awkwardly to one side. Auntie Wang, from now on, make an extra portion of breakfast for Qinghan, and heat up the bowl of Chinese medicine I brought back yesterday. Take it with me later. I pulled Gu Qinghan's wrist and sat her down at the dining table. I pulled the lavish breakfast between the two of us, and gestured for Go Qinghan to eat with me. But Gu Qinghan was worried I wouldn't have enough to eat, so she wouldn't pick up her chopsticks. I frowned. I decisively turned Gu Qinghan's head and fed her breakfast. A flustered look appeared on Go Qinghan's face. Her cheeks flushed red as she said, "I can eat by myself." I looked at Gu Qinghan and said with a grin, "My silly, top student little sister. You have to eat a lot, train hard, and stay healthy. This useless, untalented older brother of yours will have to rely on you in the future." After breakfast, I switched to a brand new Ferrari and took Go Qinghan to school. Yesterday, I only remembered to buy clothes for her. The school bag she was carrying had small holes on both sides of the bottom. Gu Qinghan shyly hid the school bag by her side. She sat bolt upright in the passenger seat, drinking the Chinese medicine. Although a lot of cane sugar and honey were added to the medicine, it still had a strange taste. While waiting at a red light, I took out a few lychees from my pocket and placed them in her hand. "I knew this medicine was hard to drink, so I brought this for you," I said with a smile, looking at the lychees in her hand. Gu Qinghan bit her lips softly. "Is this what it feels like to be cared for by someone?" She peeled a lychee for herself and put it in her mouth. The sweet juice burst out. The unique aroma of lychee instantly filled her mouth. This was the first time she had ever eaten lychee. She peeled another one, taking advantage of the red light, and poked my hand. I took the lychee and put it in my mouth. My eyes lit up immediately. In my past life, the lychee I ate the most was just the Fi Zi Xiao variety. The difference in taste was huge. Some were so sweet they were bitter. Others were a bit sour, but this type of lychee had a light sweetness mixed with the scent of osmanthus flowers. The flesh was thick and crisp, juicy, and the seed was extremely small. This is the most delicious lychee that I have ever eaten in my 2 lives. "Do you know what kind of lychee this is, so I can ask Mom to buy some more to keep in my room?" I asked casually. Gu Qinghan thought for a moment and said, "I think it's called Gualu lychee. I've heard Mom mention it." My grip on the steering wheel immediately trembled. Gualu lychee is known as the Rolls-Royce of lychees. I remember in my past life seeing a single Gualu lychee being auctioned for up to 500,000 yuan. I swallowed. I said, "Don't tell me one bite of mine cost half a house." Gu Qinghan also looked at the lychee in her hand with shock. She took out her phone, looked up the price, and sighed in relief. She said, "This kind is probably around 1,000 yuan per jin. Mom bought a slightly better quality one. The price is probably a little higher." I nodded and gritted my teeth. Damn capitalists. "Give me another one, let me see. A lychee that costs tens of yuan apiece. If eating it makes me ascend to heaven." We brought out 6 lychees in total. I ate 2. Gu Qinghan ate 2. She kept 2 to give to a classmate. The Ferrari quickly reached the gate of Jiangcheng High School. I greeted the gate guard and then drove straight into the school. The guard looked at me in shock. Before, this young master always came to school around noon break. Now it was only 7:40 a.m. After parking the car, I yawned. Walking towards the classroom with Gu Qinghan. Her class is class 1, while I am in class 10. The 2 classes are on different floors, one above the other. I patted Gu Qinghan's head and said, "See you later." Then I turned and went into my classroom, slumping onto my desk to take a nap. My deskmate tapped on the desk and said excitedly, "Brother Bay, was the person who walked you to class just now your girlfriend? Such a beautiful girl, how come I've never seen her before? Escorting your girlfriend to school. No wonder you're so early today." I looked up doubtfully, looking at the slightly chubby deskmate in front of me. I recalled the plot related to him. This fatty's name is Cheng Yuan. In the original novel, he was one of the few people who still chose to help the original owner after the original owner fell from grace. However, Cheng Yuan's family wasn't wealthy. When he helped the original owner always thought he was humiliating him and treated him coldly, sometimes even hitting and kicking him. I raised an eyebrow and joked, "Hey, fatty, that's my biological sister. Don't you dare get any ideas about her. Otherwise, don't blame me for eradicating the root of the problem." Cheng Yuan gave a forced smile. "Brother Bay, I thought you had finally given up on Liang Wanwan." Mentioning the name Liang Wanwan, I suddenly remembered. The reason the original owner came to school every day was to see Liang Wanwan. He couldn't get up in the morning, so he gave Cheng Yuan some money and asked Cheng Yuan to bring breakfast to Liang Wanwan every day. In the original plot, Liang Wanwan always looked down on the incompetent and useless original owner. Every time the original owner wanted to give her a gift, he had to coax her with a smile for a long time before she would accept it. If she had just refused outright, it would have been fine. But Liang Wanwan would occasionally give the original owner a little hope, encouraging him not to give up. For over a year, the things the original owner gave to Liang Wanwan, big and small, added up to over 500,000 yuan. "Fatty, how much money do I have left with you?" I asked. The original owner was a simp, but he wasn't seriously ill. The money he worked so hard to earn as a son, why should he act like a grandchild and give money to others to spend? Cheng Yuan took out a handful of cash from his pocket. "Brother Bay, this is all the money that's left." I frowned. I roughly counted the money. There was about 2,000 yuan left. "Didn't I give you 30,000 at the beginning of the semester? How is it that only half the semester has passed and you spent over 20,000 just on breakfast?" Does she eat gualu lichis every morning? Cheng Yuan looked at me with a puzzled expression and asked softly, Brother Bei, do you really not like Liang Wan anymore? Like her? Like hell I do, I said angrily. Suddenly, I saw the breakfast in Cheng Yuan's desk drawer. I snatched it immediately. My own sister hasn't even had a full breakfast this morning. She sure eats luxuriously. After speaking, I stood up and went straight upstairs. There were still 10 minutes until the morning reading session. Most students were eating breakfast while memorizing their lessons. A girl was sitting next to Gu Qinghan. She was breaking off half a steamed bun to give to her. I snatched the piece of bun and stuffed it in my mouth. I said with a smile, So this is what you usually eat for breakfast. The other girl frowned, her watery eyes glaring at me. Second, brother, why are you here? Gu Qinghan said, surprised and happy. She looked at the girl beside her and introduced. Brother, this is Jiang Shan. Jiang Shan looked at Gu Qinghan doubtfully. She had no idea Gu Qinghan had a brother. I nodded at Jiang Shan. Here to make up for your nutritious breakfast. I placed a fully loaded sandwich on the desk. The rich aroma immediately filled the classroom. Everyone's eyes turned in this direction. Jiang Shan looked at the sandwich and couldn't help but swallow. You two eat up quickly. Don't disturb others' studies. I turned my head to instruct. Gu Qinghan nodded. She pushed half of the sandwich into Jiang Shan's hands. Before, she never had breakfast. It was always Jiang Shan who shared half of her own breakfast with her. Today, she could finally repay Jiang Shan. I took the 2,000 yuan in small bills I got from Fatty. I stuffed it into Gu Qinghan's hand. This is your allowance. The card I gave you. If you don't want to use it, just spend this for now. I have to help Senior Yu Yuan move this afternoon, so I can't have lunch with you. I pinched Gu Qinghan's cheek. Treat your friend to something nice for lunch today. Don't be afraid to spend money. If you're too stingy, don't blame me for punishing you tonight. Gu Qinghan's face immediately flushed red. She lowered her head and nodded lightly. I know. After saying that, I turned to go back to my classroom, but before I even reached the door, a sudden commotion erupted. Cheng Yuan, weren't you told to bring breakfast? What kind of job are you doing? Are you trying to starve us? You can't even handle such a small task. Believe it or not, well, tell Gu Bei and have him cut ties with you. Hearing the noise, I stood at the classroom door and cleared my throat with 2 loud coughs. I shouted, What are you all doing? This is the loudest classroom in the entire building. Do you have any shame? Did you feed your faces to the dogs? At this, all the students in the class looked up. They glanced at me, all with expressions of shock. Did the sun rise in the west? How could they run into me in broad daylight? Seeing that the classroom had quieted down, I quietly returned to my seat. I woke up too, early this morning, so I couldn't help but yawn. All the classmates then nodded in understanding, so he came to school to catch up on sleep. That's why he didn't want them to be noisy. Hey, Gu Bei, are you going to do something about this? The task you gave Cheng Yuan, telling him to bring us breakfast every day. He dared not bring it this morning. Does he want us to starve? If Wan doesn't get to eat her fill, what if she can't concentrate in class this morning? A female student with a sharp face and pointed ears questioned loudly. This female student's name was Zhang Shiting. She was Liang Wan's best friend. She usually relied on her relationship with Liang Wan to demand quite a few benefits from me. She looked towards Cheng Yuan and ordered, Since there are still 5 minutes left, hurry up and go buy breakfast for us at the school gate. We want to eat the rice balls from the stall outside the school gate. Get 2 assorted ones. Cheng Yuan glanced at me. He sighed softly and stood up, intending to head towards the classroom door. I pushed his shoulder down with one hand, then turned to question Zhang Shiting. Why do I remember that I only said to buy breakfast for Liang Wan? How thick is your face? How can you even think about freeloading? If you can't afford to eat, kneel down and kowtow to me twice, maybe out of pity. Give you a couple of bites. Being cut off like that, Zhang Shiting's face instantly turned red. She argued, Wan is watching her figure, so she eats very little. I just don't want to waste food, so I help her finish the leftovers. I understood. Ah, so it turns out, you're just a wretched woman who eats other people's leftovers. Then I slammed the desk hard. I stood up and shouted, Cheng Yuan is my brother. Who the hell do you think you are? What was that dog barking about just now? You think this Gu Bei doesn't have a temper, being yelled at by me like that? Zhang Shiting's already red face looked like it was about to bleed. She gritted her teeth in hatred and threatened, Gu Bei, don't even think about me helping you. Pass messages to Wan anymore. I scoffed disdainfully. If it were the original owner, he might have cared. But I just want to get back everything that belongs to me. That's 500,000 yuan. Based on my salary from my past life, I probably couldn't have saved that much in 10 years. Liang Wan, who had been standing aside, frowned in annoyance. She said, Gu Bei, Zhang Shiting is my best friend. You treat my best friend like this. How can I believe you'll be good to me in the future? I think we should stop contacting each other from now on. And to think I thought you were a good person. I was even planning to try dating you after graduation. Hearing this, I looked Liang Wan up and down. Fair and smooth skin, delicate features. Her looks were indeed quite beautiful, but her looks were far inferior to Juan Yuan's, and compared to Gu Qinghan, it was like night and day. Moreover, Liang Wan's figure was quite flat. Compared to Yuan Yuan's alluring curves, she was a world apart. Noticing that I was staring at her chest, Liang Wanwan disgustedly covered her chest and took 2 steps back. Gubei, I am talking to you. Are you listening? Hurry up and apologize to my best friend, and buy her something to make up for it. Otherwise, I won't pay any attention to you for the whole week. Looking at Liang Wanwan in front of me, I slapped myself in the face. If it weren't for my top-tier medical skills, I would have probably gone to the hospital to check if there was a tumor growing in my brain. That slap was so loud. Gu Bei is apologizing. Is he really that sincere? The young master of the Gu group slapping himself to apologize. Wanwan's charm is really something else. All the classmates looked at me in astonishment. Cheng Yuan grabbed my wrist. He originally thought I had come to my senses, but it turns out I am still that same love-struck fool. Brother Bei, at worst, well, just be late for the first period. I'll go buy the rice balls right now. I pushed his shoulder down with one hand. Again, the original owner would trample on your friendship, but I won't. I am thinking, should I ask Cheng Yuan to stage a comeback with me, just in case something unexpected happens in the future? I'd still have a secret stash. I turned to look at Liang Wanwan, remembering the money I'd spent on her for over a year. Looking at her was like seeing a walking 500,000 yuan. I forced a deeply affectionate tone and said, Wanwan, you know, I've liked you for a long time, but you never gave me an answer. I don't want to wait anymore. I am afraid you'll leave me after the college entrance exams. I want to get engaged to you first. I turned to look at Liang Wanwan again, remembering the money I'd spent on her for over a year. Looking at her was like seeing a walking 500,000 yuan. I forced a deeply affectionate tone and said, Wanwan, you know, I've liked you for a long time, but you never gave me an answer. I don't want to wait anymore. I am afraid you'll leave me after the college entrance exams. I want to get engaged to you first, and get married as soon as we're old enough. Hearing me say this, everyone looked over in astonishment. Liang Wanwan and I were only in the 11th grade, and yet we were already talking about marriage. Liang Wanwan's face flushed hot, and she let out a soft sigh. She said in a disappointed tone, Gu Bei, although our age difference isn't big, I've always seen you as a brother. At our age, the most important thing is to study well, making progress every day. How can we get into a relationship so early? What you're doing is making me so disappointed in you. I pretended to be going crazy, and kicked the desk in front of me hard, questioning Liang Wanwan. What do you mean? I gave Cheng Yuan 30,000 at the beginning of the semester. It's only been a little over a month, and you spent it all, leaving only 2,000. For over a year, I've spent 400,000 or 500,000 on you in total. I bought you so many clothes and bags, and yet you're telling me that you only see me as a brother? I acted extremely indignant, and kicked the desk in front of me hard again. You're not some kind of gold digger, are you? Maintaining this attitude of being neither close nor distant, just to string me along and get money. Liang Wanwan's eyes turned red, and she sniffled. She choked out. This semester, for my studies, I just bought a new laptop and tablet. I am not as rich as your Gu family. I just want to rely on my hard work and my studies to give myself a better future. What did I do wrong? As for the other things you mentioned, I clearly said I didn't need them. It was you who insisted on giving them to me. That's right, Gu Bei. We're all classmates. Is it necessary to be so harsh? It's obvious you were the one who forced those gifts on her. Everyone in class knows that, and yet you're bringing this up now. Liang Wanwan did it for her studies. What's wrong with that? Anyway, it's not like your Gu family is short on that little bit of money. Look at how stingy you're being. So you were spending money to marry Liang Wanwan. Her accepting your money doesn't mean she agreed to date you. The classmates, seeing Liang Wanwan's situation, immediately started voicing their grievances. Gu Bei, can't you see how sad Wanwan is? I heard the pineapple company just released its latest phone model. Buy one for me and one for Wanwan, and maybe it'll put in a good word for you. Zhang Shiting interjected. Hearing these outrageous words, the corner of my mouth couldn't help but twitch. We're in the middle of a huge argument, and she's still thinking about getting benefits from me. It's really ridiculous. But thinking about the 500,000 yuan I once spent on Liang Wanwan, I gritted my teeth, feigned anger, and said, I bought you so many bags and clothes. Those bags and clothes were bought for my girlfriend. Since you don't want to be my girlfriend, then give everything back to me. Liang Wanwan had been observing my expression. Seeing me trying to act calm, she couldn't help but scoff inwardly. Immediately after, she put on a pained expression. If you no longer want to be my brother, then the gifts I've received over the past year, I'll just return them all to you. Hearing Liang Wanwan say this, I was secretly overjoyed. Doesn't this mean I am getting my money back? But at this moment, my eyes were still red. My face showed a mix of indignation, disappointment, and sorrow. Liang Wanwan, do you really want to do this? The things you've used don't have much value anymore. Liang Wanwan snorted coldly with disdain in her heart. From my attitude and words, she knew I was still very attached to her. The more she pays now, when I regret it later, the more she will receive. So she put on a sorrowful look and said, Gu Bei, I thought you would always protect and love me. I didn't expect you to be just like those other rich young masters. You just want to possess me. Since it's like this, I will return everything you gave me. Over the past year, I'll return the gifts at 80% of their original value. I'll write an IOU for the remaining amount. I, Liang Wanwan, may not be rich, but I will absolutely not be with you for money. Hearing Liang Wanwan's words, the gazes of all the classmates towards me were filled with contempt. He was just born a little better than us. Once we graduate, well, surpass him sooner or later. Do you think having money can make us submit? Money isn't everything. The money spent on a girl while pursuing her, and he even wants it back. I've never seen anyone so stingy. I was celebrating inside. I am getting all my money back. Thinking about the 500,000 yuan that was about to be mine, my emotional control almost broke. I had to force myself to recall all the sad things from the past, thinking them over from beginning to end, to barely manage not to laugh out loud. I took out a blank piece of paper and a black pen and gave them to Liang Wanwan. Then I tossed my phone to Cheng Yuan and told him to help me record a video. Cheng Yuan sighed softly. He knew that the more I pushed things now, the more pathetic I would be when I apologized to Liang Wanwan. However, the moment he unlocked the phone and saw a girl with blushing cheeks on the screen, with sparkling lights in her eyes, immediately, his dejected spirits were lifted in an instant. Brother Base, love-struck brain for Liang Wanwan is finally cured. Liang Wanwan took the paper and pen in surprise. She didn't expect me to actually make her write an IOU. She couldn't have just been all talk just now, could she? I bet you were sure Brother Bay wouldn't make you write an IOU. That's why you were so bold just now. I actually thought you wouldn't bow for 5 pecks of rice. Turns out you're just spoiled. Rotten. Cheng Yuan mocked. Liang Wanwan glared at Cheng Yuan. I just don't know how to write an IOU. Before she started writing, she glanced at me again. She only saw my expression of sorrow mixed with a hint of reluctance. But still trying to act tough and refusing to apologize, she suddenly felt at ease. In her experience, as long as she ignored me for 3 days, I would come running back to her like a puppy. After writing the IOU, she threw it right in my face and said coldly, like this, "Are you satisfied now?" I took the IOU and glanced at it. Then I angrily tore it in half. Liang Wanwan. How long are you going to keep this up? This IOU only has 9 words. Liang Wanwan owes Gubei 500,000. There's too much information missing. It doesn't even have a repayment date. It's completely meaningless. I'm not making a scene. You're the one trying to use money to humiliate my dignity. If you want an IOU, I'll write another one for you. But if you want to trample on my dignity, I will absolutely not allow it. Liang Wanwan said loudly. She sneered inwardly. He couldn't even stand it after I wrote an IOU to cut ties. He couldn't stand it. Now that I think about it, he'll probably come begging for my forgiveness tomorrow. After speaking, she tore off another blank piece of paper and started rewriting the IOU. I looked towards Cheng Yuan and shouted, if she wants to write it, then find a proper template for her to write. Cheng Yuan, who was still wondering just now if I had really given up on Liang Wanwan, suddenly understood. So Brother Bay is using the strategy of retreating to advance. I've learned. He immediately took out his phone and found a legally effective IOU template. He showed it to Liang Wanwan. Liang Wanwan's face now looked as if she were constipated. She vaguely felt that something was wrong. The previous IOU, she also knew was meaningless. It wouldn't matter even if I took it, but an IOU written according to this template is actually legally binding. She had clearly given me a way out. In a couple of days, I'd apologize, buy her some gifts to coax her, and she would reluctantly let it go. But why does the plot development seem off? Cheng Yuan picked up the IOU I had just torn in half, and couldn't help but sneer. Liang Wanwan, you should at least write the words IOU on it, even if you lack knowledge. You should at least have some common sense. I see you're just taking advantage of the fact that Brother Bay likes you, to be so arrogant. Seeing Liang Wanwan still not moving, I pretended to say affectionately, Wanwan, I know. You definitely can't bear to leave me. You know, I never liked school. I only come because of you. Jiang Shiting leaned in and also whispered advice. Wanwan, it's just an IOU. In a couple of days, he'll definitely come back, begging you. You absolutely cannot soften up this time. Don't forgive him easily. I saw some new handbag models recently. They would suit you perfectly. Liang Wanwan nodded. She decisively finished writing the IOU and even put her thumbprint on it. Are you satisfied now, Gubei? From now on, we shouldn't talk to each other anymore. I will never, ever forgive you, she said coldly. After speaking, she decisively sat back down in her seat, looking at me as if I were a stranger. I double-checked the IOU and put it away carefully. I also checked if the video was clear. Then I sent both documents to the group's legal department for filing. Of the 500,000 Liang Wanwan owed, 400,000 would be offset by all the gifts the original owner had given, to be returned. The remaining 100,000 must be paid within 10 days, the loss due to gift depreciation. I didn't expect to get it back either, but I didn't intend to be petty about it. With Liang Wanwan's spending habits, she could never have afforded these luxury items in the first place. It was all because the original owner was seriously sick in the head, but since Liang Wanwan suggested it, I might as well teach her a lesson. I glanced at my watch. There was still about half an hour until class. I remembered that Liang Wanwan's house was very close to Jiangcheng High School. There was still enough time to go get the gifts. I walked over to Liang Wanwan's desk and tapped on it lightly. As expected of Gubei, that thick skin of his is truly unmatched. I thought he would last for 2 days. Who knew he couldn't hold out for even 5 minutes? To be a simp to this extent, He's truly one of a kind. The classmates jeered one after another. Liang Wanwan snorted coldly with disdain. She frowned and glared at me, saying, "Classmate, we are strangers now. Don't disturb my studies." Now that the IU was in my hands, I didn't need to act anymore. I said with a cold smile, "You probably haven't recognized your own status yet, have you? Right now, I am your creditor. You want to use your status as a creditor to force me to submit? How disgusting." Liang Wanwan said with loathing. I shook my head. "I am just following what you wrote on the IOU, taking back all the gifts I ever gave you. You're not planning to default on your debt, are you? Or were the words you just said all empty talk?" Hearing me say this, Liang Wanwan was stunned, her jaw dropping. She never expected that I would actually want to take back the gifts I had given her. "Gubei, if you keep this up, I will truly never, ever forgive you," Liang Wanwan threatened. I couldn't help but frown. So this girl still thinks I am joking with her. After a moment's thought, I put on a panicked expression, but immediately gritted my teeth and threatened, "You wrote on the IOU that you would return everything I gave you. Otherwise, take back the IOU." The threat was limp and powerless. Liang Wanwan couldn't help but sneer inwardly. She had originally thought I had escaped her control. Now it seems I am just a little boy throwing a tantrum, trying to cause trouble for her, just so she would have to keep paying attention to me. No way. I've already said it. From now on, we are strangers. If you want to take back the gifts right now, then let's go get them right now," Liang Wanwan said. I rejoiced inwardly but still pretended to be sulking. I turned and walked out of the classroom, with Liang Wanwan following me. She got into the passenger seat of the Ferrari. "I am warning you, don't talk to me in the car. Your car doesn't have a back seat. That's why I'm sitting in the passenger seat. Don't get any funny ideas," she said coldly. I pretended to be lovesick. My voice also softened. "Liang Wanwan, how long are you going to be angry?" Hearing the deep affection in my words, Liang Wanwan's tone became even colder. "You think that just because you have money, you can trample on my dignity as you please? Classmate Gubei, we are equals in spirit." The entire way there was dead silence. I knew Liang Wanwan was determined, and I was no longer in the mood to be with this girl and act out some cliché idol drama scenes. Liang Wanwan's home was in a newly built apartment complex near Jiangcheng High School. The environment in this area was very beautiful, with complete amenities. It is near a key school. The basic house price must be 30 to 40,000 per square meter. The place I arranged for Yu Yuan is also in this area. "You wait downstairs. I'll bring the stuff down," Liang Wanwan said. A long time later, she carried 5 handbags downstairs and threw them in front of me. "Take all your things. Get lost." I glanced at these bags. These are all the cheapest ones. Among the gifts I gave to Liang Wanwan, the total value is even 200,000. I immediately frowned and said with a cold smile, "Liang Wanwan, I know you can't bear to leave me. How about this? You sincerely apologize to me and Cheng Yuan. Maybe I'll forgive you for what you did today." Liang Wanwan, I know you can't bear to leave me. How about this? You sincerely apologize to me and Cheng Yuan. Maybe I'll forgive you for what you did today. Hearing me say that, Liang Wanwan scoffed inwardly with contempt. She felt that the man in front of her, through his words, had revealed his intention to reconcile with her. It's just that, right now, his pride is keeping him from apologizing. If I ignore him for 2 days, he'll naturally come crawling back, running right back to me. Liang Wanwan gritted her teeth. "In your dreams, I've already used the rest of the bags. Even if you take them back, you'll just throw them away." I shrugged, feigning indifference. "Whether I throw them away or not is my business. If you really can't bear to part with them, how about you just give me a proper apology? I'll tell the principal to clear out the broadcasting room for you. You just wait." Liang Wanwan angrily went back upstairs to prevent Liang Wanwan from leaving anything behind again. This time, I followed her upstairs. "Why are you following me?" Liang Wanwan said angrily. "I am just afraid you'll forget something again. School is about to start. It wouldn't be good to delay your studies. After all, you have dreams. You have aspirations, a desire to study and change your fate. As for me, besides the 10+ digit balance in my card, I have nothing at all," I boasted artistically. Liang Wanwan's home is a small apartment in the complex, about 60 square meters, where 4 people live together. I curiously glanced inside the house. Although the room wasn't even as big as my closet, the decor was very cozy. On the sofa in the room, I saw some children's books and a toy truck. "You have a younger brother?" I asked curiously. Liang Wanwan didn't answer. She just slammed the door shut with a bang. When the door opened again, Liang Wanwan had packed all the gifts the original owner gave her and brought them all out. She was horrified to discover that, without the gifts I gave her, her room suddenly became completely empty. I checked everything over and asked, "Didn't you also take money from Cheng Yuan to buy a tablet and a laptop?" The door slammed shut once again. "That's enough. I didn't expect you to be this kind of person," Liang Wanwan said with disgust. I hesitated, looking Liang Wanwan up and down. "What do you want?" Liang Wanwan took 2 steps back. "If you dare to try anything, I'll scream." The corner of my mouth twitched. I chuckled. "Do I look that desperate to you? However, it seems the clothes you're wearing were also bought by me, right?" Hearing me say that, Liang Wanwan no longer looked at me with disgust, but rather like she was looking at a pervert. "I'll wash this outfit and return it to you," she said, blushing. "It's fine, it's better unwashed." Seeing that, I blurted it out. Shameless. Liang Wanwan's face immediately flushed bright red. But, at this point, she didn't want to get tangled up with me. This time, I won't pay any attention to Gubei for a whole month, she thought to herself. The door slammed shut once again. When it opened again, Liang Wanwan was holding the clothes she had just taken off and threw them straight at my face. I have to say, the clothes she just took off were still warm and smelled quite nice. Did I buy you any stockings or anything before?" I asked tentatively. "Pervert. Get lost." Liang Wanwan, her face was so red it looked like it would bleed. She didn't know when on earth I had become so shameless. She locked the door from the inside, turned around and headed straight for the elevator by herself, watching the elevator doors slowly close. I was about to remind her that the shoes she was wearing were also bought by me. I scratched my head. I thought, forget it. I'll just let her keep the shoes. They're only 1,000 yuan anyway. My gaze fell on the clothes Liang Wanwan had just taken off. Thinking back now, I guess I really am a bit of a pervert, but my own clothes are all treated with special perfume. Why do I feel like they don't smell as good as hers? On the other side, after Liang Wanwan went downstairs, she stood waiting for me by the Ferrari with a cold expression. By now, quite a few young women had gathered around the car, taking pictures with the Ferrari. Seeing Liang Wanwan suddenly get in their shot, they said unhappily, "Hey girl, could you move away from this car a bit? Can you not block the camera? Don't you have any sense?" A sense of grievance welled up in Liang Wanwan's heart. This car clearly belongs to my simp. But then again, Gu Bei and her no longer had any relationship. They were just ordinary classmates. She bit her lip lightly and looked towards the elevator doors, only to see me looking like a thief, carrying a bunch of large and small bags, and using the shirt she just took off as a scarf, wrapped around my neck. Looking at the young women gathered by the Ferrari, I licked my lips, walked over, and asked, "Hey ladies, want to buy some handbags?" They're designer brands bought from the store. Absolutely authentic, just came in secondhand, selling them all for 80% of the original price. The girls looked at me, having just come downstairs, and in this state, they didn't know if the bags were real, but their origin seemed very shady. I scratched my head, wondering, is 80% still too high? Seeing that the girls were clearly tempted, but no one was buying, I laid out all the handbags, one by one on the hood of the Ferrari, and then opened the car door. "Buy now and you can even take 3 pictures inside the car." The crowd of girls looked at each other. "This multi-million yuan Ferrari is mine. The origin of these bags must be fine too. Buying 10 bags at a 20% discount. Even reselling them immediately would make a profit." Everyone rushed forward to grab the bags. One girl even came up and pulled my hand, asking, "Hey, handsome, I want to buy your contact information. How much is it?" Seeing other girls approaching me, Liang Wanwan walked up beside the two of them and said coldly, "Gu Bei, when are you taking me back to school?" However, at this moment, my eyes were drawn to the girl in the sports tank top in front of me. Full chest, slender waist, and long, slender legs. When the girl spoke, her chest jiggled slightly like pudding. It looked very bouncy. Being suddenly interrupted, I couldn't help but frown. But then again, I was the one who took Liang Wanwan home. I still had to get her back to school safely. I reluctantly said goodbye to the bevy of beauties before me and helped Liang Wanwan into the Ferrari. Before getting in the car, Liang Wanwan glanced at the girls present and let out a provocative snort. On the way back to school, she suddenly said, "Gu Bei, those people just now were all after your money. That's why they approached you." Meanwhile, I looked at the 400,000 yuan that had just been transferred to my card. I was in a great mood and said casually, "It's fine. I am so poor now that all I have left is money. The Gu Group's assets are worth hundreds of billions. If I can connect with Xi Zhejian's network, it's very likely to reach the trillion level, as long as I don't court death myself. Stabilize the villain, Gu Qinghan, and the male lead, Long Aocean, then this money is inexhaustible. Completely inexhaustible." When passing by a phone store, I suddenly stopped the car. I bought 2 of the latest pineapple phones and tossed them into the car. This morning when Gu Qinghan was looking up the price of Gualu lychees, I took out her phone. It was an outdated keyboard phone. I don't know how many years old it was. The paint on the phone's frame was all peeled off. The characters on the keyboard had also completely faded. Liang Wanwan looked at the 2 latest model phones and suddenly felt a flicker of joy in her heart. But then she thought of the bags that were sold this morning, and her face darkened again. "Don't think a measly phone can make me forgive you," she thought to herself. But she occasionally glanced at the phone, and then back at me, reminding herself to stay calm. She had to wait until I couldn't hold back anymore, and bring it up first. I didn't think much of it, and stepped hard on the gas. I successfully got Liang Wanwan back to class before the bell. Liang Wanwan's head was spinning. I used to drive extremely slowly, but today felt like a race. Moreover, for the rest of the journey, I didn't say a single word to her. She gave me a fierce glare, then stormed back to her seat. The first period in the morning was math. I listened for 2 minutes before slumping onto my desk and falling asleep. I don't know how long I slept. Cheng Yuan tapped my shoulder and called, Brother Bei, I think someone's looking for you." I rubbed my eyes, yawned, and said with a smile, "Has the news that Liang Wanwan and I fell out already spread? Another girl is already here to confess so soon?" I looked towards the door and saw a petite girl with teary eyes peering into the classroom from the doorway. Recognizing the girl as Jiang Shan, the one who shared her steamed bun with Gu Qinghan this morning, I shot up from my seat and ran to Jiang Shan's side. "What's wrong? Did something happen to Qinghan?" Suddenly, I heard the sound of desks and chairs being violently moved from the classroom above. Gu Qinghan's class is right on the floor above me. "Fatty, come with me," I shouted to Cheng Yuan, then immediately dashed upstairs. Gu Qinghan was currently surrounded by 5 female students. Her desk had been kicked away. She was bowing her head, helplessly clutching the hem of her skirt with both hands. The female student leading them looked at Gu Qinghan's state and sneered, "No wonder you have money for new clothes today. Turns out you sold your body. People have already posted it all over the internet. You've completely disgraced our school." She pulled a stack of cash from her bag and threw it at Gu Qinghan's face. "This money should be enough to pay for you once, right? Hurry up and take off your clothes. Let everyone broaden their horizons. You've already done something so shameless. What are you afraid of?" Gu Qinghan shook her head repeatedly and explained chokingly, "No, I didn't sell my body. My brother bought these clothes for me." The leading girl snorted coldly. "Still playing the victim here? What's this about brother and sister? Since she won't do it herself, let's give her a hand." The 5 of them rushed forward, pulling Gu Qinghan's hair and holding her hands tightly. They tore at her clothes. Nearby, a male student cheered them on. "Can you guys even do it? 5 people can't even strip one person? Isn't lifting her skirt much easier than tearing her shirt?" The 5 of them had an epiphany and lunged for Gu Qinghan's skirt. Bang! A loud noise echoed. The classroom door was kicked open. I burst in, radiating killing intent. Everyone's actions froze. Bang! A loud noise echoed. The classroom door was kicked open. I burst in, radiating killing intent. Everyone's actions froze. Gu Qinghan looked at me as if I were an angel descending from heaven. The grievance in her heart could no longer be suppressed. She struggled free from their grasp, clutched her clothes, and burrowed into my arms. I gently patted Gu Qinghan's back, trying to suppress my anger, and asked softly, "Are you hurt anywhere?" Gu Qinghan sobbed uncontrollably, whimpering, "Brother, I really didn't sell my body. These clothes, you bought them for me. Can you help me explain it to them?" I looked at Cheng Yuan, who had just caught up behind me, and said coldly, "Fatty, block the back door." I smoothed Gu Qinghan's hair and comforted her. "Brother, we'll help you explain it to them. This must be the man who paid for you yesterday. Huh, I can't believe he's from our own school, clinging to each other like that, and you still call yourselves siblings, acting like a whore but wanting a monument. How shameless." The leading female student sneered. "Bro, how much for one night? Is she still a virgin? How was her service last night?" Another male student chimed in. I held Gu Qinghan tightly and slowly walked up to the teacher's podium. I threw a powerful kick, directly knocking over the podium. Another loud bang echoed. The entire classroom fell silent in an instant. I scanned everyone present and said arrogantly, "I am Gu Bei. You dare to touch my person. Now I will explain it to you. All of you, kneel and listen." Hearing my words, all the students burst into contemptuous laughter. "Isn't Gu Bei just Liang Wanwan's simp? I heard he's been simping for over a year, wasted so much of his family's money, and hasn't even held her hand. Now he's dumped Liang Wanwan and moved on to simping for Gu Qinghan. I have to say, Gu Qinghan with makeup looks much better than Liang Wanwan." The corner of my mouth twitched. I didn't expect the original owner to be so famous. I scanned the crowd in front of me and sneered. "I told you to kneel and listen to my explanation. Are you all deaf? A bunch of rumor mongers who bully their classmates. Did you feed all your textbooks to the dogs? What's there to explain? The video of her selling her body is all over the internet. She had the guts to do it. So why can't we talk about it? If you have the balls, then don't do such dirty things." The leading female student sneered. "I know this girl is Liu Kankan. She used to mock and bully Qinghan frequently. And that male student is Liao Feiwen, Liu Kankan's boyfriend. Liao Feiwen saw that Gu Qinghan was very beautiful today, so he kept harassing her. Liu Kankan lost her temper and started bullying Qinghan again. Jiang Shan came over and quietly explained the whole story. I nodded, looking at Gu Qinghan like a little rabbit, trembling and cowering in my arms. I felt waves of heartache. At home, Gu Qinghan was bullied by the original owner. At school, she was bullied by her classmates. Her past life was truly too dark. No wonder in the original plot. Even though she knew the male lead was only obsessed with her body, she still saw him as the only light in her life. Thinking of this, my arms held Gu Qinghan a little tighter. I really wanted to rush up right now and beat these brats up, but I couldn't just leave the panicking Gu Qinghan. I looked at Jiang Shan and said, "Get your homeroom teacher here. Let's see how this is handled." Jiang Shan looked at me hesitantly. "Do we really have to call the teacher?" I nodded. Without the homeroom teacher's indulgence, how could she have produced these brats? Today, I will make all of Gu Qinghan's bullies pay dearly. Jiang Shan glanced at me again. In her impression, students couldn't go against teachers, but seeing the cold look in my eyes, she quickly left the classroom. I grabbed a chair and sat down casually. Gu Qinghan cowered in my arms. Half of my shirt was soaked. I took out my phone and found the principal's number. The principal of Jiangcheng High School is named Huang Darren. Back then, he personally arranged for the original owner to enroll here. As soon as the call connected, Huang Darren's sycophantic voice came through. Young Master Gu, you came to school today? If it's not comfortable in the classroom, my office just got a new sofa. You can come over and rest. Hearing this, I just sneered. I'll give you 10 minutes. Get to class 11 to 1. Come here. Let's see just what kind of principal you are. Not caring whether Huang Darren heard me clearly or not, I hung up immediately. Hearing my words, the surrounding students looked at each other doubtfully. Did he just call the principal? How can he talk to the principal with that tone? Who does he think he is? Giving the principal 10 minutes, demanding the principal come see him. Is he that important? I ignored the mockery from those around me and made a second phone call. Captain Chen? This is Gubei, class 11 to 1 at Jiangcheng High School. There's a serious case of school bullying. Send a team to handle it. The students in the class looked at me now, as if they were watching a clown. Who did he call just now? Chen Weijin? And sending a team. 2. He thinks Chen Weijin is his family or something. I don't think the call even went through. He's just acting. It's definitely for show. Otherwise, how could the other person pick up so fast? Besides, look at his tone. One's a principal. One's Chen Weijin. As if he can order them around. He's really putting on a show. That must be how he tricked Gu Qinghan. After the call, I scanned the students and said with a smile, still not kneeling to hear my explanation. Liao Feiwen sneered. You think you're worthy? It's just an empty bluff. Didn't you say the principal would be here in 10 minutes? Block the door from me. If the principal doesn't show up, let's show him the consequences of provoking our class. My face darkened. I made one last call. Xiao Dao. Bring 30 brothers to class 11 to 1 at Jiangcheng High School. Brother Bei has spoken. We brothers will be there in 20 minutes. The man called Xiao Dao's real name is Liu Dao. He's a well-known gangster in this area. Xiao Dao? I am Xiao Pao. Who is he calling now? And calling 30 brothers? Probably to carry you out. The spectating students jeered. Didn't you say 10 minutes? 7 minutes have already passed. If the principal doesn't show up, we're going to make our move. Liao Feiwen smiled maliciously. He looked at the weak Gu Qinghan nestled in my arms, and couldn't help but lick his lips. Brother, will it be okay? Gu Qinghan's eyes were red as she asked in a small voice. If something really happens, you should run first, she said, gritting her teeth. I could feel Gu Qinghan's body trembling slightly. I wiped the corners of her eyes and comforted her. As long as I am here, no one can bully you. Gu Qinghan's nose tingled. She forced a smile and said, I believe you. I gently pinched Gu Qinghan's nose and said with a smile, remember all their faces now. Don't be soft-hearted later. Noticing the intimate gesture, Gu Qinghan's face blushed slightly, and she replied in a small voice, I'll listen to you. Clip clop clop. The hurried sound of high heels echoed from the hallway. What kind of ruckus are you all making? Our class is the noisiest in the entire school. The woman's name was Wu Hui. She was this class homeroom teacher. Seeing the chaotic scene in the classroom, she roared, Who on earth did this? Are you all mute? Suddenly, she saw me in the classroom, and Gu Qinghan cowering in my arms. She yelled, Gu Qinghan. Why is it you again, dressed like a fox spirit today? Who are you trying to seduce? Look how old you are, hiding in a man's arms in public. How can you be so cheap? And you even dared to bring your boyfriend to class to cause trouble. Someone like you should have been expelled long ago. Get your parents here for me now. I need to see what kind of parents could raise such a degenerate like you. Hearing Wu Hu's torrent of scolding, I pretty much understood why the students in this class dared to bully Gu Qinghan so openly. This poor girl clearly hadn't said a word. Her clothes were torn. She obviously looked like a victim, yet Wu Hui didn't investigate at all, and immediately asserted it was Gu Qinghan's fault. Gu Qinghan shrank back in fear, burrowing deeper into my arms. I rolled my eyes, changed my aggressive attitude, and said with an aggrieved expression, Teacher Wu, I am her older brother. If you're looking for her parents, then you can just talk to me. Look, my sister's clothes are all torn. She's also severely traumatized. My sister is clearly the victim here. Wu Hui looked at my cowardly appearance and sneered, It takes two to tango. If your sister wasn't acting like a flirt all day, why would people tear her clothes? Why don't they come and tear my clothes? So young yet not focusing on studying, dressing like a fox spirit. I see you two clinging to each other like that. You're no good either. The onlooking students laughed even more. Oh, Gubei, we prefer your arrogant attitude from before. Why is it that as soon as you saw the teacher, you cowered like a mouse seeing a cat? Didn't you call the principal? And Chen Weijun? Hurry up and call them here. I gently pinched Gu Qinghan's cheek and whispered in her ear, Brother is going to fight a little. You just sit here, okay? After saying that, I put on a submissive face and slowly stood up. As I stood up, Gu Qinghan covered her chest with one hand and gently gripped my shirt hem with the other. Seeing my gaze, Gu Qinghan said pitifully, Brother, I am scared. I scratched the back of my neck, suddenly feeling a bit annoyed. I walked up to Wu Hui and said with an innocent smile, Teacher, did you say it takes 2 hands to clap? As soon as the words left my mouth, quick as lightning, a slap landed squarely on Wu Hui's face. Slap. A crisp sound echoed throughout the classroom. Indeed, practice is the sole criterion for testing truth, I said with a smile. Doesn't this make a very loud sound? Wu Hui held her face and looked at me in horror. She never expected to be hit by a student. She stood up, about to charge at me. I backhanded her with another slap. I am asking you, can one hand clap or not? I sneered. Wu Hui gritted her teeth. About to charge at me again, she saw my eyes turn cold. I sneered. If it weren't for all the rotten flesh on your body, looking at you would give me pink eye. I would have already stripped you naked and thrown you onto the sports field. After all, according to you, even if I tore your clothes, it would be because you were flirting. A teacher flirting with a student. You truly are despicable. Seeing the cold glint in my eyes, Wu Hui didn't dare to step forward. She turned her head to look at the students in the class and yelled, "Are you all cowards? I've taught you for so long, and you just stand by and watch as I get bullied by an outsider. He must be a gangster from outside the school who snuck in to steal things. Hurry. Go get him. Capture him for me." Liao Feiwen had been itching to move for a while, receiving Wu Hui's order. He immediately charged towards Gu Qinghan. I quickly pulled my little sister back and kicked Liao Feiwen straight in the chest. Thwack! A loud sound echoed. Liao Feiwen was sent flying. He slammed hard into the podium and then tumbled to the ground. Seeing such a miserable scene, everyone instinctively stopped. What are you trash standing around for? This gangster is holding a hostage and has injured a classmate. Why aren't you all charging forward together? Cheng Yuan saw that I was in danger. His whole body was like a heavy tank. He rushed from the back door of the classroom to my side. Brother Bei, if a fight breaks out later, take your sister and leave first, he said. I looked at my watch, shook my head. No need. If Huang Duren doesn't show up within 10 seconds, then he won't need to show up in Jiangcheng ever again. You think you can make Principal Huang disappear? Wu Hui was so angry she laughed. It's good that the principal is coming, just in time to expel both of you. Our Jiangcheng High School doesn't need 2 troublemakers like you. I raised my eyebrow. That's right. I am the stick. And you are all disgusting piles of stinky dog shit. Such a sharp tongue. Is that how your parents taught you to respect your teachers? Wu Hui shouted, and just as she led the students to surround the 3 of us, from the back of the classroom, suddenly came the sound of panting. I only saw a chubby man with a kind, round face leaning against the back door frame. He panted and shouted, "Stop, everyone, everyone, stop it for me. Principal Huang, why are you here?" Seeing Huang Duren, Wu Hui's face immediately bloomed into a radiant smile like a chrysanthemum. She glanced at me and explained to Huang Duren, "These hooligans broke into our school and injured a student. We have now surrounded him." Huang Duren glared at the surrounding students and hurriedly ran in front of me, with the expression of an old servant who had arrived late. "Young master, are you hurt anywhere?" Seeing Huang Duren's reaction, everyone present was stunned, their mouths agape. Although Huang Duren looked gentle, he was usually extremely strict. He managed the students very tightly. In the more than 5 years he has been principal, the number of students he expelled each year for misbehavior was at least 50. After getting rid of these bad apples, Jiangcheng High School's promotion rate and academic discipline have both improved significantly. Because of this, he earned the title of the Iron-Fisted Principal. Is this still the strict principal we usually see? Look at that subservient, servile posture. Could he have been possessed by a eunuch? Shh. Aren't you afraid hell expel you? But the principal really does look very unusual today. Looking at the trembling Huang Duren in front of me, I pulled over a chair and sat down, holding my little tail. Dealing with this will probably take a while. You don't mind if I sit, do you? I asked. Huang Duren shook his head repeatedly. He said fawningly, "Young Master Gu, it was my negligence. You should pay attention to getting more rest." I rubbed my forehead. Looking at Huang Duren's obsequious appearance, I really couldn't get angry. I waved my hand. "All right, hurry up and investigate this matter clearly." Huang Duren giggled at me, then immediately turned to look at Wu Hui. He really wanted to curse this blind fool to her face, but he was afraid of startling me, so he suppressed his anger and said, "Speak, what is this about?" Hearing the suppressed anger in Huang Duren's voice, I opened my mouth to tease, "Principal Huang, is this how you handle problems? I think this doesn't seem like you at all." Huang Duren took a deep breath. He knew that I was not satisfied with his way of handling things. His previous attempt at flattery had backfired. His voice suddenly shot up. "Speak. What on earth happened?" Hearing Huang Duren's shout, Wu Hui's lips began to tremble. Principal Huang, I don't know anything." I just poked my head out from behind Huang Duren and said sarcastically, "Didn't TMS. Wu investigated very clearly, just now. It was all because my sister is a flirt. She deserved to have her clothes torn off. I think MS Wu was absolutely right. After all, it takes 2 to tango. If you're right, what's there to be afraid of? Or do you know? You're in the wrong. You saw that my sister had no one to back her up, so you dared to act so recklessly." Hearing me say this, Huang Duren roughly guessed what had happened. He slapped Wu Hui so hard she slammed into the wall. "I'll show you what it takes 2 to tango means. Have you even investigated the incident?" And you dare to jump to conclusions? I worked hard to build a civilized school, only to produce a hypocritical teacher like you? I see it now. You see that I've expelled many students over the years, and you're relying on the fact that students don't want to be expelled. So you want to be the queen in your classroom, right? Let me tell you, the students I expelled, every single one of them committed a serious offense. My conscience is clear. Furthermore, I don't just dare to expel students. I also dare to fire teachers. Get out of my sight, not so fast. I smiled coldly, patting the back of the little girl in my arms, and asked, has she done anything else outrageous to you before? Wu Hui started cursing the moment she entered. Gu Qinghan's reaction was too practiced. It was clear this had happened many times before. Gu Qinghan hummed twice, and gently nodded against my chest. Only now was Wu Hui truly scared. She never expected that just by scolding Gu Qinghan as usual, she would not only get slapped several times, but even lose her job. She knelt on the ground and hugged Huang Deren's leg, begging, Principal, it's all my fault. I shouldn't have slandered a student without investigating. I will definitely change in the future. I swear I'll definitely change. Huang Deren hesitated and looked towards me. In terms of teaching qualifications, Wu Hui's abilities were obvious to all. Wu Hui noticed Huang Deren's gaze and crawled on her knees in front of me. Young Master Gu, I will definitely treat your sister Qinghan well in the future. Teacher has taught you for so long, right? Can you help me beg your brother? Gu Qinghan said nothing, just nestled deeper into my embrace. She now felt that the safest place in the world, aside from the corner of the bed in her room, was right here in my arms. Besides, my embrace was very warm. Noticing that Gu Qinghan had no desire to get close to Wu Hui, I said in a low voice, Ms. Wu, have you still not realized your mistake? If my sister had been bullying someone else today, I would definitely have taught her a good lesson. Your line about treating my sister well, doesn't that mean in your eyes, students are also divided into high and low classes? Furthermore, you teaching my sister, isn't that your job? Or did you spend your personal time to give my sister extra tutoring? The only special treatment you gave my sister was to slander her every time you opened your mouth. Where do you get the nerve to ask my sister to plead for you? I looked at Wang Deren. First learn manners, then learn literature. Under the guidance of this kind of teacher, I really doubt whether the moral character of our school's students has a problem. Huang Deren forced a smile and nodded. He shouted at Wu Hui, you are no longer a teacher at my school. Get out of my sight now. Knowing she had been fired, Wu Hui quickly got up from the ground, glaring at Huang Deren with resentment, her chest heaving violently, as if about to start her shrewish act. Since I am no longer a teacher at this school, you, Huang Deren, have no right to control me. Wu Hui quickly scrambled to her feet, glared daggers at Huang Deren, panting heavily, ready to throw a fit. I am no longer a damn teacher at this school, so who the hell are you to control me? With that, she turned to look at me and cursed. You and your sister are always sticking together. You must be having an affair. Your sister dresses so slutty. Who can she blame for getting her clothes stripped off? Both of you are just prostitutes. Why are you pretending to be so noble here? Today, Gu Qinghan was wearing a light pink shirt, paired with a school-style pleated skirt, going for a sweet style, which had nothing to do with the word slutty. Hearing this, my eyes narrowed, and I said coldly, Miss Wu, you probably don't know that intentionally spreading false rumors to defame someone is also a crime, enough to put you in jail for a few years. Don't think that just because the school can't control you, no one can deal with you. Wu Hui snorted coldly. My husband works for the city guard. If you're so tough, tell him to come and arrest me. I just called him. This isn't over yet. As soon as she finished speaking, a team of city guards appeared at the door. Wu Hui, seeing her husband's figure behind the team, rushed over crying, Zhu Long, your wife is being bullied to death by this bastard. He just slapped me several times. Look, my face still has his handprint. Even my job was lost because of this brat. Hurry up and arrest him. Lock him up for 10 or 8 years for me. Hearing his wife was being bullied, Zhu Long's anger flared up. Following the direction Wu Hui pointed, he saw his captain enthusiastically greeting me, and his neck involuntarily shrank back. He asked softly, the person you said was bullying you isn't young Master Gu, is it? Wu Hui nodded, irritably. Yes, it's that bastard. Honey, hurry up and help me arrest him. Zhu Long quickly covered Wu Hui's mouth. Ancestor, you are really my ancestor. Follow me now, and hurry up to apologize to young Master Gu. If young Master Gu doesn't forgive you, our whole family is finished. At this moment, I smiled meaningfully and looked over. Wu, is that your husband over there? Didn't you want to tell him to arrest me? Following my gaze, the city guard captain, Chen Fu, noticed Zhu Long and Wu Hui standing at the end of the line, and frowned in annoyance. Zhu Long, when did the city guard become your family's personal market? You can arrest whoever you want. Wu Hui stared blankly at me, then looked at Chen Fu standing next to me. Only now did she realize what huge trouble she had gotten herself into. In an instant, her eyes turned red, and tears flowed uncontrollably. Honey, what do we do now? I know I was wrong. This time, I really know I was wrong. Please help me. Zhu Long stiffened his neck and pulled Wu Hui's hand. He stepped forward and bowed deeply before me. Young Master Gu, I know my wife's temper. She is definitely largely responsible for what happened today. I apologize to you on her behalf. I said nothing, just looked at Huang Duren. Pull up the surveillance footage from this classroom, so I won't be accused of using my power to bully people. An old fox like Huang Duren had already called someone to pull the footage. Watching Gu Qinghan being bullied for no reason on the screen, and then the scene where Wu Hui didn't even bother to ask for details, and just relentlessly criticized and scolded Gu Qinghan. Watching this scene again, my fists couldn't help but clench a little tighter. I said sarcastically, MS. Wu. It takes two to tango, right? Let's see if this slap makes a sound or not. One video clip ended. Huang Duren brought out another video clip. This is the part I just pulled. After I announced her dismissal, in the video, Wu Hui lost control due to her anger. Her speech became even more reckless, and she started cursing randomly. Zhu Long's face turned red with shame. He glared at Wu Hui beside him. Wu Hui lowered her head to her chest, avoiding his gaze, not daring to even look at Zhu Long. Zhu Long just felt his scalp go numb and took a deep breath, taking a step forward to apologize. Young Master Gu, it's all my wife's fault. How do you think we should handle this? I shrugged. You're putting me in a difficult position. I should probably ask the group's legal department how to handle a case like this. Principal Huang. Our cameras can probably pull up data from the past year, right? Hearing that I intended to pull a whole year's footage, Wu Yue knelt down in fear, begging. Today she only scolded Gu Qinghan. But over the past year, ever since she discovered Gu Qinghan dressed shabbily and was not cared for by her family, whenever she was in a bad mood, she would take it out on her. Chen Fu patted Zhu Long's shoulder. Tell your wife to confess everything from the past year. Confess clearly. It will save us some work. Zhu Long knew in his heart that today he had to choose justice over family. He sighed and said, Yes, Captain. I will now take the suspect back for questioning first. Just thinking about the upcoming prison sentence. Wu Hui cried silently. Honey, you can't just abandon me like this. If I am locked up in prison, how will my friends and family look at me? Hurry and help me beg, young Master Zhu. I really didn't mean it. Zhu Long glared at Wu Hui and roared. I told you to change that attitude of yours, but you just wouldn't listen. Why did you have to go and bully someone else's child? Their child was doing just fine. Every child is someone's child. When you were tormenting her, you should have thought of today. Now come with me. Seeing their homeroom teacher being taken away by the city guard, the students present all watched in astonishment, able to command both the principal and the city guard. What kind of background does this guy have? A simp has this much power. Just for scolding Gu Qinghan once, she was taken away by the city guard for questioning. Then what about Liao Feiwen and Liu Kan's group? Won't they have to rot in jail? At this moment, Liao Feiwen and Liu Kan looked at each other in fear, their eyes filled with panic. They thought that bullying Gu Qinghan was just a joke among friends. It's not like they hadn't done it before. At most, a few words of apology would be enough. They never expected it to alert the city guard, and that they would be held criminally responsible. If they get a criminal record, their lives would be over. Finally, a female student who followed Liu Kan couldn't stand the pressure and was the first to drop to her knees. Gubei. I was forced by Liu Kan. I didn't want to bully Gu Qinghan either, but if I didn't bully her, then I would be the one being bullied, with someone taking the lead. The other three female students also knelt down one by one, chiming in one after another. That's right, Liu Kan forced us. We had no choice either. Liu Kan next to them was dumbfounded, looking at the four people kneeling on the ground. They clearly bullied Gu Qinghan together, but now they were pinning all the blame on her. She gritted her teeth and kicked each of them in the chest. You're the ones who told me Gu Qinghan was a prostitute. You're the ones who said she seduced my boyfriend, and now you say I forced you? When did I ever force you? After being kicked, the four of them glanced at each other, then jumped up and lunged at Liu Kan. Liu Kan, I've had enough of you for a long time. Isn't it just because your family has some dirty money? Acting all high and mighty all day, looking down on everyone. You're just jealous that Gu Qinghan is prettier than you. That's why you wanted to bully her. Let's strip her clothes off. Let's see if she can still be arrogant after this, right? However, she treated Gu Qinghan. That's how we'll treat her. The group rushed forward. Some held her hands, some pulled her hair, and some tore at Liu Kan's clothes. Liu Kan struggled desperately, but in the end, 2 fists are no match for 4 pairs of hands. Only the sound of tearing fabric could be heard. Liu Kan's clothes were torn to shreds in an instant. That's enough. I suddenly snorted coldly, hearing my voice. The group's movements immediately stopped. Liu Kan was now left in her underwear, her body curled up, sobbing incessantly. At this moment, a playful whistle sounded from outside the classroom door. A man with sunken cheeks leaned against the doorframe, raising an eyebrow. Brother Bei, we're not late, are we? Seeing the man's face, the crowd of onlooking students burst into an uproar. Holy crap! The Xiao Dao that Gubei just mentioned. Isn't Brother Dao, is it? He just called the city guard. And now he's called Brother Dao too. Is this Gubei playing both sides, the lawful and the lawless? The city guard would at most lock them up for a few months, but if Brother Dao makes a move, they'd definitely be bedridden for months. Liu Dao walked into the classroom, speaking sarcastically to Huang Duren. Principal Huang, you should replace your school's security guards soon. They're all a bunch of old geezers What good can they do? He then looked at Chen Fu next to him and said with a smile, Captain Chen, are you also here today to help my brother Bei solve his problems? Chen Fu had a serious expression. We received a report that a serious case of school bullying occurred here. He looked at Liu Dao and warned, don't cause trouble, or, well, take you all back to the station as well. Liu Dao shrugged. Captain Chen, I am a law-abiding citizen. If you slander me, I'll sue you. I stepped between the two of them and said with a smile to Chen Fu, Captain Chen, the next scene might be inconvenient for you to see. Could you please wait outside the door for a moment? Chen Fu glanced at Liu Can crying on the floor and nodded, leading everyone to temporarily leave the classroom. I nodded at Liu Dao. Liu Dao understood. He had his men surround the area. He slowly walked up to Liu Can and swung his hand, slapping her straight across the face. What are you crying for? You still have the face to act pitiful here? If I hadn't arrived in time, have you thought about what would have happened to my sister? We were just joking around as friends. Liu Can argued stubbornly. I laughed coldly. So I interrupted your fun just now, did I? Then let them continue playing with you for a while. No. 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 Please don't. I can give you money. A lot of money. I beg you to spare me. Liu Can pleaded. Money? I stood up and walked to Gu Qinghan's desk, carefully taking out her school bag. In the small compartment of the school bag, I found the card I gave Gu Qinghan yesterday, along with the 5 million yuan check. See how much money is here. You can't see the money in the bank card, but the check clearly states the number 5 million. I slapped Liu Can's face again. Do you think I care about the spare change from your family? Liu Can never expected that Gu Qinghan, whom she had always looked down on, was actually richer than her. Impossible. This check must be fake. I generously stuffed the check into her hand. Since it's fake, go ahead and tear it up. She didn't dare to take the check at all. Her hands were just clenched together. I spat on the ground. If the knife doesn't cut you, you won't know pain, right? If I hadn't arrived in time, my sister would have been stripped naked by you all. Heaven knows what else you would have done. After stripping her, joking among friends. How come when it's your turn to be joked on, you can't take it? I raised my foot and kicked her straight in the chest. Killing you would be getting off easy. You were trying to ruin my sister's whole life. Hearing my heart beating violently, Gu Qinghan looked up at me, as if stroking fur. She gently patted my chest a few times. Liu Dao noticed the situation was not good, and quickly forced a smile, stepping between me and Liu Can. Brother Bei, it's not worth getting angry over a bitch. He winked at his subordinates. The subordinates understood, and hurriedly dragged Liu Can outside. I gently patted Gu Qinghan's back, my cold gaze shifting to the remaining people, seeing me punish Liu Can. They all knelt down and begged. It was really that bitch Liu Can who forced us. We've already cut ties with her. We will never speak to her again. Please spare us and give us a way out. I snorted coldly. You're always chattering about how Liu Can forced you. Just now, you almost stripped her naked. Could she still threaten you then? Seeing that I was about to rush forward and continue hitting, Liu Dao interrupted. Brother Bei, let us handle the teaching. My brothers and I specialize in this. I guarantee the city guard won't find any injuries. He was afraid that in my anger, I wouldn't know my own strength and might accidentally kill someone. It wouldn't be worth getting into trouble for this scum. After a round of miserable screams, the 4 limp bodies were dragged outside. I pulled a chair and sat down in front of Liao Fei Wen. I said with a cold expression, you were the one who wanted to harass my sister, and you instigated those others to bully my sister, right? Liao Fei Wen shook his head repeatedly. A very fawning smile appeared on his face. No, it wasn't me. I just saw that your sister was dressed beautifully today, so I just complimented her. As a result, their narrow minds gave rise to jealousy. It really has nothing to do with me. Hearing that, I laughed coldly. And yet just now you told them to strip off her skirt. Hearing my words, a look of embarrassment appeared on Liao Fei Wen's face. He hurriedly slapped his own mouth twice. Young Master Gu, it's all because of my cheap mouth. I was just talking nonsense. Before he could finish his sentence, I immediately stood up and grabbed his hair, pushing him down to the ground. My fingers formed a sword sign and poked twice into his lower back. An excruciating pain caused Liao Fei Wen's face to turn pale instantly. The effect of this pressure point is as painful as having kidney stones for the next few years. Every time you go to the bathroom, you will feel extreme pain. I casually threw Liao Fei Wen aside, strip off his pants and throw him out. I'm just talking nonsense, I added. Immediately after, Liu Dao nodded to his underlings. The underlings understood. They decisively beat him to a pulp first. Finally, they stripped him and threw him out of the classroom. All the people who bullied Gu Qinghan had been dealt with. The students present all breathed a sigh of relief. Liao Fei Wen only knew how to harass girls every day. He deserved to be stripped. Liu Can's gang used their power to bully people every day. Now they've finally been punished. And that homeroom teacher who fawned on the rich, oppressed the poor, and abused students. She should have been arrested long ago. Now that these bad apples have all been cleared out, we can study in peace from now on. I slowly walked to the front of the lectern and gave it a hard kick. The lectern, which had already been kicked over, made a loud noise, causing everyone's eyes to focus again. You all don't think that this is over, do you? I already said. That ID make you kneel and listen to my explanation. Gu Bei, what you're doing is too much. We didn't do anything to Gu Qinghan. Why are you taking it out on us? Aren't you afraid your sister will be ostracized in the future for doing this? I glanced at Huang Deren and asked, our school doesn't allow phones, right? Huang Deren was stunned. Although the school had never had such a requirement, he still went along with what I said. That's right, phones will affect studies. The school forbids bringing phones. I looked over at Liu Dao again. Keep an eye on everyone. Collect all their phones. I don't want what happened today getting out. I'll leave the rest to you. After speaking, I carried Gu Qinghan out of the classroom. Calming myself down, I turned my head and asked, Chen Fu, Captain Chen, I heard that you have special respect for the founding generals of our great Xia. Chen Fu was stunned, not understanding why I was asking this, but he still nodded. Back then, it was because I admired them that I chose this path. What about old General Xi Jian? I asked. His Battle of Haicheng. It drove out all the invading forces stationed in Haicheng. After reclaiming the strategic territory of Haicheng, Great Xia's supply transport was finally able to break through the invaders' blockade. He made immortal contributions to the founding of our great Xia. Chen Fu was visibly excited. It was as if he had actually participated in that battle. I nodded. It seems like there have been a few thefts at the traditional Chinese medicine hospital recently. This afternoon, I'll have to trouble Captain Chen to take a stroll with me. Chen Fu's jaw dropped in astonishment. Of course, he understood the meaning behind my words. He was so excited he became flustered. I patted Chen Fu on the shoulder. Captain Chen, there's nothing else for you guys here. You can all head back first. After speaking, I turned and went back into the classroom. Brother Bei, all the phones have been checked. Everything we found has been deleted. It's just that there's cloud sync now. I don't know if there are any backups somewhere. I nodded. I looked at the kneeling students in the classroom. Seeing me appear, a student stood up and angrily shouted, Gu Bei, we just didn't help your sister. Why are you taking it out on us? She didn't even resist herself. Why should we have to resist for her? We just didn't step in to help when we saw an injustice. The law doesn't say we have to help. I rolled my eyes and said coldly, the law also doesn't say that I can't make you kneel. And where did you hear me talk about using the law to restrain your behavior? Do you people have no morals at all? Of course, you can be unconvinced. Now I am going to explain it to you. All of you, kneel properly and listen to me. You can choose not to be brave, but you can't stop others from doing the right thing. You cowards don't have the guts to stop the bullies. Yet you stop the person who wants to help. Aren't you just aiding the enemy? How can you prove you're not associated with the bullies? The bullies' aggression is all because of you bastards condoning it. Second, you all stayed in the classroom. Weren't you hoping to see my sister get stripped? You let others do the dirty work, and then you wait to reap the benefits. If there's trouble, you can just wash your hands of it. You guys are really cunning. I can practically hear the clicks of your abacus hitting my face. Third, I just feel like taking it out on you. Any problem with that? You stayed in the classroom. Weren't you hoping to see my sister get stripped, letting others do everything, then waiting to reap the benefits? If trouble arises, you can just wash your hands of it. You guys are really cunning. I can practically hear the clicks of your abacus hitting my face. Third, I just feel like taking it out on you. Any problem with that? Hearing my words, everyone looked at each other. Most of them had the same thought, to treat Gu Qinghan's bullying as a fun show to watch. I glanced at Liu Dao. If they didn't record a video, leave them. Anyone who did record, teach them a lesson. I paused for a moment, then continued. Tonight, you guys go to the usual place. Put it on my tab. All right, Brother Bei. Leave it to me. I'll make sure they don't dare to be nosy again. Liu Dao said with a laugh. I gently patted Gu Qinghan's back. Let's take a day off today. I'll take you to change your clothes first. This afternoon, well, go help Senior Yu Yuan move. I then walked over to Huang Deren, transferred both Qinghan and Jiang Shan to my class. I led the two of them out of the classroom. Before leaving, I gave Cheng Yuan a special instruction. Fatty, you're the only one left to study hard at school. We've all paid our tuition fees. You have to study, for the three of us. Stepping out of the classroom, I gently patted Gu Qinghan's small head. Qinghan, if you keep hanging on me like this, it's hard for me to walk. She pursed her lips, hesitating for a moment. She hugged my arm tightly. I looked at Jiang Shan, a bit embarrassed. Qinghan was really scared today. It's also my fault for not caring about her before, letting her suffer like that. Jiang Shan shook her head. She asked curiously, Classmate Gu Bei, is Qinghan really your younger sister? I've never heard her mention having an older brother. Also, how were you able to call so many people? I am the son of the Gu Group's chairman. Qinghan is my biological half-sister. Unexpected, right? The pitiful girl from before is actually the youngest daughter of a top wealthy family. Hearing my words, Jiang Shan subconsciously nodded. As for why Qinghan is like this, I was about to explain when she interrupted me. Brother, let's go quickly. My words stopped. I guessed that she still hadn't accepted the Gu family, so I didn't say anything more. The group of three quickly arrived at the parking lot. Before us was a two-seater Ferrari. I couldn't help but look embarrassed. This supercar is great, but it's as if it's afraid. The owner is morally corrupt or something. I suddenly remembered something. I opened the car door. I tossed the two new pineapple phones I bought this morning to them. These two phones are for you. Get used to using them here first. I am going to get a different car. Jiang Shan looked at the latest model pineapple phone in her hand. This top-tier model costs around 10,000 yuan. She hurriedly refused. This is too expensive. I can't accept it. If it weren't for you today, my sister's life would have been ruined, I said. Gu Qinghan also nodded at Jiang Shan. She said softly, thank you. It's not just about today. Hearing her words, Jiang Shan finally accepted the phone. I brushed Gu Qinghan's hair aside. I took the phone I had just given Gu Qinghan and saved my phone number for her. Wait here obediently. When I come back, I'll comb your hair for you. Gu Qinghan nodded repeatedly. She said obediently. Then, drive carefully. Sitting in the car, I opened my Douyin app. Today, the video of those people saying Gu Qinghan was a prostitute had already spread online. I wanted to see what the situation was. Seeing that the interface wouldn't load, I couldn't help but frown. What's wrong? I remember I just bought this phone last month. Is the quality of phones in this world this bad? More than 10 minutes later, I arrived at Yangqing Square. I parked the Ferrari and found another 4-seater car. Just as I was about to start it, the Douyin app finally opened. The video about Gu Qinghan, high school girl, for an expensive haircut experience, chooses to be a sugar baby had already climbed to the top of the trending list. The video content showed a side view of my face, along with my nouveau riche appearance. The rest was all scenes of Gu Qinghan with her head down, being scolded by people. The caption read, "This is a high-end hair salon." The girl, just to get her hair done once, chose to be kept by a prodigal son. I opened the comment section. It was filled with unbearable words. Girls these days are so vain. For a haircut, they can sell their bodies, and she's a student. That guy really scored. My bro wants to ask, how much for one night? It's really my bro who wants to know. Last time I met one for 500 a night. Looked really young. What a disgrace to Jiang Cheng. Can you just get out of Jiang Cheng by yourself? Looking at the video in each comment, my expression grew darker and darker because of their groundless video. It directly led to Liu Can bullying Gu Qinghan and almost ruined her life. These animals who feast on human blood buns, I cursed angrily. First, I called the manager of the Muse Salon to get the full video from that time first. Young Master Jiu, you want yesterday's video, right? This morning when I saw that video, I already extracted the footage. I'll send it to you now. The manager had clearly guessed my intentions. After hanging up the phone, I saw the 2 video clips the manager sent. One was the original, unedited video. The other was a video with the store and employees blurred out. The manager is quite smart, I said with a laugh. I downloaded the slanderous video of Gu Qinghan from the internet, along with the extracted camera footage. I sent them to the head of the corporate legal department, Qin Lan. At the same time, I sent her a message. Sister, Qin Lan, this morning, please help me collect evidence against those who spread slanderous rumors about me and my sister. Prepare to file a lawsuit. Returning to the school, Jiang Shan was teaching Gu Qinghan how to use the new phone. Gu Qinghan seemed a bit distracted. Her eyes occasionally glanced towards the school gate. Seeing a car approach, she quickly stood up. I got out of the car. I handed her the clothes I just bought at Jiangcheng Square. Get in the car and change first. I'll comb your hair later. Taking the clothes, Gu Qinghan reached out and gently hugged me, then quickly got into the car. While waiting for her to change, I asked Jiang Shan, is there anywhere you girls want to go? In my previous life, I was a humble wage earner. I didn't have any experience dating girls. As I see it, dating is just eating, watching a movie, and strolling around. And then everyone goes home. Right? They just had breakfast. This isn't a good time for a movie or a walk, and we can't just skip to the final step. Jiang Shan thought for a moment and said hesitantly, I heard Qinghen say before that she wanted to go to the zoo. I estimated the time. It was about 9 a.m. now. I've scheduled the moving company for this afternoon. We can probably hang out for about 3 hours. Youth is priceless. Let's get going right now. Just then, Gu Qinghan opened the car door. She placed the jade comb in my hand. On her upper body, she wore a loose white shirt. On the shirt was a print of a small white rabbit hugging a carrot. On her lower body was a pair of loose, long sweatpants, completely covering her long legs. I noticed the elastic waistband was tied very tightly. Clearly, regarding what happened this morning, she still had severe psychological trauma. I took the comb. I gently combed her hair. Between the strands of hair, I could see a few distinctly pale patches on her scalp underneath. It was obviously pulled very hard. My heart felt like it was pierced by a handful of tiny nails. I really don't understand why. She's clearly such a good person, but the plot has to torture her like this. Gu Qinghan's head swayed slightly, enjoying my service. It seemed she had forgotten all the unpleasant things. Is your waistband tied too tight? Do you want to loosen it a bit? I asked. She looked at me doubtfully. She hesitated and gently lifted her shirt. Is your waistband tied too tight? Do you want to loosen it a bit? I asked. She looked at me doubtfully. Hesitantly, she gently lifted her shirt and said coquettishly, you tie it for me. Her flat, fair lower abdomen appeared before my eyes. I shyly averted my gaze. Let Jiang Shan do it. Hearing this, Jiang Shan quickly stepped forward. Qinghan, let me retie it for you. Gu Qinghan yanked her shirt down. She said unhappily. Then don't tie it. I scratched my head. All right, Then I'll tie a bow for you. I swallowed and looked around once more, this feeling of being a thief. After all, back when I took the college entrance exams, I managed to solve the final big math problem, but I've never untied a girl's waistband before. Only upon getting closer did I realize how beautiful the skin of the #1 villain in this book was. Just getting close. An elegant fragrance was almost unbearable. Du Qinghan seemed afraid I didn't know how to tie a bow. She secretly lifted her shirt a little higher. After a moment of blushing furiously, I finally finished tying the bow. My heart was pounding faster than after running 1,000 meters. I stood up, patted her head. Next time, you have to do your own things. Let's go. We're going to have fun now. The plan was to take the two of them to Yuang Zoo in the west of Jiangcheng. Yuang Zoo covers 3,000 mu. It's the largest wildlife park in the territory of Great Xia. It boasts the richest animal population, as well as various theme parks. I was prepared to take Gu Qinghan to the parent-child interaction area. To let the cute little animals comfort her wounded soul, the group of 3 quickly arrived at Yuang Zoo. Because it was a weekday, the park wasn't too crowded, but I still held Gu Qinghan's wrist tightly. I didn't give the two of them time to wander. I took her and Jiang Shan directly to the interaction area. Seeing so many baby animals, the 2 girls' hearts immediately melted. Qinghan, look quickly. It's a tiger cub and a baby panda too. We can even feed them here. She hugged my arm and shook it nonstop, pulling me all over the place. Suddenly, my phone chimed. I took out my phone to see it was a message from Qinlan. Young master, the evidence has been collected. We can file the lawsuit at any time. Tonight, we must launch a public opinion war against these bloggers who feast on human blood buns. Let them have a taste of being cyberbullied. If they apologize on their own, fine. But if they remain stubborn, then send them to jail to work the sewing machines. I suddenly noticed that Gu Qinghan's gaze seemed to be always on me. I asked doubtfully, what's wrong? Her face flushed as she said softly, brother, your phone screen. I scratched my head. I explained, last time when I was filming, I thought it looked nice, so I saved it. If you don't like it, change it right now. I like it, she quickly said. Taking a deep breath, she mustered all her courage and said, brother, let's take a picture together. I saw her take out her phone, trying to straighten her arm. At that moment, Gu Qinghan's other hand was holding a small pan. The countdown, 3, 2 finished. She suddenly stood on her tiptoes and kissed me on the cheek. Her eyes were innocent, blinking nonstop, looking at my startled face in the picture, and her rarely seen courageous look. The joy in my heart was irrepressible at this moment. Seeing I was still dazed, she explained, brother, sorry. I just wanted to get a little closer to you just now, but the panda is too heavy. I couldn't stand steadily for a moment. I looked doubtfully at the small panda in her hand. This little furball doesn't feel that heavy. Qinghan, I discovered, you can buy a chicken to feed the tigers here for 10 yuan. The same kind of chicken outside costs at least 30 yuan. At lunchtime, Jiang Shan excitedly said to Gu Qinghan, moreover, I've checked. The quality of the chicken meat here is extremely good, much better than the food they give us. But Gu Qinghan was a bit distracted. Her fingers kept swiping on her phone's home screen. Her cheeks were flushed. I interjected with a laugh. You're not planning to secretly buy 2 chickens to take home, are you? There's a purchase limit on animal feed here. It's to maintain the animal's health. If you secretly buy 2 chickens, the tiger will have to check its accounts with the staff all day tonight. Jiang Shan stuck out her tongue. Looks like my plan has failed. After lunch, they took a few more group photos at the zoo gate, then ended this short trip. Looking at the group photos, I felt something was a bit strange. Gu Qinghan's eyes never seemed to look at the camera. Instead, they were always on me. I shook my head. I am probably just overthinking things. In the afternoon, because we had to help Yu Yuan move. After asking Jiang Shan, I took her back to school first. I glanced at the time. It was almost 1:30 p.m. The appointment with the moving company was for 2 p.m., so I hurried and drove to Yu Yuan's house. Actually, the house near Jiangcheng High School that I own is already fully furnished. They only need to bring a change of clothes. They can move in right away. But I am determined to win Yu Yuan over, so I plan to use this opportunity to completely clear out her house, and at the same time, terminate the lease on this place, while also figuring out how to persuade her mother to accept treatment. After 7 or 8 turns, finally, under Gu Qinghan's guidance, we arrived at Yu Yuan's house, because she had to move today. Yu Yuan had taken a day off from school. She was sitting in the yard, reviewing her lessons. Today she was wearing a strap dress, a white one with a cinched waist design, revealing her fair neck and slender shoulders. Her high chest, the 2 thin straps, seemed to be enduring 1,000 pounds of weight, at risk of snapping at any moment. I walked over and greeted her with a smile, joking that Senior was dressed so beautifully today. Planning to go on a date? Yu Yuan looked up at me. She smiled and nodded. I am waiting for you to ask me. Gu Qinghan hugged my arm and took half a step forward, creating a distance between me and Yu Yuan. She also offered a simple greeting. Yu Yuan looked at her intimate action towards me and said admiringly, it's so nice to have an older brother. I want an older brother too. She playfully took my other arm, calling coquettishly, Brother Gubei. Seeing this, Gu Qinghan pouted her small mouth and let go of my arm. She switched to hugging my waist tightly. Declaring her ownership, she said, "Senior Yu Yuan, this is my brother. You can't snatch my brother from me." Yu Yuan looked at her intimate action towards me and said admiringly, "It's so nice to have an older brother. I want an older brother too." She playfully took my other arm, calling coquettishly, "Brother Gu Bei." Seeing this, Gu Qinghan pouted her small mouth and let go of my arm. She switched to hugging my waist tightly. Declaring her ownership, she said, "Senior Yu Yuan, this is my brother. You're not allowed to snatch my brother from me." Looking at Gu Qinghan's jealous expression, I gently stroked her head. I turned my head to look at Yu Yuan and asked if her things were packed. Yu Yuan pulled my hand and led me into the house. "Mom, Gu Bei is here." Hearing her voice, Liu Xiang hurried down from upstairs. She was carrying 2 large bundles made from bedsheets. Inside were filled with daily necessities. Seeing the beads of sweat on her forehead, I knew she was enduring intense pain at that moment. I quickly stepped forward to take the bundles from her hands. I also took the opportunity to check her pulse. The pulse indicated that besides cancer, her body was also extremely weak. Years of hard labor had caused her many illnesses. Furthermore, she was severely malnourished, but luckily, these illnesses were still in a treatable stage. If it really dragged on until after Yu Yuan's college exams, I am afraid she would be beyond saving. "Auntie, I've already found a moving company. You two just need to tell them which things need to be moved." Liu Xiang frowned. "This is too much trouble for them. We can pack it up ourselves. The college entrance exam is only a little over 3 months away. We'll only be staying for a short time. Auntie, it's a waste to leave the house empty. Having you two there will make it cozier." I heard the elders say that if a house is left empty for too long, it's not good for the house either. As for the moving company, they're actually all my family's workers. They're free anyway. Might as well let them come and help. Just then, a truck drove into the open space. 6 people in blue work uniforms, wearing white gloves, got out of the truck. The burly man in the lead saw me and hurried over. "Young master, is it this house?" I nodded. I said to Yu Yuan, "You just need to tell them which things to move. For personal items, you can ask those 2 female workers. They'll help you pack." The burly man took a stack of thick cardboard from the truck. He used tape to form cardboard boxes and began packing and moving things. "Auntie, this house will probably be empty for a few months. How about we just return the house to the landlord first? Before Senior Yu Yuan's exams, you two can just stay at my place. Wait until she goes to college. You can rent another place in the city where she studies. That way, you can save a few months' rent." Liu Xiang was stunned. She wasn't even sure if her body could last that long. But if she returned the house now, she could save a few hundred yuan each month to buy nutritious food for Yu Yuan. "All right, listen to you. Let's go find the landlord to return the keys now," Liu Xiang said. "Auntie, let me go with you." Then I turned to look at Gu Qinghan. I instructed, "Stay here obediently with Senior Yu Yuan. Wait for me to come back." Gu Qinghan pouted, reluctant to part with me. But in the end, she still said okay. The landlord lived in an alley not far from there. Liu Xiang led me there. On the way, walking beside Liu Xiang, I asked, "Auntie Liu, do you know about your current health condition?" Liu Xiang's expression stiffened for a moment. She immediately smiled and said, "I've been working all these years. My health really isn't that good. I can't do heavy work anymore." I shook my head. I began, "Auntie, I know a little bit of medicine. Right now, it's not that your health is just not good. You have cancer." Hearing these words, Liu Xiang fell into a brief silence and then sighed. She said, "I fainted at work before. The old doctor in town said I might have cancer. I know it myself. I can't be with Yu Yuan for much longer. Yu Yuan is about to take her college exams now. This is the turning point in her destiny. I can't let her be distracted anymore. I already couldn't give her a complete home. I don't want to affect her future life anymore." Hearing her words, I rolled my eyes and said with a smile, "Auntie, you also don't want Senior to know that you have cancer, right?" Hearing this, Liu Xiang immediately frowned and said unhappily, What are you planning to do?" I explained, "Auntie Liu, actually, your illness is still in the early stages. With proper treatment, it can be cured. I hope you can cooperate with me for the treatment." Liu Xiang's brow relaxed as she said helplessly, "There's no need. Xiao Bei, I know you're a good kid, but I can't owe you too many favors. My life is just what it is." I sighed softly. I knew she was afraid of owing me too great a favor, that it would all become a burden for Yu Yuan later. After thinking for a moment, I continued to persuade her, "Auntie Liu, actually, I've had a crush on Senior Yu Yuan for a long time. Xiao Bei, wait until Yu Yuan gets into college. I won't object to her dating then. But right now, you're still in high school. The college entrance exam is the most important chance to change her life. I don't want anyone or anything to affect her." I nodded, my expression serious as I spoke. "I will absolutely not affect Senior's studies. Besides, this crush, I hope you can also help me keep it a secret. Although Yu Yuan's appearance, figure, and personality are all wonderful. But after all, you two have only just met. This so-called secret crush is just an excuse to make Liu Xiang more willing to accept my good intentions. I just hope that if Miss Yuan and I get together, we can receive your blessing at our wedding. Auntie, you also want to see your daughter walking down the aisle. Don't you? I said, pretending to be deeply in love. Liu Xiang closed her eyes, imagining her daughter in a pure white wedding dress. Miss Yuan loves you more than you can imagine. With your illness, you will often be in pain later on. You might even fall into a coma. When Miss Yuan finds out then, do you think she could just stand by and watch you die? You surely don't want to be in a coma, while Miss Yuan sells herself to some old man to pay for your treatment, right? In the original story, even though she knew Liu Shang had no chance of survival, and treatment would only prolong her life by a few years, Chun Yuan still chose to become a kept woman to get the money for her medical bills. Liu Shang's expression was torn, occasionally sizing me up. Finally, she sighed helplessly. Xiao Bei, I'll listen to you. I won't object to you and Yuan being together, but I hope you'll wait until she finishes university. Of course, I agreed immediately. I couldn't help but nod happily. It was just as Liu Xiang thought. As long as I can cure her illness. Given the mother-daughter bond between Chun Yuan and Liu Xiang, I can live off Chun Yuan for the rest of my life. Liu Xiang thought I was some lovesick fool. She had no idea my mind was so clear. My career-oriented mindset completely took over. How can love be as sweet as this God-sent wealth? When Chun Yuan graduates, I'll pull her into the Gu group. Not only will I eliminate a competitor, but I'll also help the group reach new heights. We arrived at the landlord's door. The landlord was an old woman with graying hair. Hearing that Liu Xiang wanted to move out today, she hurriedly asked with concern, "Did you two find a cheaper place?" Liu Xiang didn't know how to answer for a moment. She instinctively glanced at me. If these people found out they were moving into my house, they would inevitably be gossiped about behind their backs, saying she was improper, or that she sold her daughter, and so on. I took a step forward and explained with a smile, "Ma'am, I know you're worried about Aunt Liu and her daughter. Aunt Liu found a job handling express deliveries at the traditional Chinese medicine hospital. They have a dedicated room for storage over there. Adding 2 small beds isn't a problem." The old woman nodded. "Oh, I see. That puts my mind at ease. If you're moving out today, then have Yuan write a for rent sign for me, hang it on the gate, okay?" After informing the landlord, the two of them went back to their home. I used the same reason, to explain to all the neighbors. The neighbors had seen me visit Liu Shang's house yesterday, and today, with the moving company here, they had already started spreading rumors. The story of Chun Yuan being found by her sugar daddy was already making the rounds. Saying goodbye to these gossip intelligence stations, beside me, Gu Qinghan hugged my arm and asked with a confused expression, "Brother, why did you say that?" I looked around and saw that no one was nearby, so I explained in a low voice, "These old ladies have too much time on their hands. They love to make up stories about others and gossip, and Aunt Liu is someone who cares a lot about her reputation. Although she won't have contact with these people after moving, she might reject our good intentions because of her pride. Besides, do you really think they're asking about Aunt Liu out of kindness? On one hand, it's to satisfy their nosy curiosity. On the other, it's to get close to her, to see if they can ask for favors later." Seeing Gu Qinghan's thoughtful expression, I gently pinched her little nose. "But this brother of yours is very open-minded. I won't make myself suffer for the sake of pride. If you become successful in the future and say you want to support me, I'd even be willing to lick your heels." After saying that, I couldn't help but lick my dry lips. Gu Qinghan lowered her head, her gaze falling on my shod feet. Her face instantly flushed red, and she gently shook her head. She said in a small voice, "No, that's dirty." Seeing this, I blinked in confusion. Shouldn't she be calling me a pervert right now? I glanced at her again. It felt like Gu Qinghan was actually considering it. Seeing Gu Qinghan's thoughtful expression, I gently pinched her little nose. "But this brother of yours is very open-minded. I won't make myself suffer for the sake of pride. If you become successful in the future and say you want to support me, I'd even be willing to lick your heels." After saying that, I couldn't help but lick my dry lips. Gu Qinghan lowered her head, her gaze falling on my shod feet. Her face instantly flushed red, and she gently shook her head. She said in a small voice, "No, that's terrible." Seeing this, I blinked in confusion. Shouldn't she be calling me a pervert right now? I glanced at her again. It felt like Gu Qinghan was actually considering it. Have I corrupted her? I thought to myself. Back at Chun Yuan's house, because they had lived there for a long time, there were many things they couldn't bear to throw away. The moving company was helping sort and pack everything. Seeing me return, Chun Yuan walked over and said with a smile, "Gu Bei, I don't know how to thank you. With their help, it's really been much easier." I secretly glanced at Liu Shang and joked, "Just now, when I went with Auntie to pay the rent, she already agreed to our matter." "Our matter?" Chun Yuan tilted her head and asked doubtfully. She immediately seemed to understand something, and her face flushed red in an instant. "I'll go help out." She fled from the spot in a panic. Jiu Qinghan let go of my arm. Her voice also became a little unhappy. "Brother, what on earth happened when you guys went out just now?" I thought for a moment, if I want to hide things from Chun Yuan later, I might even need Jiu Qinghan's cooperation. So I told her everything. She lowered her head guiltily. She gently tugged my sleeve and asked, "Brother, we have a way to help Auntie, right?" "Yes. Luckily, we found out early. If we had waited another 3 or 4 months, even the gods couldn't have saved her. The move here will still take a while." I want to take Auntie to the hospital for an examination first. By the way, I promised Captain Chen this morning that I'd take him to see old General Xi Zhan. I looked at Gu Qinghan. Do you want to come along? Gu Qinghan looked at me. Then at Chen Yuan. I want to stay with Sister Yuan. I pinched her cheek. Your expression gives everything away. If you're found out, can you withstand Sister Yuan's interrogation? She hugged my arm and whined. Brother, then I'll go with everyone to Chen Yuan's house. Her face flushed. She pretended to be calm and helped pack. To Aunt Liu, the house hasn't been lived in for a long time. I forgot to call a maid to clean it. Could I trouble you to go and clean up a bit first? I said. Gu Bei. How about I go clean it? My mother can't do heavy work. Chen Yuan cut in. I was about to make up an excuse when Gu Qinghan stepped forward and said, Sister Yuan, my brother and I will also help. Besides, we can show Auntie around the neighborhood. Otherwise, it'll be dark by the time the move is done. Tomorrow, she won't even know where to buy food. Seeing our concerned gazes, Chen Yuan was still a little worried. She looked at Liu Shang. Yuan, a little cleaning won't take much effort. Besides, they'll be helping. That way, when you get there, you can start studying right away. The college entrance exam is the most important turning point in your life. You have to give it your all. Liu Xiang made the final decision. After getting in the car, I told Liu Shang the real purpose of this trip. She sighed softly and immediately put on a serious expression. Xiao Bei, I want to ask something. How much will this treatment cost? And what are the chances of a full recovery? If it's too expensive, even if it's curable, she wouldn't dare to get treated. After thinking for a moment, I said, Auntie, you don't need to worry about the cost. I'll be doing most of the acupuncture treatment myself. The medicinal herbs and equipment are from my family. You just need to pay the cost price. We can deduct it from Miss Yuan's tutoring fees. As for whether it can be cured, I can only say, man proposes, God disposes. Hearing my words and feeling that the cost wouldn't be too high, Liu Xiang finally nodded gently in agreement. As long as she could survive, she could work a little more in the future. She'd be able to pay back the medical expenses one way or another. The car quickly arrived at the gate of Jiangcheng Traditional Chinese Medicine Hospital. I was just about to call Chen Fu when I saw him sitting in the guardhouse. I rolled down the car window, waved, and called out, Uncle Chen. Get in, uncle. Let's go over together. Chen Fu seemed to have showered at noon. He had changed into a green military uniform, his posture ramrod straight. A row of small medals was pinned to his chest. Holding a large bouquet, he got into the back seat. I raised an eyebrow and joked, Uncle, does your wife know you give flowers to men? He laughed sheepishly. Secret stash. It's all from the secret stash. You'll understand when you get married. On the way to Huatua Hall, I asked, Uncle Chen, have you interrogated those people yet? They said they heard rumors online, which is why they bullied my sister. You've already gotten the surveillance footage from that day. I hope you can issue a statement tonight to prove my sister's innocence. At the same time, state that cyberbullying led to my sister being bullied at school, causing her severe depression. Remind them that the internet is not a lawless place. Chen Fu nodded. After all, what I said was basically the complete truth. He immediately called his colleague at the city guard team and told him to draft a statement. The car stopped in front of Huatua Hall. The group of four walked through a long corridor and entered Huatua Hall. Liu Xiang followed behind them apprehensively. She never knew that a place like this existed within the traditional Chinese medicine hospital. Just looking at the decor here, she knew the consultation fees must be high. Gu Qinghan noticed Liu Xiang's unease. She let go of my arm, linked hers with Liu Xiang's, and said, Auntie, my brother is just here to see a patient. He's not having the doctors here treat you. After hearing that, Liu Xiang immediately breathed a sigh of relief. Entering Huatua Hall, I told the old doctor at the counter to prepare a few medicinal decoctions and get me a set of silver needles. Aunt Liu, please wait in the consultation room over there for a moment. It's not convenient to go any further inside. I said, apologetically, Brother, I'll stay with Aunt Liu. I nodded and led Chen Fu towards the inner ward of Huatua Hall. The inner ward of Huatua Hall was exquisitely decorated. It resembled an ancient, deep courtyard mansion. The furniture inside was all custom-made. Even in such an antique setting, it didn't feel out of place at all. As soon as I entered, a faint scent of sandalwood filled my nostrils, quickly calming one's mood. Today, Xi Zhan was being looked after by Xi Yu Xing, along with his third sister, Gu Wan. The male lead, Long Ao Tian, was also here for some reason. He was shamelessly and attentively chatting with Gu Wan. Although Gu Wan disliked Long Ao Tian, she was curious about the traditional medicine knowledge he was discussing, so she would chime in with a few words now and then. How could your younger brother treat you like that? It's really too much. If I had a beautiful older sister like you, I definitely wouldn't have the heart to treat her that way. You've already personally apologized. What more does he want? You're all family. Does he expect you to kneel? Long Ao Tian instigated with his green tea words. Gu Wan are also huffed in dissatisfaction. He rarely came home yesterday. I wanted to apologize in front of our parents, but I know he wasn't coming back after he left. He even suspected that I was deliberately avoiding him. Seeing this, I wrinkled my nose and took 2 sharp sniffs. I said admiringly, "This ward of ours is really well decorated, truly worthy of its pure Chinese design. Amidst such a strong scent of sandalwood, I can still smell the stench of green tea. Who are you calling green tea?" Hearing what I said, Long Ao Tian shot up to his feet. I rolled my eyes in disdain. "If your ears don't work, you can donate them to someone who needs them. Xiao Bei, how can you be so rude?" Gu Wan'er frowned and said unhappily, "Dr. Gu, what is our relationship? Why are you being so familiar? Yesterday, you pointed at my face and called me a bastard. Have you forgotten so quickly?" I sneered. I glanced at Long Ao Tian, then I opened my mouth with a cold smile. "Dr. Gu, you're not trying to rob the cradle, are you? A charlatan who can lead you by the nose with just a few words. He really has medical skills." Gu Wan'er retorted, "You really have medical skills?" I looked at him with feigned surprise. Long Ao Tian didn't answer. He just snorted arrogantly, the corners of his mouth twitching up slightly, revealing a triumphant smile. "So yesterday, when you insisted on treating the old man until he was crippled, what was your intention? You wanted him to collect disability benefits with you?" I paused for a moment, then turned to Gu Wan'er. "Can idiots get benefits nowadays?" Long Ao Tian's face immediately turned pale, then flushed. He indeed had the ability to treat Xi Zhan, but he absolutely couldn't admit it in front of everyone right now. "If young Master Gu doesn't welcome me, then he'll just leave," he said angrily, then looked around. I opened my mouth in confusion. "Well, no one's keeping you." He had to grit his teeth and glare at me fiercely. My previous words made him look like a self-directed clown. Seeing him leave, I thought for a moment. Then I looked at Gu Wan'er again and reminded her, "If Long Ao Tian really has talent, then his intentions are definitely not pure. You should stay away from people like that. And if he has no talent, then he's a fraud, and you should stay even further away from him." Hearing me say that, Gu Wan'er's previously gloomy eyes suddenly lit up. "Xiao Bei, are you concerned about me? I know I was wrong. It was all my fault yesterday. If you don't like that person, he'll have the guards throw him out next time." Xiao Bei, "Actually, I wanted to go home yesterday to apologize to you, but I waited and waited, and you never came back." I shook my head indifferently. If Gu Wan'er and Long Ao Tian colluded, it would be much simpler for Long Ao Tian to get information from the Gu group. In the novel's plot, the business empire he built was built by sucking the blood of the Go group. Even if it's just a small possibility, I have to stop this from happening. After all, in my past life, as a dedicated wage earner, I understood clearly, only this immense wealth and prosperity is the most important thing. On the other side, Chen Fu stood opposite Xie Zhan's sickbed. Holding a bouquet of flowers, his posture was ramrod straight. Seeing his idol in front of him, this big man became a little flustered. He looked at me with pleading eyes. I walked to Xie Zhan's bedside and said with a smile, "Old sir, how are you feeling?" When Xie Zhan saw me, he didn't know whether to be grateful or angry for a moment. He was grateful because I had cured his illness. His injury had been examined by all the famous doctors in the country, and they all recommended conservative treatment. Only I dared to actually operate on him. Moreover, the illness that stumped so many famous doctors was actually cured by me. He really liked me a lot. He even had the idea of adopting a grandson. But unexpectedly, I rejected that offer. Instead, I told him to adopt my father as his son. Sai Xian observed the middle-aged man in front of him. "Is this the person you want me to adopt?" I shook my head repeatedly. "Old sir, don't talk nonsense. How could I say something so outrageous? When I went home and told my father yesterday, he immediately gave me a beating." "It seems your reputation isn't working, old sir." Xie Zhan snorted coldly. "Wait until I am discharged from the hospital. I'll pay a visit to your home. I want to see if this old man's reputation still holds up or not." I was secretly happy. If the old man takes action, it seems I can get payback for yesterday's beating. I looked at Chen Fu opposite me again and introduced him to Xie Zhan. "This is the city guard in charge of security in this area. Chen Fu, Uncle Chen," he told me. "Many stories about you from your youth. Old sir, you're too amazing. To think you could lead troops to capture Haicheng, directly breaking the enemy's siege. For our Xia, you established a solid logistics route. For this achievement, I must at least toast you with 2 needles." As I spoke, I took out the silver needles and inserted them into Xie Zhan's acupoints. Xie Zhan looked at me doubtfully. He had heard of toasting with wine and even toasting with food, but never with silver needles. But hearing the praise, he was in a good mood. Especially after the shrapnel was removed, his breathing was much smoother now. He nodded kindly at Chen Fu. Seeing this, Chen Fu took 2 steps forward. He placed the bouquet in his hand into the vase in the room. Then he gave Xie Zhan a military salute. Although the old man was lying in bed, he also raised his right hand in a return salute. Watching the old general's slow movements, Chen Fu's eyes began to well up. "General Ca, back then, it was after watching a documentary about you that I resolutely chose this path. I don't understand the romance between soldiers." After turning Xie Zhan into a porcupine with needles, I looked at Chen Fu and asked, "Uncle Chen, do you want to take a photo with the old sir?" Chen Fu looked at me emotionally. Then at Xie Zhan. Seeing his expectant expression, Cezanne nodded slightly. I took the phone Chen Fu handed me and took a photo of the two of them. In the photo, Xi Zhan was lying on the sickbed. Due to his old age, his back was slightly hunched, while Chen Fu stood ramrod straight, his resolute gaze fixed forward. Looking at the photo I just took, I nodded in satisfaction. This is a great photo. Without the older generation's arduous struggle, fighting so hard that their backs became bent, how could our generation have such straight backs? The originally ordinary photo, through my words, immediately became full of meaning. The more Xi Zhan looked, the more satisfied he was. He asked, Xiao Bei, are you engaged yet? I looked at the old man doubtfully. I suddenly remembered a plot point from the book. Xi Zhan has a granddaughter named Xi Shuang Xu. In the original work, she was also one of the women in Long Ao Tian's harem. Xi Zhan was grateful to Long Ao Tian for saving his life. After a conversation, he felt that Long Ao Tian's character was decent, so he wanted to match him with his granddaughter. But Xi Shuang Xu had a stubborn personality. She strongly opposed Xi Zhan arranging her marriage, wanting to set up the wedding, but she didn't dare to defy the old man. So she wanted to defeat Long Ao Tian directly to make him back off. However, Long Ao Tian also came from a martial arts background, so of course, Xi Shuang Xu couldn't do anything to him. They became friends after fighting. They quickly became as close as siblings. Xi Shuang Xu was also very chivalrous. Once, when Long Ao Tian argued with the female lead, to comfort him, she offered herself to him. I looked at my slender arms and legs. I really couldn't withstand Xi Shuang Xu's torment. I quickly stopped him. Old sir, I am still a minor. What are you trying to do? As if exposed, Xi Zhan looked at me with some embarrassment. How is this kid so sharp? He forced a laugh and said, it's good for young people to interact more. Who knows? You might have something in common. It's not like I am bragging, old sir, but my granddaughter is one of the most beautiful girls around. She's not a bit inferior to the girl you brought yesterday. I nodded. The book repeatedly mentioned Xi Shuang Xu's incredibly long legs. Although I was curious about how long they were, I am not as good at taking a beating as Long Ao Tian. To put it bluntly, if Xi Shuang Xu dared to lay a hand on me, I would definitely just lie down on the ground. I can't win. I fundamentally can't win. I looked around for help. Wait a minute. It seems no one in this room can control the old man. Cu Xing was observing me with a smile. Not bad looking. If he marries my daughter, our children will definitely be beautiful too. Plus, he has miraculous medical skills. I heard that last night, the doctors from the Da Sha Medical Research Institute watched my surgery video over and over again. They kept wondering how I did it. They were about to pull all their hair out. Uncle Chen, someone here is arranging a marriage. Aren't you going to do something about it? I asked through gritted teeth. General Xi, young Master Ju, I still have to go on patrol. Please excuse me. Chen Fu said hurriedly. Both were people he couldn't afford to offend. If he stayed any longer, he was afraid he'd get caught in the crossfire. Xiu Xing, the old man is planning to sell your daughter. I believe my father's judgment of people is absolutely correct. Xiu Xing said with a smile. The way she was looking at me now was like a mother-in-law looking at her son-in-law, growing more pleased by the second. Gu Waner had mysteriously run out just now. Now, I was isolated in the ward with no one to help me. No. My brother already has someone he likes. Just then, Gu Qinghan suddenly appeared. No. My brother already has someone he likes. Just then, Gu Qinghan suddenly appeared, running to my side. She hugged my arm and looked at the two of them warily. Xi Zhan's gaze darted back and forth between Gu Qinghan and me. Yesterday, he had heard from Xi Yuxing that I wasn't the Gu family's biological son. Furthermore, my biological parents were both deceased. Marrying into the Gu family directly wouldn't affect my life. Perhaps it was the best choice. I nodded repeatedly and gently patted Gu Qinghan's head. I guessed she was talking about Chen Yuan. As expected of the biggest villain in the story, her mind is so quick. But this intimate gesture, in Xia Zhan's eyes, looked like two young people in love. Gu Qinghan's cheeks were flushed. She stood on her tiptoes and leaned close to my ear, and whispered, "She's been waiting for a long time over there." I nodded. "Old sir, I still have a patient on the other side. Please excuse me." After saying that, I hurriedly pulled Gu Qinghan's hand and fled the scene. Watching the two of them leave, Xi Zhan still hadn't given up. He said, "Get that girl Shuang Xu to Jiangcheng. If she can't trick Gu Bei into becoming my grandson-in-law, then lock up all the guns in her room." On the other side, I hurried to the consultation room and began the treatment. A while later, the acupuncture session ended. I breathed a sigh of relief. Gu Qinghan took out 2 tissues and helped me wipe the sweat from my forehead. I had never received such treatment before. My body froze in an instant, and I didn't dare to move. Liu Shang blushed with embarrassment and quickly got dressed. She didn't know what to say, but after this acupuncture session, she really felt much lighter. The pain that had been tormenting her had subsided even without painkillers. Looking at the sky, it was almost time for school to end. Chen Yuan should be almost done packing by now. Let's go. The medicine should be ready. I stretched. I stood up and said, At the reception desk, the old doctor handed me the brewed medicine and silver needles. He also gave me a bag. Inside were a few bags of traditional Chinese medicine. This is the plum soup that the third young miss specially cooked for the young master. It's just been chilled. You can drink it right away, the old doctor said. I nodded. I knew this was Yu Yuan trying to make peace with me. Yesterday, I gave her a good scolding, trying to make peace with just a few bags of plum soup. After thinking for a moment, I pretended to be heartbroken and said, tell my third sister not to waste her efforts. I know I am not really a member of the Gu family, but after all, Mom and Dad have raised me for so many years. Even when bones are broken, the sinews remain. Right now, there's still a knot in my heart that I can't get over. I paused and smiled bitterly. Maybe it will be okay after some time. After all, she is my third sister. Even if she doesn't acknowledge me, she is still my sister. After saying that, I sighed again. I led Gu Qinghan and Liu Xiang away from there. In the pharmacy room, Gu Yuan was still quietly hiding in a corner, looking towards the reception desk. She wanted to know, when I saw the plum soup she made herself, what my reaction would be. Hearing what I just said, she felt as if her heart was filled with broken glass shards. It turns out Xiao Bei never blamed me. He still considers me his sister. Yesterday, I said such harsh things. It's only natural that he's unwilling to forgive me now. It's all my fault. But, Xiao Bei, I will definitely make you forgive me. Just thinking about me huddled alone under a cold blanket, only able to lick my wounds in solitude. Gu Yuan's eyes couldn't help but turn red. However, I am not the original owner of this body. I am currently immersed in the joy of revenge. If you left me alone on a bed that was 800 square meters wide, don't even talk about being sad. Even if I rolled over twice on the bed, I wouldn't fall to the floor. I could only laugh out loud. Leaving the Huatuo clinic, I gave the plum soup directly to Gu Qinghan and Liu Xiang. The plum soup was in a sealed traditional Chinese medicine bag. It looked ordinary on the outside, but after one sip, the sweet and sour taste mingled with the fragrant osmanthus scent. The cool sensation dispelled the late spring heat. This was the most delicious plum soup I had ever tasted. Gu Qinghan was also amazed by this flavor. A glimmer of light seemed to flash in her eyes. We got in the car to go back. I drove Liu Xiang around the apartment complex twice, showing her where the shops were. I told her she could wander around downstairs when she had free time in the next few days. When we arrived at the arranged apartment, Yu Yuan was sprawled on the sofa by the door, whining. Mom, where did you all go? Why did it take you so long to come back? My gaze was drawn to a deep abyss. I felt like my whole body was about to be swallowed whole. Du Qinghan noticed the scene and tugged on my arm. She asked, Brother, where are our slippers? Zhu and Yu Yuan suddenly realized something. Her face flushing red, she immediately sat up straight, covering her chest with one hand. I shot Gu Qinghan a resentful look. The slippers were clearly arranged neatly on the shoe cabinet to the right. Entering the new home, Liu Xiang couldn't hide her joy. She curiously opened the door to each room. The things they brought were all neatly placed in the storage room. Apart from toiletries and a change of clothes, Yu Yuan hadn't unpacked anything else. I glanced around the house. The basic daily necessities were all there. Only some food was missing. Looking at Liu Xiang and Yu Yuan, although Yu Yuan had received a considerable salary, she would surely save it for university. I walked up to Yu Yuan, who was covering her chest. I chuckled softly. Senior, didn't you say you were waiting for me to ask you on a date? Let's go to the supermarket to buy some things. Yu Yuan blushed. She secretly glanced towards the bedroom, stood up, and called out, Mom, Gubei and I are going to the supermarket for a bit. Liu Xiang hurriedly walked out of the room. Xiao Bei, you and Qinghan should have dinner here tonight too. Well, have to trouble you tonight then, Auntie. I smiled and nodded. Liu Xiang then pulled out a wad of crumpled small bills from her pocket. She stuffed all of it into Yu Yuan's hand. Remember to buy some dishes that Xiao Bei likes to eat. I'll cook something delicious for you all tonight. Yu Yuan hummed softly twice, pouting. Mom, I don't even know who your real child is anymore. The supermarket was right across from the west gate of the apartment complex. It was just a short walk. The three of us went downstairs together. Gu Qinghan hugged my arm tightly, squeezing in between me and Yu Yuan. Suddenly, two familiar figures appeared not far ahead. Zhang Shiting was walking arm in arm with Liang Wanwan towards the supermarket. Zhang Shiting said, Wanwan. This time, Gubei really went too far. We can't let him off so easily. Didn't you say this morning that he wanted to apologize? So he bought 2 of the latest pineapple phones. This time, even if he gives me one, I won't speak up for him. Liang Wanwan also said angrily. He also sold so many of my handbags, unless he buys back everything he sold. Otherwise, I will never pay attention to him again. Seriously, girl, this Gubei is too shameless. He took back the gifts he gave you. Does he think that by accepting his gifts, you have to be his girlfriend? So many people at our school are pursuing you, including so many top students. He's just a good-for-nothing rich kid. Just a useless playboy who squanders his family's money. Zhang Shiting said sympathetically. Suddenly, she saw a familiar figure behind them. Her expression was full of surprise. Juan, that person behind us seems to be Gubei. His house isn't in this neighborhood. Liang Wanwan frowned. She guessed that Gubei wanted to create a chance encounter with her, that he was deliberately following her. But even if he were to apologize to her face right now, she had no intention of forgiving him just yet. Her pace quickened unconsciously. Shiting, let's go. He made me so angry today. I have to make him wait a little longer. Zhang, Shiting tugged Liang Wanwan's arm. Wanwan, I don't think that's it. There are two girls with Gubei right now. Hearing that, Liang Wanwan suddenly stopped and turned her head to look. Gubei was currently arm in arm with one girl and chatting with another girl. The group of three looked very harmonious. The beauty she was always so proud of was basically nothing compared to those two girls, especially compared to Yu Yuan's hot figure. Her own figure was clearly too lacking. As for me, I had already noticed Zhang Shiting and Liang Wanwan ahead of, but I had already broken ties with them this morning. There was no longer any relationship between us, so I ignored them and planned to walk around them. But petty people are unpredictable. Unexpectedly, Liang Wanwan took a few quick steps and ran in front of us to block our path. She said coldly, Gubei, you think pretending not to see me is going to attract my attention? Gubei, you think pretending not to see me is going to attract my attention? She glanced at Gu Qinghan and Xuan Yuan and said scornfully, I can't believe you even paid to hire two female students to act with you. You're so childish. If you sincerely apologize to me, it's not like I can't give you a chance to pursue me. Hearing that, I stared blankly at Liang Wanwan. I couldn't quite understand her train of thought. It seems the original owner's simp image was deeply ingrained in people's minds, just based on what happened this morning. It wasn't enough to change people's preconceived notions. So I reached out and put my arm around Gu Qinghan's shoulder, then wrapped my other arm around Xuan Yuan's waist, smiling as I said, thank you, but no need. Why should I give up this entire forest for a crooked tree like you? Gu Qinghan blushed, and naturally wrapped her arm around me as well. She even nuzzled against my chest. I gently pinched Gu Qinghan's cheek. As expected of the #1 villain in the book, she grasps the situation so quickly, and her acting skills are also very refined. Xuan Yuan, on the other hand, was like an outsider to this battle. Her hands were clasped tightly together in nervousness. Her gaze was fixed on the hand resting on her waist. Liang Wanwan gritted her teeth in anger. She glared at Gu Qinghan and Xuan Yuan. Do you two think Gubei actually likes you? He's just using you to make me angry. Once we make up, you'll be kicked to the curb immediately. Hearing that she would be abandoned, Gu Qinghan looked at me with wide, watery eyes. Brother, will you abandon me in the future? I looked deep into Gu Qinghan's eyes. I will grow up with you. Gu Qinghan's face turned beet red, as if she was about to melt in my arms. When Liang Wanwan heard that, she glared fiercely at Gu Qinghan. She snorted coldly, a man's words, how can you believe that crap? Why do you think Gubei brought you here? His house isn't here. This apartment complex is where I live. He's deliberately following me, wanting to apologize to me, begging for my forgiveness. You two are just tools. Only you would believe his sweet talk. Tu Qinghan made a face at Liang Wanwan. He's not a stalker. On the contrary, it's you. You clearly don't like him, so why are you here, blocking his way? After saying that, she turned her head to look at me and said coaxingly, Brother, let's go quickly. Auntie is waiting for us to buy groceries and cook. I nodded. One arm around this one, the other around that one, and led the two of them towards the supermarket. Hearing Gu Qinghan's words, Liang Wanwan stood frozen on the spot. Zhang Shiting stepped forward and asked, Wanwan, could it be that Gubei's mother is planning to cook for the two of them herself? Gubei brings two girls home, and his mother doesn't even object. The private lives of the rich are so messy. She paused for a moment, then continued to ask, Gubei, did he ever invite you to his house for dinner before? Liang Wanwan's face darkened. The original owner had invited her to eat, but it was always at fancy restaurants outside. He never once mentioned taking her home for a meal, but she snorted coldly and said stubbornly, with the way he looks at me, how could I possibly agree to go to his house? His mother isn't a professional chef. What delicious food could she possibly make? On the other side, upon entering the supermarket, I was pushing two shopping carts by myself. Before, when I went grocery shopping, I had to pull out a calculator to compare prices even when buying snacks. If the taste was similar, even for different kinds of snacks, I would only dare to take one. But now, I can completely let loose. As long as I see something I like, I'll take one of each, without worrying about the price. Two shopping carts. One was to compensate for my past deprivations. The other one, it was filled with snacks I chose for Gu Qinghan and Xuan Yuan. After finishing with the snack aisle, we moved on to the vegetable section. Xuan Yuan meticulously chose various seasonal vegetables. She also got some pork belly and a small piece of beef. Tonight we can render some lard, stir-fry a plate of greens, make a plate of braised pork, and add a small plate of stir-fried beef with ginger. She glanced at me, wondering if these dishes were too simple for me. But at that moment, my eyes were completely captivated by the jumping fresh seafood in the fresh food section. Have you finished choosing? I plan to buy some seafood to release. I looked at Xuan Yuan and said with a smile. At checkout, because I bought so much stuff, the supermarket manager specially assigned someone to help carry it all home. Walking on the road, looking at the bright moon, I couldn't help but sigh. I had just discovered that going all out only cost 2,800 yuan. Apparently, with just 2,800, you can be happy starting from the supermarket trip all the way until you finish eating all the snacks. But before I transmigrated, I couldn't even bear to spend this 2,800. Gu Qinghan noticed my dejection. Brother, what's wrong? I shook my head and said with a smile, it's just that life is too good right now. It feels a little unreal. Gu Qinghan nodded vigorously. These past few days also made her feel like it wasn't real. She suddenly turned and hugged me tightly. Looking up, her eyes sparkling like stars, she called, Brother, can you feel me hugging you? Does it feel real now? I patted her head. I don't know what kind of messed up brain the original owner had. How could he bear to bully such an adorable girl? I smiled. You're walking backwards like this. We're both going to fall flat on our faces. A look of admiration appeared in Yu Yuan's eyes. It would be so nice if she had a brother like that too. Unconsciously, she gently took my arm and said softly, Xiao Bei, how about you take that seafood home to eat? It's a bit too expensive. My mom doesn't know how to cook it either. It'll be a waste. I shook my head and raised an eyebrow, saying, high-end ingredients often only require the simplest cooking methods. Fresh seafood like this just needs to be steamed. If you all don't know how, then let me. It's not a boast. But when it comes to boiling water, I have decades of experience. Even a 5-star chef wouldn't dare to claim that they are better at boiling water than me. Hearing my joke, both of them burst out laughing. When we got home, Liu Xiang was sitting on the sofa, trying to figure out how to turn on the TV. TVs now are not like when she was young, where you could just turn it on and watch a show. She fumbled with it for a long time without figuring it out. Seeing us return, she hurriedly stood up to take the grocery bags. I'll go make something delicious for you kids right now. Auntie, I'll come help too. I quickly volunteered. Without waiting for Liu Xiang to refuse, I carried the bag of seafood straight into the kitchen. Gu Qinghan trotted after me. Yu Yuan saw everyone piling into the kitchen and felt awkward sitting in the living room alone. Fortunately, the kitchen was quite spacious. It didn't feel crowded even with 4 people inside, watching the others around me expertly. One chopping vegetables, another slicing meat. My amateur cooking skills didn't dare to show off in front of experts, so I took out a dozen or so Russian oysters from the bag and clumsily started shucking them with a knife. These were the kind you could eat raw. Prying open the shell revealed the plump, white oyster meat inside. Squeezing a bit of lemon juice on it, I slurped it down. The whole piece of oyster meat slid down into my stomach. The saltiness of the seawater mixed with the sourness of the lemon, and there was a faint, milky fragrance in my mouth. This flavor made my eyes light up. You really get what you pay for. Before, I craved them so much. I only dared to eat the 10 yuan for 8 grilled oysters with scallion oil sold at the gate. That flavor was also great. It didn't even matter if there was an oyster inside or not. After eating 2, I started feeding the other 3. Although everyone praised how delicious the oysters were, Liu Xiang and Xuan Yuan only tried one and refused to eat more. But how could this stop me? This was a rare opportunity for intimate contact with a hot-bodied and gorgeous senior. I directly went up and teased her for a while, making her face blush so red it looked like it would drip water. She didn't dare refuse my feeding anymore. On the other hand, Gu Qinghan initially opened her mouth every time I got close, but when she saw Xuan Yuan start eating the oysters, she stopped eating. On the other hand, Gu Qinghan initially opened her mouth every time I got close, but when she saw Xuan Yuan start eating the oysters, she stopped eating. I guess she wanted to let Xuan Yuan have more, so I didn't force her. I casually fed a few more to Xuan Yuan. After a sumptuous dinner, I helped clean up, then got ready to leave with Gu Qinghan. Xiao Bei, didn't you agree to tutor Qinghan? Liu Xiang asked, puzzled. I still have some things to handle tonight. Well, start tomorrow, I said. Upon hearing her question, I just checked my phone and saw that Chen Fu had sent the blue background, white text notice with Chen Wei Jun's stamp. It was already past 8 p.m. when we drove home. Mom and Dad weren't in the living room. Instead, there was someone lying on their back, wearing an orange crop top and sports shorts. The girl's name was Go Shu Ting, my 4th sister. Hearing the door open, Go Shu Ting sat up. Seeing it was me, she flopped back down. Oh, Xiao Bei. I thought Mom and Dad were back. I looked at my 4th sister curiously. Aren't you supposed to be at university? Why are you back today? Go Shu Ting sat up, hugging her knees. Her ample chest was squished out of shape by her long legs. It's all because of that damn elective at school. I chose a media-related course. It requires us to, within 1 semester, create a social media account. 1,000 fans is a pass. 10,000 fans gets you an excellent grade. I heard there was a really popular barbecue place in Jiangqing yesterday. I was planning to go shoot a short video, but there were too many people checking in there. I couldn't even squeeze in. What barbecue place? If you want to eat, I'll bring some back for you next time. Wait a second. Gu Shuting took out her phone and tapped a few times. This is the one. On the phone screen, a young man wearing a mask was playing the guitar and singing. Walk with me on the streets of Jiangqing. Hearing the singing from the phone, Gu Shuting suddenly froze. She glanced at me, then looked back at the young man on the screen, and then looked up at me again with a look of astonishment. She frowned, lifting my chin to examine it. Finally, she let out a long sigh. Seeing Gu Shuiting's complicated expression, my face couldn't help but darken. I could roughly guess what she was thinking. She was probably wondering if that singing kid was me, but then she thought that I couldn't possibly write such a good song, and finally concluded it was just a coincidence that we looked alike. I remember in the original plot, Gu Shuiting danced for this assignment and gained over 100,000 fans, becoming an internet celebrity, but in reality, she couldn't dance. It was just that the video perfectly captured her innocent beauty, her hot figure, and her naive movements, especially the location tag, which showed a small, remote town, where housing prices were only 2,000 yuan per square meter, a peerless beauty from a poor countryside. This persona immediately attracted a great deal of attention, but later, her identity was exposed. Her image collapsed in an instant, causing her to be cyberbullied for a period of time. She developed depression. At that time, the Gu group was also in decline. Everyone was worried and anxious. They thought her depression was just for show. In the end, she couldn't stand the cyberbullying and chose to end her own life. In the original owner's memory, Gu Shuiting and he were both spendthrifts. The two of them could be said to have a close sibling bond. But Gu Shuiting was often scolded for her extravagant spending, while the original owner was spoiled and was basically never punished. I thought for a moment and decided to confess my identity to help her complete her assignment. That way, the issue of her persona wouldn't come up and the tragedy could be avoided. But before I could open my mouth, Gu Shuiting's eyes lit up, and she immediately hugged my thigh tightly. "Xiao Bei, your big sister has a once-in-a-lifetime request." Hearing this sentence, I felt the original owner's memories awaken. My whole body couldn't help but tremble. I remember the last time she said this. It was when she was caught buying gay books and made the original owner take the blame. The old couple was counting on the original owner to continue the family line. Seeing that book, they almost beat the original owner into the hospital. I wanted to pull my leg back, but Gu Shuiting was hugging it too tightly. She pulled me right off the sofa and onto the floor. "Let go." "When you say that, it's definitely nothing good," I said through gritted teeth. "I won't let go unless you agree to it first," Gu Shuiting said firmly. The noise downstairs startled Gu Qinghan, who had just finished showering. She rushed down the stairs with a patter. Seeing our position, she asked blankly, "Brother, what are you guys doing?" She was wearing a white rabbit pajama set with puffy sleeves. There were two fluffy rabbit ears on the hood. Below were matching white rabbit pumpkin shorts, with a plump rabbit tail on the back. Her hair was still soaking wet. She was holding an old hairdryer in her hand. Seeing Gu Qinghan run down the stairs in a panic, I sighed softly and said helplessly, "All right, I agree, but I want your hairdryer in exchange." Gu Shuiting giggled, quickly got up, and ran to her room. She brought out a light purple hairdryer. I pretended to be serious and lectured Gu Qinghan. "Next time you go down the stairs, don't be in such a hurry. You were holding something in your hand. What if you had tumbled down the stairs?" Gu Qinghan lowered her head, but she couldn't hide the smile at the corner of her mouth. Although she was being scolded, she felt warm inside. "All right, come here, I'll dry your hair. You have to take good care of this hairdryer. Your brother had to sell himself to get this for you." Gu Shuiting's hairdryer had a very strong airflow, yet it didn't damage the hair. In no time, Gu Qinghan's hair was dry. I stroked Gu Qinghan's freshly washed hair. The scent of shampoo filled my nose. Gu Qinghan swayed slightly and looked at Gu Shuiting. She asked, "Fourth sister, what is it? I can help you too. No need to trouble you." Gu Shuiting looked at us suspiciously. She remembered that I always hated Gu Qinghan. How did their relationship get so good? She shook her head and said, "Only your brother can help me with this." I pouted and said resignedly, "Stop being mysterious. Say it. What is it?" "Actually, it's just a small thing." Gu Shuiting felt her pocket and pulled out a crumpled mask. "You just need to wear a mask and shoot a video with me." Only then did I nod in understanding. It turned out, Gu Shuiting wanted me to pretend to be that guitar playing, which is to say, I would be pretending to be myself. I originally planned to confess, but I suddenly found this development rather interesting. I could also tease her a bit. This whole business of forcing myself to work. "Xiao Bei, hurry and put on the mask. Let me see if you look similar," Gu Shuiting urged. I nodded. I unfolded the crumpled mask. A pleasant fragrance wafted out. There was also a faint lipstick stain on the mask. I couldn't help but raise an eyebrow and glance at Gu Shuiting again. One must not refuse a gift from an elder. Even though she's my sister from another mother, she's still an elder. But just as I had mentally prepared myself and was about to put on the mask, I saw Gu Qinghan snatch the mask from my hand. "Brother, I still have a spare mask. Go get it." A fragrant breeze wafted by. Gu Qinghan ran to her room and took out a mask. As she came downstairs, she suddenly remembered my advice. She lowered her head and carefully watched the steps to avoid slipping. I took the mask she handed me and looked at Gu Qinghan with suspicion. This mask wasn't crumpled, but there was a crease on the nose bridge. It seemed to have been used before as well. "Brother, I am out of new masks," Gu Qinghan mumbled. "You won't mind, will you?" Hearing that, I patted Gu Qinghan's head. Looking at the condition of this mask, it probably hadn't been worn for long. Besides, it's just for a short video. It won't take long. I put on the mask. Gu Shuiting, compared the young man in the video and her younger brother, nodding with satisfaction. Xiao Bei, from now on, you should just weld a mask to your face. I am sure many beautiful women will like you. I pouted. All right, let's get this over with quickly. Gu Shuting pulled a guitar out from her room. She handed it to me. Just strike a few poses. I'll dub the guitar sound in post-production. Also, when we're shooting, you have to show your right 45-degree side profile. Remember to tilt your head down slightly. Otherwise, you'll still look a little different from him. I sighed. Being asked to pretend to be myself was one thing, but now I was being told that my acting wasn't convincing enough. Looking at my resentful face, Gu Qinghan sat on the side, hugging her knees and swaying gently. She had also seen yesterday's video. Just now, while bathing, she listened to that song over and over again. She guessed that fourth sister wanted to ride the hype. But now, the true identity of the boy the entire internet was looking for, only she knew. This feeling of keeping a little secret for her brother made her heart feel ticklish, like a seed accidentally planted many years ago, suddenly broke through the soil and bloomed into a brilliant flower. The video took a full half-hour to shoot. Only then did Yu Shuiting reluctantly nod in satisfaction. I collapsed onto the sofa, my face so weary I couldn't be bothered to speak. A video of just over a minute had to be shot more than 30 times. I never expected pretending to be myself would be this difficult. Ju Qinghan sat to one side, her cheeks puffed out as she secretly giggled. I ran over to her and put the hat on her head. Then I rubbed it vigorously a few times, seeing her hair stand on end like a cat's puffed up fur. I stopped, satisfied. Gu Qinghan looked up, biting her lip gently. Her glistening peach blossom eyes looked up at me. I scratched my head awkwardly and said with a wry smile, "Go comb your hair first. After I finish my shower, well, shoot a video together." Hearing that I also wanted to shoot a video, Gu Shuting raised an eyebrow and said provocatively, "Xiao Bei, you're not planning to steal this sister's spotlight, are you? Did you just finish shooting the video and realize you look quite a bit like that great master? Do you need me to give you some pointers? Otherwise, I feel you're still lacking a bit of his aura." Seeing this, I shook my head in fear. I grabbed Ju Shuting's guitar and ran back to my room, letting out a sigh of relief. My little tail, Gu Qinghan, also trotted in after me. She went into the dressing room and took out the gray wolf pajamas, the one we bought on our previous shopping trip. "You wear this," she said, and I nodded. I took the pajamas and went into the bathroom. It's probably because this morning I asked Gu Qinghan to help me choose my clothes that she now sees it as her duty. I thought to myself. 10 minutes later, I finished my shower. I prepared to start shooting the video. Gu Qinghan was leaning against the edge of the bed, sitting on the floor. She was holding a small comb in her hand. I put on a mask. I adjusted the phone's angle to capture both of us. While combing Gu Qinghan's hair, I recounted the whole story from beginning to end. To get more views for the video, I even picked up the guitar. I played and sang a song against school bullying. After shooting the video and doing some simple editing, I posted it directly on the Douyin platform. Many netizens were staying up late, continuously refreshing their homepage and leaving comments below, urging the creator to release a new video quickly. Suddenly, a new video notification popped up. Fans all clicked to watch the latest video. On the screen, I talked about a school bullying incident that started from maliciously edited video clips that were baseless, and I also showed the announcement from guard Captain Chen's team to prove the authenticity of the matter. How can such beastly people exist? They even wanted to strip a girl's clothes in public. Isn't that trying to ruin her entire life? Luckily, the creator saved his sister. Otherwise, how severely would his sister have been psychologically traumatized? School bullying really needs to be strictly managed. There are always those who take advantage of being minors to act recklessly without restraint. If anyone dared to do that to my daughter, I'd risk my old life to drag them to hell with me. I am just wondering why there were so many people there. Yet no one dared to step up and help. Then I picked up the guitar, and with a deep, warm voice, I began to sing. "You've forgotten the cold wind blowing through the wound. You believe you can get through life without pain or itch. Why do you want to sing when you see the snow fall? Why do tears fall the moment you let go?" On the screen, videos of bullied children were shown one by one, and related news. The creator's performance was still incredibly stable. It's just that this song is a bit too gloomy. I feel like I can sense what it's like to be bullied. Those children must have felt so helpless, but they clearly did nothing wrong. Gu Qinghan was lying on her side on the bed. Tears streamed down her face non-stop. She sniffled, wanting to crawl into my arms again. I looked at Gu Qinghan's slightly red eyes. I took a wet wipe from the bedside table, leaned over to wipe them for her. Knock, knock. Suddenly, there were 2 knocks on the door. After a brief pause, Go Shui Ting burst in. "Xiao Bei, this is the only request of my life." But after a moment of silence, Gu Shui Ting looked at the 2 of us sitting properly in the room. A meaningful smile appeared on her face as she observed us. Then she casually plopped down on the bed. "Hey Xiao Bei, that creator just posted a new video." She leaned over, her head resting directly on my shoulder. She held up her phone between the 2 of us. "Later, let's shoot another clip. This way." My conduct points are definitely in the bag. I suddenly felt my elbow touch something very soft. As for the video on the screen, I couldn't focus on it at all. Gu Qinghan said unhappily, "Fourth sister, I want to watch too." Ju Shuting nodded and reached out towards Gu Qinghan. By doing so, Her whole body was pressed tightly against me. Seeing this, Gu Qinghan quickly stood up. Like a stubborn little goldfish, she squeezed in between us. This way, it'll be less tiring for you to hold the phone. Gu Shuting had an epiphany. High school students' minds sure work fast. I looked at the scene before me and sighed softly. I just felt something was a little off about Gu Qinghan. Then I quickly shook my head. I must be overthinking it. After the video finished, Gu Ting's mood was heavy. I can't believe something like this happened here in Jiangcheng. That girl. She's really too pitiful. It's a good thing the creator arrived in time. If only I had such a good brother too. How nice would that be? She exhaled softly. Calming herself, she looked at me. Xiao Bei, change of plans. Let's shoot this video together. But then she suddenly froze. She looked at the clothes I was wearing and carefully compared it with the image in the creator's video. What a coincidence. Your pajamas are identical to the ones that creator was wearing. But the next second, she stood up and looked at the room's decor. Her face immediately flushed red. She turned and lunged, pinning me down on the bed. She grabbed a pillow and started whacking me with it. How dare you dared to trick me. You just wanted to see me make a fool of myself, didn't you? Jiu Qinghan wanted to step forward and stop her, but Gu Shuting also pushed her onto the bed. And you even helped your brother trick me, you brat. Seeing this, I quickly hugged Gu Qinghan, shielding her under my body. I shouted, if you want to hit someone, hit me. Actually, the pillow was very soft. Hitting someone with it only felt soft. But Gu Qinghan's cheeks immediately flushed red. Her hands, which were covering her chest, suddenly and bravely hugged me tightly. After roughhousing for a while, Gu Shuting finally rolled off me. I also just realized my position felt a bit wrong. Seeing this, Gu Shuting abruptly pulled me away and hugged Gu Qinghan, who was lying on the bed with a flushed face into her arms, saying indignantly, Tsk. Bullied by outsiders outside and bullied by your older sister at home. My little sister's life is so hard. I scratched my head awkwardly. The previous Gu Qinghan really did go through days like that. No, he didn't. Brother doesn't bully me. Gu Qinghan mumbled in protest. Gu Shuting smoothed her hair and looked at me, asking, what's your plan? Although mom and dad haven't accepted our youngest sister yet, but we, the Gu family, can't let others bully her like this. I nodded. Of course, the people who bullied Qinghan today have all been arrested by Guard Captain Chen's team. As for the ones spreading rumors online, I already said in the video, I am giving them 3 days for them to come forward, clarify, and apologize. Sister Qin Lan has already gathered enough evidence. If there are no apology videos by the deadline, we will take legal action. Gu Ting nodded, then her eyes suddenly lit up. Then at that time, tell your fans to follow me, okay? That way, I can comfortably skip classes this semester. The corner of my mouth twitched a couple of times. Do you go to school just for the conduct points? Don't you absorb any knowledge? Hearing that, Gu Shuting rolled her eyes. At least I got into university on my own merit. As for you, mom and dad paid for you to get into high school. I was dumbfounded, not knowing how to respond. After all, the original owner was indeed too incompetent. Gu Qinghan, sitting in Gu Shuting's lap, saw my speechless expression and couldn't help but chuckle softly. My video spread extremely fast, especially since the topic of opposing school bullying was very novel. It caused a stir in the online community. Quite a few popular TikTokers with millions of views also joined in to show their support, calling on schools, parents, and the city guard to pay attention to the situation of young people. Don't let the tragedy of school bullying happen. There were also many creators who, through tears, recounted their own experiences of being bullied. But fortunately, they could still stand in front of the camera and tell their stories. But many children don't even get that chance. Some creators who go with the flow followed the request in the video and sincerely apologized, stating that they should have checked their sources carefully and verified its authenticity. Whether it was sincere or fake, at least on the surface, they helped clear Jiu Qinghan's name. However, there were also many netizens who didn't understand my action. They were clearly also deceived by those Coles and some creators. They were clearly victims too. On what grounds should they be forced to apologize? They just deleted their comments and the videos they had posted and started to play dumb. Jiangcheng University, Jiangshu Yuan, the one from the Tai Da clothing store earlier, who had filmed that drama, had also seen my video. Her previous video had sternly condemned Gu Qinghan for selling her body for a small profit. At the same time, she put forth the argument that this act of objectifying women and insulting women required her to kneel and apologize. As soon as this video was posted, it helped her gain tens of thousands of followers, and she could start live streaming to sell products. Just as she finished her live stream, seeing the figure of nearly 3,000 yuan in her back-end data, she then saw my clarification video. Her eyes darted, and an idea immediately came to mind. She felt her opportunity had arrived. When the entire internet was apologizing, if she could create a plot twist, she would surely attract even more attention. So she started scrutinizing the video frame by frame and analyzing every word of the lyrics. After finishing her interpretation, she posted it online. Everyone, actually, I didn't want to come forward about this, but I am afraid if I don't speak up, No one will dare to talk about this anymore. We can see from the first video. In the crowd at that time, you all heard that girl's price for her services. A girl's innocence is so important. How could someone use this to slander her? I don't deny the talent of the creator Cheng Xiaobei. I highly acknowledge his musical skills, but to be fair, for him to step up and clarify a matter that isn't his. The girl in this story, what kind of huge price did she have to pay? I also hope school bullying disappears, but this creator is using his massive fanbase to distort the truth. Isn't that depriving us of our right to know the truth? Isn't this also an act of bullying us? Jiang Shuyuan's video went against the public opinion. Not only did it ride the wave of discussion, but it also incited the clueless masses of gossip mongers, splitting them into two factions. Sister, I support you. If you hadn't spoken up, who would have known? That creator is actually a beast in human skin. That little slut is no good either. After prostituting herself, she seduced a man to clear her name. So hypocritical. Am I the only one who noticed that when the creator was filming the video, that girl's actions were really weird? What kind of sister who's almost of marriageable age would still be so clingy with her brother like that? Letting her brother comb her hair? Let me say something fair. One good song is fine, but a song a day? Do you think that's possible? His music is probably all plagiarized. A person with character issues like this can do anything. It's not surprising. As if their prayers were answered. Quite a few people actually edited together video clips, pointing out which songs each line in my song was plagiarized from. They compiled it into a complete clip. There were also netizens who refuted. Even if you don't believe Great Master Xiaobei, you don't believe the guard's announcement either? This creator seems to be speaking with great certainty, but there's no evidence at all. It's all just talk. In Huzhou, only you country bumpkins would believe that. That announcement from the guard only proves that girl was a victim of school bullying. It doesn't prove she didn't do that. She did that kind of thing. Isn't it normal for her to be bullied? Do you really want to be in the same class as this kind of person? That's true. After all, you men only like this kind of stuff. Jiang Shuyuan looked at her rapidly increasing number of fans, unable to hide her excitement. As for the slandered girl, who could guarantee she wasn't problematic, Jiang Shuyuan saw her follower count skyrocketing. She was overjoyed. As for the slandered girl, who could be sure she was innocent? At worst, when the time comes, I'll just release an apology video. After all, I only voiced my own suspicions. I didn't explicitly say what that girl did. It was all imagined by the netizens themselves, even if public opinion is affected by then. As time passes, people will quickly forget about this. Only money in the pocket is real. Meanwhile, elsewhere, I was currently massaging Jiang Zhu and Gu Zhu Yuan's shoulders. Mom, Dad, why are you two home so late today? Jiang Zhu closed her eyes. Xiaobei has really become much more mature. Before, at this time, he'd still be fooling around outside. Now, not only does he come home early every day, but he also knows how to care for his hardworking parents. Gu Zhu Yuan also nodded. Our Xiaobei is just a late bloomer. Once he's tired of playing around, he'll naturally grow up. Jiang Zhu Yue wiped the corners of her teary eyes. She grunted softly. When will Chu Ting be like Xiaobei? She's supposed to be the older sister, but she still hasn't grown up. Mom, I am still here. Go Shui Ting said unhappily from the side. She rubbed her feet together and shot me a resentful glance. It felt like life had betrayed her. Clearly, both of them were prodigal children, but now had turned over a new leaf, making her seem particularly immature. I am telling you, you're already of marriageable age. You don't even sit properly. When I was your age, your second sister had already been born. Jiang Zhu Yue said coldly. Gu Zhui Ting shyly shrank back and immediately corrected her posture. Mom, Dad, you still haven't told me why you're home so late today. I asked again. Gu Zhiwan sighed softly. The projects in Jiangcheng are currently operating stably. If the group wants to grow, it must expand its market to other cities. Recently, the business in those cities has run into some problems. I nodded. The Gu Corporation was massive, but its real influence was limited to Jiangcheng and the surrounding areas. Expanding business to other cities was equivalent to taking a piece of someone else's pie. Being boycotted by local powers and facing difficulties was normal. Mom, Dad, our family is already so rich. Why go to other cities just to look for trouble? Gu Shueting asked. The nature of capital is to increase value. If it can increase in value, it will eventually be eliminated by capital. For example, if workers' wages in other cities are all increasing, but wages in our Jiangcheng remain unchanged, then who would come to work in Jiangcheng in the future? I interjected. Gu Yuan looked at Jiang Zhu Yue in surprise, and found that Jiang Zhu Yue had the exact same expression. Hearing what I said, Gu Ting quickly stood up and ran to her room. She knew that if she stayed here any longer, she wouldn't just seem immature, but would also appear very foolish. Zhu Yuan nodded in satisfaction. That's exactly the logic. He suddenly asked for my opinion out of curiosity. So, what do you think we should do? He explained the trouble the Gu Corporation was facing. The Gu Corporation was building a resort in another city. The contract had been signed initially, and the villagers had all moved out. As a result, halfway through construction, the land price increased. They gathered to demand compensation for the difference. Otherwise, they would obstruct the construction. Although the local guard team was notified, the guard only went through the motions. After all, the villagers were all elderly. They couldn't be arrested, as they would just lie on the ground and play dead. I recalled the plot from this part of the novel, in the original storyline. Yu Yuan fell ill over this matter. It was Yu Yuan who personally treated him. It's just that, at that time, without my intervention, Yu Yuan was involved with Long Aotian. This matter was naturally revealed to him. Long Aotian used his connections with the Xia family to smoothly resolve this issue, but he demanded 30% of the resort shares. 30% of the shares. That's no small sum. It's nearly 1 billion yuan. My eyes darted, and an idea immediately formed in my mind. After all, if Long Aotian could do it, so could I. Dad, this problem is very simple. In 2 days, your newly adopted father will come to our house. You have to welcome him properly. Don't embarrass me. Try to hold on to this relationship. All the remaining problems will be easily solved. Hearing my words, Yu Yuan's face immediately darkened. He had just been thinking Gubei was mature. All for naught. Get out, get out, get out, you rebellious son who's upending all propriety. So in the future, if I expand my project to another city, I have to adopt a father. Then if I expand nationwide, everywhere will be my father's. After a session of loving education, I returned to my room, clutching my bottom. Why do I remember the original owner was rarely ever hit? He barely even heard any harsh words. Why have I been beaten twice in just 2 days since transmigrating? Could it be that the love will disappear? Besides, Comrade Yu Yuan's awareness is too low. Can't he be like me, a true man who knows when to bend and when to stand tall? Returning to my room, Gu Qinghen was hugging a pillow, rolling back and forth on the bed. Hearing the door open, her cheeks flushed. She shot up on the bed. You're back. I saw her peeking out from behind the pillow with glistening eyes. She mumbled. I nodded. It's getting late. You should go back to your room and sleep, Gu Qinghan said. Feeling wronged, she slowly crawled off the bed and walked towards her room with her head down in disappointment. Before she left, she paused and gave me a deep look. Her room was a maid's room in the corner. Inside, it was also filled with miscellaneous items that weren't currently in use. Amidst that pile of junk, she had cleared a small space, where all her belongings were neatly arranged. The faded school uniform, the school bag with a hole in it, the slightly unglued shoes, and a potato chip can. Inside was all the money she had ever saved, a total of 132.5 yuan. Just 2 days ago, she had planned to live on her own with this money. After leaving the Gu family, her original belongings could fit in a space the size of a table, but now, she had to tidy up again to make more space, because, these past 2 days, I had bought her many. I also gave her half of the snacks I bought today. Just as she was about to push the cardboard box next to her bed into the corner, the door was suddenly knocked on. Just as she was about to push the cardboard box next to her bed into the corner, the door was suddenly knocked on. Gu Qinghan opened the door doubtfully. Ever since she came to the Gu family's house, besides the maid bringing things in, no one had ever stepped into her room. She saw me scratching my head, standing at the door a bit awkwardly. When you left my room, I felt something was a little off. I was worried about you. I don't know if you've gotten over this morning's emotions yet. I seem to recall someone saying, you should try to stay by the side of someone who's been bullied. Otherwise, they might have negative thoughts. They might even think about committing suicide. Realizing the concern in my words, Gu Qinghan's eyes immediately turned red. Tears streamed from the corners of her eyes nonstop. Why am I crying? I shouldn't be crying. I should be smiling. Now I have a brother who cares about me. I should be smiling, she thought to herself. But the more she thought this way, the more she couldn't hold back her tears. She kept wiping her tears with the palm of her hand. I grabbed Gu Qinghan's wrist and pulled her into my arms. I don't know how to comfort a girl. I just felt that Gu Qinghan probably needed a shoulder to lean on right now. I breathed a sigh of relief inwardly. Luckily, I noticed this little girl's emotions were off just now. Otherwise, I guess, she would be curled up in her blanket, wiping her tears alone right now. I peeked out, curiously looking towards the inside of Gu Qinghan's room. I couldn't help but frown again. Although the Gu family's maid's room was much better than the matchbox apartment I rented before transmigrating, but compared to now, my room is more than just a little bit better than this place. How about you sleep in my room? I hesitated for a long time, but still said it. Then what about you? Gu Qinghan sniffled and asked with a soft sob. Suddenly, her cheeks started to feel hot. She thought about how big my bed was, big enough for the two of us to sleep together. Her hands, which were hugging my back, also couldn't help but tense up and form fists. I just raised an eyebrow and said excitedly, my room also has a game room. Unexpected, right? The computer specs in there are top-notch. Tonight, we can watch movies and eat snacks together. Then you can sleep on the bed and I'll sleep in the game room. I had it all planned out in my head. After I coaxed Gu Qinghan to sleep, I'll take the opportunity to game all night. After all, the next day, I just have to take Gu Qinghan to school. Then I can catch up on sleep in the morning. Hearing my words, Gu Qinghan's body stiffened for a moment. Although they'd be sleeping in the same suite, it wasn't in the same bed. For some reason, she felt a little disappointed. But as soon as she thought about being with her brother, eating snacks and watching movies, she felt a little excited. Gu Qing Han buried her head in my chest, her voice muffled. Entering the game room, the room was dimly lit. I fumbled for the switch in the dark. Suddenly, on the floor, a hexagonal magic circle lit up. Streams of pink and blue light ran along the pattern of the circle, climbing up the walls and continuously gathering above. The lighting of the whole room looked very cyberpunk.